over the map.
Yeah, it's a disgusting hero in lane. You just he walks past the wave and he just hits you relentlessly. He keeps rooting you over and over again. And so I think a key part of how you fight back in those lanes is you have to be able to fight back. There's no hiding. There's no honestly even really pulling waves that much. And so I think that's why they picked the Hoodwink. They want something that can come into the lane and battle. We saw the Hoodwink Underlord fight against IO Necrophos the other day for Yandex and did very, very well. And I think they'll look for something similar, a Centaur Hoodwink or some lane that says we're not going to just give you the free lane. We're actually going to bring the punch to you a little bit. Look for
အားလုံးပဲပြောင်းလဲကြိုးစားပါရကျွန်တော် Yandex versus Parivision game 1ကတော့ဘယ်အသင်းနေနဲ့ grand fight နေရောက်သွားမလဲကတော့
You need to
တပီရောကြည့်ရမယ်တော့ဒီဘက်မှာ long throw first ပဲတဲ့ကျွန်တော်ညီလေးရဲ့ long throw နဲ့တော့စပြီဒီဘက်ကလည်း
Centaur doesn't do super
Centaur ဝင်နော် hero ရတော့ခုနောက်ပိုင်းကျတော့နည်းနည်း
supports coming
ပြန်ဟောတဲ့ hero တွေမှာတော့ပါ
and set up that play that way.
Centaur တွေကဒီနေ့တောက်လျှောက်ကိုကြည့်နေတာကျွန်တော်မနေ့တည်းက
I think this makes a lot of sense. It's the combo I've seen them do the best with against the Lone Druid outside of the Enigma. And they really
ဒီလေးဘက်ကစိတ်ချရပါတယ်တဲ့။ဒါပေမဲ့ဟိုဘက်ကလည်းတောက်လျှောက်အဆင်ပြေနေတဲ့ Centaur တို့ရတယ်တော့ Centaur တွေအလုပ်လုပ်တယ်။ဒီနေ့ရှေ့နှစ်ပွဲလုံး
I don't think this is a surprise. It was they considered it as a possibility, especially when you see the Enigma.
အဘီလာနိုဒီမတော်ပြရတယ်အဲ့ဒါကြောင့်ကျွန်တော်တို့နော် real လေးတွေ subscribe တွေဘာညာ follow တွေလုပ်ပေးပါအောင်နော်
A little bit in terms of Yandex's history versus Lone Druid. So at EWC
ဒီပွဲကတော့မီးတင်ကြီးကမယ်ကိုယ့်ရဲ့ draft နောက်လိုက်တာတွေကတော်တော်ဟုတ်နေတော့ဒီပွဲလဲ draft မှာကျွန်တော်တို့ Yandex ဘာညာကြရင်တော့ Yandex သွားမယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ Pari ကြရင်တော့ Pari ရောလေနော်အခုကတော့ Lone Druid ဆိုတော့မဆို
their series that dropped them to third place.
ဒီကအဲ့ Pari မှာကိုအားနေချက်လို့မြင်တာတော့ no one ပဲ no one လက်နည်းနည်းကြာနေ no one က
They mostly beat it with
အဲ့တော့ no one လို့ဟိုနေ့ကဆိုလေသူ့ရဲ့ပတ်နှစ်ခါလောက်မာပြီးပြန်ရှုံးသွားတာမျိုးတွေနော်အဲ့ဒါတွေတော့ရှိတော့ရှိ
They didn't do that. So maybe we could see that come up again. Lina's still in the pool.
ကဲဒီဘက်မှာ Techie ဟာဟိုနေ့ကကော့ကြီးကွာ Techie လုံးစုံနေမင်းအဲ့ဒါရနိုင်ဝိုင်းတော့မှ
about how 9 class came up playing this hero.
ဟိုက်ဂရောင်းတက်လို့မရတဲ့အကွက်တွေနော်
It was played by Ducalis and they did this
ဒီ TIB ရင်ဘာရှိလဲဆိုတော့
all around the gate.
ကိုတင်တော့ dream လေးတွေပါကြည့်ရမယ်တဲ့
functions so much around
အတင်းကမပူစီဘူးလေဒီတင်းကတော့ကျုံးမှတင်တယ်
it connects the two
ပြီး man ကြော်တယ်တော့ sorry ပါ bro man เนี่ยအဲ့လိုပေါ်ရောက်သွားတာ
you were forced to play through mid because that was the connecting point between all the sides of the map.
ကမအိမ်ပြန်တော့လူကတော်တော်ပင်ပန်းသွားတယ်ကွာဘယ်လိုလဲအိတ်ချင်တယ်လို့အားကုန်တယ်လို့နောက်ဆုံးပွဲတော့ကျွန်တော်ပြနိုင်မလားမသိဘူးလူကတကယ်ကြီးအဲ့လိုပြိုင်းသွား
suddenly play the game so totally
ညလေ3နိုင်4နိုင်လောက်ပဲအိပ်ရတယ်
It's a great point.
ဒီဘက်မှာတော့ keeper Techie don't draw ဒီ draft ကြီးကတော့တော်တော် high ground surround မဲ့ draft နော် Parivision နေနဲ့
You move in a certain way naturally. You push a wave and you just walk in a certain direction because your intuition tells you to do so. You're not thinking about the direction you're moving. And now suddenly those minds
cast တော့ကောင်းတယ်ဒီဘက်က cast ရွေးလောက်တယ်ဘာလို့ wax က cast ကိုတော်တော်ကြိုက်နေတာဒီကောင်
adds up.
Don't draw against no
very weird because you're
cast lame so
places you expect them to be in.
It does seem like if we were going
What's that gag so you know Yandex drug on my
damage versus the Lone Druid, it's one of the better things to play against techies though. Like if you have a means to kill heroes from a distance, like with the Hoodwink Sharpshooter plus a Lina or a Drow coming out.
တူစီလာပြတော့ draft နောက်တော့လိုက်မယ်ကွာအဲ့လို draft Lina တဲ့ draft တာလို့ခံစားရတဲ့ဘက်ကတော့လိုက်မယ်အဲ့တော့ဒီဘက်မှာ Lina တွေရော
It's a classic Undying Lina. It's the melee blob guy plus the range turret. You've got a really strong secure lane and a shield for Lina, and it's a hero that Watson absolutely loves. Even when this hero
ညီလေးလုံးထုတ်ကလည်းရှေ့ပွဲတွေမှာတောင်းလျှောက်သူတို့အဲ့ Lina တွေကိုအဆင်ပြေပြေနေတာဆိုတော့နော်ဒီပွဲလေ မစလာတာ
for Yandex. I think this is a very
အဲ့တော့ကတိုးလေးတော့ပြင်းနိုင်မယ်နော်စလာတာနဲ့လုံးထုတ်နဲ့ damage ကတော့စောင်းမများရတယ်လို့ Lina တွေပဲတန်းပြန်ပြောက်သွားမှာခင်နေရ
because while we did see Vision play Slardar mid 1 or 2 times this TI, it hasn't.
အဲ့တော့win run တော့ပဲ
I also feel like we've seen Lone Druids kind of fall off as the games have progressed.
ဒီနေ့တော့ over and နဲ့
it really struggles to connect to the team fights and like actually have impact and eventually just turns into this like split pushing hero. But when you add amplified damage, you kind of shift that dynamic and you're giving him like a steroid that's going to make him so much stronger in the fight.
Yeah, Lina wants to see you coming and hit you the whole way you're running to her, and so that you don't actually get the chance.
Slaughter, no one's on my notice.
Get there, but Lone Druid can buy a blink dagger. Slaughter.
ဒါကလည်း Lina နော်ပြောလို့မရဘူး Wax and Lina တွေပါလည်းပြင်ဖြစ်နေ
try to kill you so fast.
Wax and Lina carry the result
or Centaur ag saved. And so there's a dynamic at play there.
And that's got Saxa လို့ပါတော့ပါတယ်အရင်လူဟောင်းနေတည်မယ်ဆို
because he will be the priority.
Also feel like
အဲ့ဒါပိုစီနဲ့ငါပြောသေးဝေးမဟုတ်အဓိကအေးရေးပြတ်တာတွေထားများလာ
like a generally what do you call it, like very obvious AC hero. She's not really obvious Shiva's hero, so that there's also that element to it.
We're operating under the assumption that this is a Wax and Lina, but it very well could just go mid. this doesn't have to be the case, and it seems like Vision.
Oh, Lina carry ဆိုရင်တော့ mid ထဲမှာ Slaughter နဲ့ Team နဲ့ Amber တော့တော်တော်လွတ်တယ် Meta Heroes
which is pretty heads up.
It is. It's good to consider these things, and I think it's also interesting.
Amber ကောင်းတယ် မလုံးတော့ what တွေပါတယ်ခံနိုင်ရှိတယ်နော် DK လည်းမဆို
the teams that have been eliminated already.
They didn't slug up
tons of the reserve time before they even get to the last pick, but these teams know what they want. They've done their prep. To me, this is very logical, very quick, solid thinking, which is why they have so much time to really consider things. And even if you know what your pick is going into the last pick, you can sit there and think about, okay, what are we going to do on lanes? How are we going to rotate? All these little things, you have extra time for that you've saved by not burning it earlier on in the draft.
I also
Osprey နော်အခုမှဘန်တာ Osprey Amber 2ကြလွတ်နေတာ
Because if Amber comes out, you have to think about it. Insania.
it's also an interesting idea of like you ban the Slark, so now maybe Yandex has the
ဆိုရကတော့တရား2နဲ့တရား1အသိပြန်ဝင်တယ်မဟုတ်နေကမှ TI လေးကွက်ကွက်ပြီးတော့ကျန်တာဒီကအဲ့လိုတရားသားတူပဲဒါပေမဲ့ TI ညရင်တော့မစိုးတရား1တွေကိုရှင်စော့နိုင်
it can kind of throw you off of whatever path you're on already, and I think this is something that like Puppy likes to do a lot, where he kind of challenges.
ဟုတ်တယ်အောက်ကလည်း separate နဲ့ပတ်ပေါ်သူတို့ပြ separate တက်ဖို့များပါတယ်
didn't really expect.
Yeah, whenever both the last picks are also mid heroes, there's a funny mini game where you're considering if we ban this, then they want this, they might ban this, and so you run through these possibilities of if all these heroes get knocked out, okay, I pick this. What counters are remaining? And at the end of that, they think it's pretty clear.
လုံးဝတော့တေးကြတဲ့ hero ကြီးပါတော့ damage တော့တော်တော်များတာစားတော့ပန်ကို
and it's a hero that no one is also very comfortable on, and Coddle helps this hero a ton.
စားတော့ပန်ကို Puppy draft ဒီအဲ့လိုတောင်းတာတော့တော်တော်
biggest issues and what slows down his farm is that they've just nerfed the mana cost of his spells, but with Coddle, you
can Lina carry လုပ်မလား mid လုပ်မလားကြည့်ရ
diff you at a crazy timing.
There's also something we always have to mention when it's
the investor note တွေ source တွေတော့ရှင်းရမယ်
and a lot of
source တွေတော့ရှင်းရမယ်
so this Lone Druid even further
I notice ကခုန stat တွေပါတယ်ပြတာရတယ် notice ကပိုတော့မိုက်
physical damage coming out from Team Vision.
I do think this will most likely be a no-one Pango just because he's so comfortable on this combination with Coddle, but I think something cool that Team Vision did in their draft was they made it so that their last pick mid was also flexible to the offlane.
ကဲဘာဆော့မလဲ Yandex ကဒီနောက် mid ပို့လိုက်ရင်လည်းပန်ကိုတွေပါတော့ဟဲလို့ရဒါပေမဲ့တော်တော်တော့ဖြတ်ခံရမှာပါနော်ဘောတော့ Lina carry ရော mid နောက်တကောင်ပစ်တာတော့ပို့သဘောကျတယ်
Yeah. It's definitely very solid.
ဒီက Emma မစိုးလို့ Emma သူတို့ပဲဖမ်းလိုက်တာပါ sorry.
Yeah, and they still have the choice of where they pick Lina. I'm not exactly sure. I think both things are valid.
တော့ရှိတော့ရှိမယ်နော်နောက်ပိုင်းမြင်နေရတဲ့ hero မှာ
weird in that you have Undying and Undying wants a
range DK ကောင်းတယ်ပတ်ဆိုရင်တော့ Lina ပတ်ပြတ်တာပြောရမယ် DK mid တွေပါလေကောင်းတော့ကောင်းတယ်ဒီက
in a lot of instances which
DK mid
okay, we've got double turret. We've talked about that before. It causes a lot of strain on your draft and a lot of pressure on your Centaur to be the one guy who can go in and start things.
And the heroes that kind of can fill that second turret role, like I think both Nature's Prophet functions a little bit different than something like a Drow Ranger or an SF or something like that. And Wind Ranger, I would say, falls into the same category. Both have been banned out. So I think for me, I'm leaning more towards the Lina safe lane, but Watson seems to be talking. So.
Oh, yeah, no, my Terrorblade, the Mania hero. Lina Mega, no Terrorblade carry works.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like Vision they were
so but they fight here on my one man, no, develop what they were red chain by the
situation.
And a child name la, Gia, Amar Tom, your Terrorblade.
So this is their way of doing it. They decide like, okay, you know what, this Lina is gonna have a tough time carrying this game and staying alive. So you know what, CJ, it's time for you to tank it, and we're gonna pick TB for Watson, which ultimately has like he's gonna be the raid boss in this game.
Yeah, I think they're asserting lane.
ကိုတော့ရန်တက်ကြိုက်တယ်ဟေး drop နေတာတော့ဟောဒီနေ့တော့ရောက်တော့မှန်းနေဒါပေမဲ့ဒီပွဲတော့ဒီလေးတော့ဘက်ကံမြန်ပြီကိုကတော့ဒီပွဲတော့ရန်တက် drop တီးတတ်မယ်ကိုက drop နောက်ပဲလိုက်မှာဆိုတော့မစိုးဘူး terror blade pick ကဟိုဘက်က Slaughter နဲ့ပြေးရိုက်တဲ့အကွက်က terror blade ကမပြတ်လာဘူးစပူရာကြီးကလည်း stand မရှိဘူးဆိုတော့မနေ့ကရာတိုလိုမျိုးမလုပ်ဖို့ပဲလိုတယ်ဟုတ်လားနော် BKB တွေပါလို့နော်ဒီ BKB လည်းလိုတော့မလိုပါဘူးချလို့ရရန်တက်တော့ကြိုက်တယ်ဒီပွဲကတော့ရန်တက် drop ကြိုက်တယ်
scared versus the techies, and because he stands his ground, if Slaughter blinks on him and they don't burst him, he's just going to sunder and be able to stand there and fight, which also counters Coddle, who wants to solar bind your primary target. He wants to make it so that he can't win the fight for you, and it's a really good pick in this position.
Is there an answer to the Lone Druid as well? Because we always have to come back full circle. That's what they open their draft with on the side of Vision. That's their foundation, and that's what they would love to be able to win through. But is there enough of an answer?
End up draft later,
I feel like they're trying to create a scenario where this TB is going to outscale the Lone Druid, and that's what they're trying to play for. And I would say it's absolutely possible.
Oh, they're a Lego teammate.
All
ကောင်းမပေါ့ဖြစ်လိန်နေရအစားဆလာလာကြီးနဲ့ Terrorblade တော့ AC ပဲ Waxan ဝင်ရင်တော့ Terrorblade အားကိုနဲ့တော့နိုင်ဝမ်းမယ်ထင်တာပဲဒီပွဲ Yandex က draft တီးတဲ့အရာဆိုရင်တော့အမေဒီဘက်ကလည်း Parivision ဆိုတော့ပြောလို့တော့မရဘူးပေါ့လေ Puppy ရဲ့ trainer တဲ့အသင်းอ่ะเนาะနိုင်မိုးကတော်တော်ခက်တော့ခက်တယ်ပြီးတော့ Parivision လည်းကျွန်တော်ပွဲတွေမှာသူတို့ကပို့ပြီး favor ဖြစ်တယ်ဆိုပေမဲ့ရှေ့ပွဲတွေလည်းသူတို့2-0နဲ့နိုင်တာတွေတော့မရှိပါဘူး2-1 2-1နေပြီပဲနှစ်ပွဲလုံးဒီပွဲလည်းကျွန်တော် game 1လေးများ Yandex ကိုပေးနိုင်မလားပေါ့ကိုကတော့ Yandex ထည့်ထားတယ်ဒီပွဲ
It's about team fights. Very similar to when Team Spirit first won their TI. It's just a lot about team fights, engagements, and just a lot of five men.
So then in terms of how
Puppy.
the tournament has evolved since group stage to now this late in the tournament, I know that a lot of teams had eyes on you, and you were maybe defining a bit of the meta in terms of your heroes and picks. Can you see that still, or have the imitators kind of fallen behind and the teams that remain are the ones that had their own ideas?
No, I think everybody started realizing that a little bit of split push is always good to have. And as you can see, like in these games, we have Lone Druid, they have Terrorblade, they have some Centaur Dominator, we have some Coddle pushing waves from afar. So it is true.
ဒီနေ့တော့ Sandor ရဲ့အဆင်ပြေနေရကြောင်းလည်းပါဒီပွဲလို့ Yandex draft ကြီးစောင်းတဲ့ပေါ်ကြ
And then for this opponent specifically with Yandex, what do you think is so unique about this team that's allowed them to get this far in the tournament so far?
I think, in my opinion, they were the ones doing.
Now live ပြီတဲ့ဟောဒီနေ့ကတော့ quality စီဦးထောက်ဘက်တွေပွဲတိုင်းက show လိုက်အောင်ကေးကတော့ဒီပွဲခံမှန်းခတ်တယ်တိတ်ဘောမကြောက်ရန်တက်ကကျတော့ over ဆိုတဲ့ပုံစံမျိုးကြီး split ကမဟုတ်ပါရီက under ဆိုတဲ့ပုံစံမျိုးနဲ့တင်ရပါရီတာဝိုင်းတော့ under ဖို့များမယ်ရန်တက်တာရင်တော့ over ဖို့များမယ်ပုံစံကရန်တက်ကတော်တော် e လေးဆွဲတာသူတို့ဆော့ပေါ့ကပါရီကကျတော့တဟုန်လို့လာလို့ကတော့မရအောင်မင်းအေးချစ်ချင်းယူလိုက်ပြီနော်တော်တော်မြန်တယ် Parivision ကျတော့
We add both flavors.
Let's see if your team fight superiority gets you the win. Good luck, Puppy, as we get into game number 1.
Thank you very much there, Puppy and Tsunami. Yeah, time for the upper bracket final here between Vision and Yandex. And as sort of Puppy alluded to in terms of their strats, Yandex, earlier in the season, they were the first to sort of start...
Bit of a dictator.
...doing the new stuff, starting to sort of set the meta. They looked a bit shaky in the group stage, but now here on the main event, they're seeming to be back at that top level. The question is it high enough of a level to secure that first spot in the grand finals and take that opportunity away from Team Vision, knocking them down to the lower bracket? Have they got back to that point, Fox?
And that's got to be the question, right? Is it going to be big enough to be able to deal with Vision, which not many teams have been able to deal with? In terms of team fight and
TI fight
obsessed with team fight currently this patch, and looking at it, I think we're in for a pretty decent treat. You could see Vision having maybe a slight edge in some of these team fights because they've got this strong Pango and all this, but Yandex kind of like they also have strong team fight too in particular, but it's a lot revolving around this Pango. Because if Chira ends up having not that big success in the mid lane, I have some worries for the Lina. Because Watson, we did see yesterday him playing the Terrorblade. This hero's strong, don't get me wrong, and it's good versus this matchup. Techies Amp, Solar Bind. There is other ways.
ဟိုတစ်ခေါက်က Parivision airdrop ကောင်းသွားတော့ဘောင်းနီယနာပါတယ်ပေါ့သူတို့အဲ့ဒါတော့နှိမ့်နေတာနှိမ့်ပြီးတော့ဘောင်းနီယနာနဲ့မှနည်းနည်းပြန်ကမ်းပတ်ပြီးဆော့ရဆိုဒီပွဲလဲအဲ့လိုမျိုးအစောပိုင်းနှိမ့်သွားရင်တော့ Lina Terrorblade ကြီးချိန်နေသိမကောင်းအဲ့တော့ဘုလဘာကွာတော့ဒီပွဲရန်နဲ့ဆိုကြိုက်
coming out for Satanic as the first pick of the draft, whereas on the side of Yandex, Watson was able to save that TB for last pick.
He got his pick of the litter, right? He sees, okay, they're going for a semi-minus armor draft, right, with the Pango, with the Slardars, and he is getting to see his lane immediately as this Terrorblade playing versus that Slardar. So,
but I'm not sure
how well the addressed Lone Druid is going to be, because so many times even if it gets addressed a lot, he ends up having a really good game. So curious to see if it's going to be enough in this game, since he does have the backup of maybe not the most ordinary support, but to call us with the techies, it's a hero that just prevents you from getting aggressive.
ဘယ်လိုပဲ final တန်းသွားလိုက်တာတော့ပိုကောင်းပါတယ်အောက်မှာ separate ဖြစ်ဘတ်ဘုံဖြစ်နော်နေတာတိတ်မကွာကြဘူးဒီလေးသင်းတော့
So let's see how the lane goes. I think this top lane for Yandex has been so important.
ဟိုရဲ့အင်စာကိုကြိုက်လို့လေ show လာရင်နော်အင်စာတကယ်လောက်ထားတာကြက်ရမရှိမင်း
Oh yeah.
အင်စာ share လောက်ထားတဲ့ចောင်းသားတယောက်
Well, the other day, right? Again, just the first 10 minutes of play, you can expect big stuff from Saxa, and if it's not there, you know that the opponent, in this case Vision, will have done a hell of a lot to stop this Saxa hoodwink being able to make those sort of early plays.
ဒါကလီနာကခရီးအကုန်လွဲတယ်ကြည်ရဂျူနီယာ
Saxa has been so instrumental, not just what he's able to get, but how much he sets up for DM to have a good game. And DM's been having some really solid ones for the team. And yeah, let's see how this lane ends up playing out. Soxa just continuing to just harass Satanic. Does have to be a little careful with his positioning not to get rooted. He should be just fine.
ဒီကအော်လင်းကလည်း terror blade ကို pressure ပေးရနည်းနည်းတိုင်ပေါက်သွားစားလာဆိုတော့ terror blade ကိုဘာမှသိလို့လို့မရ
The Pango. I'm glad we're getting to see this one.
pressure လေးနဲ့ support ကြပါဦးနော်ဟုတ်ပါ
And he's got a coddle.
ဟုတ်ပါမူးတော့တော်ဆွဲပါအဲ့တော့ကိုဒီ separate နဲ့ဘုံအောင်နားဖို့များတယ်လူကအရင်ပင်မန်းနဲ့မူကြီးကြောခုနဘွဲကြီးကြည့်ပြီ
a lot of the times and maybe the fact that Pango in a he's going to be all right.
ရှန်တိန်လေး no one အဲ့တော့ no one လည်းတော့နောက်ပိုင်းညီလေးကလောက2ယောက်စာစော့နေရတာ no one မြက်ကတာမယ်လို့ဖြစ်နေတယ်အခု DI မှာတဲတဲပဲပွဲလိုက်ရအဲ့တော့ဒီပွဲရဲ့ကျွန်တော်ချီယာဂျူနီယာလီနာနဲ့ထိန်းရမှာအရန်တော့မတာဘူး hero က
in a lot of the drafts that we've seen sort of just benefits it in this sort of situation that you're actually able to get it through with such a strong kind of 1-2 combo with the call.
Oh my melody show we today
Illuminate won't connect. He's sticking on him.
also majesty there are like phone မှာပေးလိုက်ပြီးတော့ပဲ melody ဖိတ်နေတာရောက်ရင်ဟုတ်တယ် tombstone also grenade or first blood notice ဘက်ကလည်းတန်နေနော်အေးစစ်စစ်ပဲအမျိုးကတော့ trade လို့ရတယ် level တစ်ယောက်တည်းရတယ်
You're playing versus a Terror Blade Undying. This is like a double counter pick versus the Slaughter. His CS is looking rough, so he's just like, screw it, I'm committing for the kill. So you'll take that all day on notice. Watson also will say the same though. He'll make good job. I got a kill return, but I think the Slaughter is quite happy because this lane can be tough.
ပြောရစလာတာမလွယ်ဘူးဒီ lane မှာ level များလာလေလေဒီကောင်ကတ်လေလေပဲ
Last tango very far in one charges.
A lot of good chakra combos. Have to mention the Slaughter as well too, right? 9 class can do quite a bit here. These blasts are connecting.
They're out enough.
Watson is starting to get a bit low here. Doesn't have soul rip. Does he have extra regen coming? He doesn't.
အကြလေရန်တက်ချေထားတယ်ရန်တက် drop ကကို့အမြင်မှာတော့တော်တော်သားတယ်
For Watson now.
ဟိုကဒီနေ့အသေးမကြည့်တော့ drop နောက်ပဲလိုက်မှာရှုံးနိုင်တာသူတို့ကိစ္စတည်းမှာ drop ကိုထိုက်ပြီးထဲတာအဆင်ပြေနေတာမနက်တည်းအခုချိန်ကြီးဆိုတော့
Mid matchup, we're seeing that.
ကဲလောဆရာတော့ mega ရောက်ရင် no one ရထင်းနေတိုင်းပဲ no one အခုနောက်ပိုင်း mega လောက်လုံးမလုပ်ခဲ့အောင်မှာတော့ note ပြတ်သွားမလား။ Oh majesty လေးနဲ့ရောက်ရင် shanting လေးနော် notice ရတဲ့အချိန်လေးမှာတော့ light တော့ပြင်းနေတယ်ဒီကောင်။အဲ့မြတ်မှာ no one နေကောင်းနေတာကွာ
I hope he.
Free လည်းမရဘူးဒီကောင်
He really does need it to be able to reset that HP. But noticed.
။ free တွေပါမရတဲ့ကိစ္စတော့ရှိတယ် no one နေုံနေမကောက်ဘူးနော်
Good job.
prepare 10ကောင်လောက်ပြတ်တယ်။ And over ဒီဘက်အကြိုက်မတူဘူး bro ကျွန်တော်ရန်တက်ပဲထဲလိုက်
Team vision being suitably annoying.
Oh, yeah.
And 9 class down here on the Cottle blasting away, and the same's going to be said obviously for Jakalis on the top on his techies. Two supports that you don't want to
Lara crash melody and dying
Tombstone.
majesty လေးရှိသေးတယ်နည်းနည်းဖိတ်နေတာကောင်
try and chase
အမေနော်ဒီကောင် notice မမျောတော့ဘူး
respects the fact that Melody is holding the stick charges.
majesty အနေငယ်နဲ့ဖိတ်နေတာအော်ရပြီ
But has to be careful himself for a second. Now he's actually going for the blast onto Malady.
Melody's going to be able to chase him off pretty safely. Can't really line up another blast, even if he did. Unlikely to hit.
Watson.
He makes a mistake, but maybe indeed.
ကဲပြန်တော့ line နေအော်1မတီပါဘူးဒီဘက်မှာလည်းတော့အနိုင်တုံးတုံးလေးကတ်တုံးလေးတော့ကျန်တယ်အဲ့ lane နေထားတွေကတော့ keeper နဲ့ Slaughter မြဖန်းဆိုပြောသွားအောက်ကနှိမ့်တော့မနေဘူး line ကခရီး73ပါဟုတ်လား
First people are just
no one တော့ creep များတယ်
in this lane matchup can absolutely see the reasoning to just go for this illuminate with the stuns.
Honestly, gotta say though, considering how much Watson and Malady are having to dance around, look at the CS.
Good. Yeah.
16
โอ้ကောင်းကြပဲရောက်ရေး solo game what the fuck
They're trying their best vision,
တော့တွင်းနေနေရွာနေတာအဲ့တော့ 9 class က idea တော့များလောက်တယ်နော်
still able to find the CS.
ဒါပေမဲ့ဘင်းမှာတော့ coin တောက်သွားပြီ no one အလုံးကြီးဖေးသွားပြီတော့
Trying to have total free farm. So the fact that they're doing this
အလုံးဖေးတဲ့ no one တော့ပြောသွားပြီမြက်က
gets the catch there, of course, onto the Undying. We'll be able to get the D ward as well. And looking on the flip side too, right?
ဒီမှာ supporter တွေကလည်း keeper လို့ support တွေပါတယ်နေဆိုတော့နော်မြက်ကိုကြည့်ပေးလို့တော့သိမရအောင်ချိန်နေက အဲ့ no one jungle တွေပါတယ်မှာပဲလို့နည်းနည်း recover လုပ်ပြီး side lane တွေ gain ရင်လည်း gain နော်အဲ့လိုဆောင်းမှာတော့ရ
Playing it beautiful.
Yeah, this is a painful laning stage for no one, but you said, well, not necessarily surprise, or would you say, even to this extent, you're still kind of
ဒီ
siding.
မှာ Yandex က number 1k
A couple more CS on the Pango, but this is to be expected. I think these
quality ဝီးဖြစ်ချက်တွေရနော် TI မှာတော့တကယ်
the same.
အင်္ဂါတွေချင်းညံသွားတဲ့
She could be
player တယောက်အနေနဲ့စာမွေးတွေကတော့လွယ်ကူနေတယ်လို့ပဲ
all this, but there's so much damage that's coming out from Vision that Chira is going to have to be
အင်္ဂါ
careful.
တွေချင်းညံသွားတဲ့ចောင်းသားလေးတယောက်
Perfect. He's got saves. He's got Stampede. He's got the
Fair,
Tombstone
fair.
in the early game before.
ပြန်တော့ N9 အော်ရောင်တောက်လျှောက်ပဲ no one ပြတ်ပြီးနေ
As well as the blood grenade.
Bushwhack.
Bushra ပြတ်ပြီးနော်ဂျီယာဂျူနီယာနဲ့ roll လဲရအောင်မယ် အမေအောက်မှာကျွန်တော် keeper roll လာလူမှာလား
Taken down the blast.
အော်ရဒီဘက်မှာ
Junior will lose his courier to 9 class.
He's got another blast. Is he going to get this connection?
I mean, that would be pretty crazy.
Parivision မရဘူးအိုး that 9 class ရောက်ရေ
9 class.
keeper တော်ကောင်းနေလို့နော်ပွဲကပုံမှန်ဆိုအားလီတော်တာမှာ Yandex က keeper ကေးတွေလိုက်ယူနေတာလေကွာ
Annoying down bottom lane, and now he's come over to
Told
mid.
ya,
He's
man.
only just gone and helped take out Chira Jr., who was having a fantastic time in the lane.
မင်းအဲ့တော့ keeper ရဲ့ network ရအဲ့လို core network နီးပါးလောက်ဖြစ်နေမှာအခုချိန်မှာ
Is ahead of his
ဟော Holy Locker တွေပါစောစီးသွားမယ် 9 class
able to find.
ကိုယ်တဲ့ចောင်းသားလေးပြနေတာ
The worst support hero to have this sort of boosted network.
keeper နဲ့ mid ကိုပါလာကန်အောင်
reason why we see Cold Core as well sometimes. This hero can do a lot with the
9 class is doing it
Absurd amount with this holy locket for
ဟိုမှာ
sure.
ပန်ကိုရဲ့ network အပေါ်မှာ keeper miss ဆော့လိုက်မလားပန်ကိုဒီမှာနော်
Targets in this game.
တပူလာပါရပြန်ပြောင်းပြီးတော့မှာ Holy Locker လည်းနီးနေပြီ
Notice is able to get that extra farm. He's matching the farm as a Slardar versus the TB lane and Undying. So very good start here for the side of Vision. But Lina, as you see Chira still at the top. All right. Yeah, we all love to see this.
Gonna do the classic bear things here around the wisdom.
Yep.
ချိန်လာဆွဲတာ
This is
ကွာ
because I was actually just speaking with Arteezy in the backstage too about this, but it's because he's won his lane. He's able to just play.
ကျောင်းမမှန်တဲ့စာမကနော်ဒီဘက် drop ကတော့ Yandex ပဲ drop အနေထားကတော့
Pretty even on the numbers though here, but it is this Pango, right? No one. Very tough entry into the game. He's gonna need some help.
I mean, where's that help gonna come from?
9 class.
Just 9 class being constantly ready to swing over to mid, throw out a few blasts.
It's a chakras blast and then it's just stacks, right? If they can get some of these stacks in order for him, that can also be really nice. Of course, Coddle being one of the best ones to be able to set up those stacks for something like the Pango. So I'd like to see some stacks being formed from Vision.
ကဲတော့ချိန်နေက no one level 5အေးထပ်ပါရှော1ပြောဖို့မကောင်း
Nice on the mid again.
ကဲ no one တဲတန်မဲတော့မှာ oh damage အောက်မှာ no one raise တော့မဲအောင်ရေဒီဘက်က 9 class ဆေးဆိုစားပေးသွားသေးလို့ချိန်နေက
Class will be able to get away, but the pain and suffering continuing for no one here in this mid lane on the Pango.
This is going to be very
ဟို
early.
မကြီးရအောင်ရေဘာတွေလောင်နေလဲမသိဘူးလေ
Map. And the tower too.
It's going to be gone here. 8 minutes in.
Kyle is trying for the deny.
They know he's there. Ooh,
Oh,
nearly gets
that
it,
was-
but
wow,
I think
he-
rolls a little low there on the right click.
0 damage.
And
no
now
way
gone.
လောင်မြိုက်နေတယ်
Couldn't be going any better really. There for Chira Jr.
ဒီဘက်ကခဏနဲ့လောရခဏနည်းနည်းနောက်ကျနေသလား
When you get an early tower
two
like
နဲ့
this,
လောက်
two
လိုက်အောင်
regular
ရှင်းလိုက်အောင်
behind,
မင်း
you can start contesting those potential stacks as well. You know that they're probably going to start forming those. Malady walks in the triangle, puts a sentry down to block some of the counts and checks something out. He's going to get instantly dewarded, but they are aware of the move that Vision is doing.
အခုတော့မရလေအဲ့လိုလေရေးရပေးရသေးတယ်ငါတို့တိတ်ကိုရေလို့
He's going to be able to steal these away.
ဟုတ်ရင် game 1 ပြီးမှနည်းနည်းနောက်ကျ
Very, very fast timing. That only sort of hiccup being caught by that Illuminate from 9 class outside of that, but it needs itself. Chira Jr. mid lane. Malady tries to
ဒီဘက်မှာမလေးချက်စားလေးအောင်မသိပါဘူး
Tombstone might get the last hit. He will. Didn't want to commit for any type of kill. No one does not want to die. Again, at this point in the game, he's trying to catch back up. The
ကဲရ
bear looks like it will be just fine.
Yeah, they don't want to chase it too much here, even with Chira Jr. They'll return back over the mid lane. Get that. That's been an easy start for Chira Jr. mid lane.
အော်တောင်းကြီးကိုပြန်ရောက်သွားတယ် what the fuck
And up to 3 of them
အာ
here.
တော့ငါဆက်ခွက်လာပြောင်းနေတယ်အောင်ဒီကောင်ကြီးနားလေးဘရိုတို့ရေနော်နောက်ကျနေမှာဆိုလို့
Didn't want to commit for any type of kill. No one does not want to die. Again, at this point in the game, he's
နော
trying
က်ကြီးကိုပြန်ရွှေ့ပလိုက်ပါတယ်တဲ့ကျေးဇူးတင်တယ်
Too much even with Chira Jr. They'll return back over the mid lane. Get that. Well, Stevie down to win.
That's a clever move here from Vision. Instead of parting on their side here, they're playing in a more aggressive, unexpected position. 9 class now, he's level 6. Pretty early, they does have the spirit form available for the solar line. Could look
တိတ်ကိုရစ်တယ်လို့ပြန်ရစ်ကတပွဲပြီးသွား
has a bailout if they do get caught here. Bear, gotta be able to kill it.
I mean, some nice little moves there from Sax. Was coming in with the body blocks to make sure that Bear was held in position long enough to buy time for Chira Jr. to swing over and get involved with taking the Bear down.
Chira's gonna be so far in this game. If he continues with this trajectory,
And that's scary.
It
This
is.
is Alina. And Alina quite the hero right now at this international.
and he has heroes to be able to go in first.
ကဲရပါပြီနော်ရစ်လို့ပြီးတိတ်ကိုလေးရစ်လို့ပြီးမှာတော့ပြန်ကြည့်လို့ရ
He has the Centaur, has the Undying. Maybe not the overall craziest amount of initiation.
ဘာကြိုက်လဲကိုကဟိုရန်တက်ထည့်ပြီးသွားပြီခုမှထည့်ရင်တော့တိတ်မတန်တော့ကိုက 2.3 လား 2.4 လားရတယ်ကိုတော့
And the scaling of this.
Well, then it's not in there, so no one make a little fee one.
If you get away with this early,
Okay, now we're at 2K.
10 minutes in, they've already taken 2.
အဲ့တော့ဒီဘက်မှာ no one level 6ပဲရှိသေးတယ်ကွာမဖေးတာအလုံးကြီး
That top spot on the net worth. No one having to still do his best to try and catch back up.
ဒီလေးလေးသာရရတဲ့ like ဒါမဲ့တော့လုံး true ရိုက်ဖို့က terror play ကြီးတော့လုံး true ရိုက်ရင်နာပါမလားအဲ့ဒါလည်းစင်းတော့စင်းသားမယ်
He's kind of playing the mid.
terror play က physical လေးဆိုအဲ့လောက် view ဆိုင်တာမဟုတ်
Super early timing for his blink dagger on the Slardar to look to accelerate things. And the Lina
လာတူလောင်းနေတယ်မဟုတ် TI ကចောင်းမမှန်တက်လို့ပါចောင်းမမှန်တက်တော့စာလေးအရန်လွယ်တယ်ဘာမှမဟုတ်ဘာမှမဟုတ်ဘူး
like this. A 2K lead now for the side of Yandex.
အဲ့တော့နောက်လာမဲ့ dream league တွေပါလေဒီလိုចောင်းမမှန်တက်လိုက်မယ်ဆိုရင်နော်ပြီးပါပြီ
Vision, at the least, have been able to keep Satanic out of the danger. He's now outside of losing that tier 1 tower in his safe lane. Still able to farm pretty safely without any.
အဲ red dodo ပဲကြောက်ကမယ် drop ကတော့ချလို့မလွယ်ဘူး Parivision drop ကအဲ red dodo ကိုပဲကြောက်က
Watson also now at this point is starting to accelerate himself.
ကဲဒီဘက်မှာချီယာဂျူနီယာ travel နဲ့
Botanic.
These two
ဝက်ရရင်ဝက်ကိုတက်ရောက်နော်အခြေအနေကတော့
continue this pressure.
ဒီဘက်ကတော့မြက်တာသွားတာဆိုတော့အစောပိုင်းကတော့ Yandex ကတော့ပြဲမှာပဲ
The fact that DM also able to get that top one is important.
It's just with these creeps. He'll have. So would you imagine this blink dagger comes out? They're straight away looking to make moves.
Oh yeah, definitely gonna look to be aggressive with this one. He didn't even go like the soul ring.
နော်ဒီနေ့သူတို့က terror blade တွေစော့ကြမယ်
Some soul rings picked up.
ချစ်ပွဲလိုက်ရတယ်
Play around with afterwards.
ဒီ game ပါရီပဲတဲ့ညီလေးကိုအားကိုးရမှာလားကြည့်မယ်လေနော်ညီလေးရဲ့လုံးတို့ရိုက်နိုင်မလားပေါ့
I mean, yeah, he's
ဒီနေ့တော့မစိုးပါဘူးဒါပေမဲ့ညီလေးပုံမှန်နှောက်တော့မဟုတ်ပုံမှန်သိရမှာညီလေးနှောက်ဆိုတာတက်တက်ရှိတယ်နော်ဟိုဘက်ကယ်တွေနှောက်တစ်ထောင်ဖျက်ရမှာဒီနေ့ကတော့ညီလေးနှောက်တော့ဖြစ်မနေဘူးညီလေးက
that no one can't at the moment.
Night class is still very high.
ဒီလေးဖမ်းမင်းသူတို့တိုင်းအောက်ရောက်နေတဲ့တဲ့ကိုရန်တက်ဆိုပြောလိုက်လို့များလားညီလေးပါဖမ်းမင်းနဲ့မဖမ်းနိုင်တော့ဘူးအခုနောက်ပွဲဆိုလည်းကေးတွေမထားတော့ဘူးနော်
A big difference maker in these early engagements, and here comes the smoke. I'm really happy.
ကဲတော့လောလောဆယ်စမုံဒီဘက်မှာ Slaughter ဒက်ကာလေးနဲ့
They need.
You don't need the mana.
ဒီပညာရရင်တော့မစိုး
You don't want to be able to. You don't want to slow the pace of the game down.
Yeah, you can go back for it, but right
Sure.
now, right here, they need this blink dagger timing, and they need something big with it to sort of shake up what's been for the most part a pretty smooth.
ကဲလောလောဆယ်ဒီဘက်မှာ Sandor
Yandex getting the objectives that they'd hoped for.
အော်စတန်ဘီရဲ့ဂျာမှာမပြတ်သွားဘူးရောက်ရေးနော်ပြေးပြီ ပြေးပြီအမေဆိုင်မှာလားဟိုဘက်မှာ Undying ဖိတ်နေတာကဲ Terror Blade နောက်မှာဖုန်းနေအောက်မှာတော့စစ်ချမ်းနေစားတော့ပြစ်ခံနေရပြီးတော့ပဲထောက်ရှောက်ပြန်ဘတ်မှာတော့ရမယ်ဒူကလစ်ကတော့ကျုံတော့ကျုံသွားပြီဒီဘက်မှာ Blast Off နဲ့ဝင်သွားတဲ့နောက်မှာပဲကဲဒူကလစ်တော့ပေးလိုက်ရတယ်နော်အဲ့ Terror Blade ကြီးအဖြစ်သိမ်းမရှိအိုးပန်ကိုစတေးလာသေးတယ်ဟိုဘက်မှာပြပါအောင်ပန်ကို rolling ဆိုပြီး nowhere pitch တွေအောက်မှာပဲထပ်တော့ရှော့သွားခဲ့ရသေးတယ်ဒီနေ့ငါတို့ကိုကြီး nowhere စိတ်မပါဘူးဖြစ်နေတယ်ဟိုအဲဒီဘက်မှာလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ rolling 3နေနဲ့ Terror Blade damage ကို short တွက်လိုက်တော့ပြတ်သွားပြီ
goes horribly wrong. They don't get it.
nowhere တောက်လျှောက်တော့ misplay တွေဖြစ်နေတယ်ဒီနေ့
Two heroes themselves.
အဲ့တော့ဒါကတော်တော်သတိထားမိတဲ့အချက်ဟိုအသက်ကြီးတဲ့ player တွေကြောင့်လားမသိဘူးဟိုရှေ့ဘောတွေမှာလည်း nowhere ရဲ့ misplay တွေကတော်တော်များလာတာ Parivision မှာအရင်နဲ့မတူဘူး
It's a hard one to really.
ဟိုမမရဖြစ်တာဆိုတော့ backbone နဲ့ game 2ဆိုလည်းလုံးဝပွဲရနိုင်နေပြီသူ့ရဲ့ misplay နှစ်ခါနဲ့ပြန်ရှုံးသွားတာတွေနော်
I love that move that he does. Gets involved. Something you
အဲ့
don't
တော့
see.
ဒီပွဲလေသူ့ရဲ့ misplay တွေကတော့များတော့များတယ်အခုလဲကျွန်တော်တို့
Early, I feel like.
အဲ့တော့ play ရဲ့အဲ့လို physical damage ကို short တွက်လိုက်တယ် short သွားပြီ
He knows if the meta's up and there's some action going on around the twin gate, he'll be there.
Very strong at this point.
Grimly အားတဲ့ကြောင်းမှန်လဲလူကြီး
No, in mid lane, Saksa will go down.
Grimly တော့သူကမေးချင်တာမေးတာကြုံစားလို့တော့မရဘူးဖြစ်ချင်တာဖြစ်တယ်
That puts the pressure on. So
ဒီမှာဘေးပြောကသရိုးတာတွေပါရှိတယ်
This is a big rune. No,
EA ကြတော့နည်းနည်းစူးစမ်းပြီးဆော့မှာဆိုတော့ drop ကြည့်လိုက်ပြီးကျန်တာကတို့ဘာညာမှန်းလို့ရ
DM getting into a more careful positioning.
အပွဲလေးချေးပြပြချင်းနေရှိုးလိုက်မယ်ဘရိုတူကတော်တော်လူကပြိုင်းသွားလို့
It's fine for notice.
ပုံမှန်တော့သိရတိုင်းနော်ပွဲတိုင်းပြတယ်
Item on the Slaughter, we'll have that one finished up. It is continuing to beat on the mid tower. This is
ကဲတော့
surprising.
တာဝါလေးတော့ပြန်ရမယ်ဒီမှာ Slaughter နော်ကျွန်တော် Dagger ရတယ်တော့ notice
Slaughter being able to get.
တတ်နိုင်လောက်တော့အသိအောင်ကူညီဖို့တော့စူးစမ်းနေတာပဲပွဲရ
There's nobody wanted to swing over for a moment.
Taxer and Chiro Jr. will turn up. Make sure that Team Vision.
Terror Blade ကတော့ Manda ရတော့မယ်အဲ့တော့ညီလေးရုံအောင်စမ်းတက်ပြီနော်ညီလေး
Solid here for
ဒီပွဲကသူတကောင်လောက်ပဲနည်းနည်းစင်ပြေပြေဖြစ်တယ်
Having a great entry into this game. Level 12 has been hit.
They're ready to go here. Mine was laid down though.
အေးစေးပေါ်တယ်ညီလေးကစောသေးတယ်ဟောညီလေးတစ်ပေါက်တော့ကြံအောင်မယ်ဟိုဘက်က
Going on in
သိရ
terms.
တိုင်းတော့ Scepter တွေပါရလာရင်လုံးတို့က
Should be careful.
ခန်းကန်တာရှုပ်လို့မရဘူး Slaughter Crush နဲ့
See how greedy Noticed is as he tempted for the wave. Hanging around a little.
separate ပွဲကမပြဖို့များတယ် bro ကျွန်တော်တော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးလူက
Be ready with the blinks.
ပြိုင်းနေလို့
Gonna be found there with that smoke.
Most of the aggressive.
ငါကမှထောက်သွားတာလည်းပါတယ်မူကြီးကနည်းနည်းအဲ့လိုတန်ဖိုးကြသွားခွာ
Once again involved, right? It's going to be revolving around Saksa getting a bushwhack connection.
I mean,
Well, for Vision, I feel like
ကျွန်တော် TI play off တွေတပွဲမှမပြမလို့ပါဘူးတဲ့မှာ game 1တွေပါတယ်တော့အစိကန်သွားတာဘာညာလောက်နေပဲရှေ့မှာတပွဲလို့
From Yandex Vision, they want to
ဒီနှစ်ကတော့ TI တော်ပွဲပြပြတယ်ကဲ Waxan တော့အချိုးအချောင်းတစ်ကောင်ရမလား
for the Pango and they
ကဲဒီဘက်မှာ Waxan စားတော့တွေ့ပြီဒါပေမဲ့ stand မရှိဘူးဆိုရင်တော့မဆန်တော့လဲလိုက်ပြီးတော့နောက်က pan ကို roll လေ dodge ပြင်မရတော့ဘူးဒီဘက်မှာ Waxan တော်တော်နာနေတယ်ဆိုတော့အိုးချစ်မ stand ပြီးကြမှာပဲ melody ပြန်မတိုးပေးတော့တယ် notice ပြတ်သွားခဲ့ရပြီးတော့ပဲကျွန်တော် Parivision သွားပြီးပုံလေးအောက်မှာ 2 click တက်ရှော့သွားပြီးတော့ပဲကျွန်တော် Undying double game နဲ့ပဲเนาะ Terror Blade တော့အဖြစ်မရှိဘူးအဲ့ဒါပြောတာ damage ကအဲ့လိုအကုန်လုံးက physical တွေများနေတဲ့နောက်မှာ is เนาะ center မှာလဲခွင့်ရပြီးတော့ ကဲကျွန်တော် Parivision လို့အားလုံးကထင်နေကြပါမယ် game 1ကတော့တော်တော်တော့ကောက်သွားပြီ
any of the games.
Their movements are getting read, and just the overall spell casting from Yandex is far superior. That quick sunder was genius.
Just
Right? Some
straight
people
away.
would hesitate for it. Nope. Again, no hesitation from Watson.
Yep.
Survives. Team is there to back up. Instant responses. They are not hesitating on those responses. They want to take every fight.
ကဲ note ဆင်းလာတဲ့ရောက်ရင် terribly found အောက်ကပြတ်တာနားတယ်
Cautious. Watson's pretty terrifying.
And it's cool that they're doing this, right?
ကဲတော့ no လေကျွန်တော်ဒီဘက်မှာနော်
is not going to play. He is
တဲကတော့
going to
တော့တော့ပါနေအဲ့တော့ညီလေးဆက်အလုံးမှပဲကြည့်ရမှာအခုကတော့ထုံးစံတိုင်းလုံးထွတ်တွေက AFK ဖမ်းရတဲ့အချိန်ဆိုတော့ဒါကြောင့်လည်းပါပါတယ်နည်းနည်းဆိုင်ရတဲ့အပိုင်းတွေက၄ယောက်၅ယောက်လို့ဖြစ်အဲ့တော့နောက်ပိုင်းညီလေးကျွန်တော်တို့ Scepter လောက်ပြပြီးတော့တည်းမှာ one နဲ့လာ join မင်းတော့မစိုး
Can't get that finish up onto Watson.
I mean, how strong is the Lone Druid in this overall sort of outlook of this game when you look at
အဲ့ပြပါဝီးရဲ့တင်စားတာ okay ဗျာကျွန်တော်တက်နိုင်ဆုံးဘာညာလုပ်ပြီးတော့နော်အဆင်ပြေတော့ကျွန်တော်တက်ခဲ့
make a few kind of rough moves. This Lone Druid is going to carry us, so is that not necessarily the case here?
I do think it still can. Absolutely. It is a pretty dirty game for the Lone Druid because he's got the Amplify. If he didn't have
အဲ့မှာဝဲ energy drain နဲ့ဟုတ်ပါနဲ့ကောင်မလေးပြပြီးပြင်မှာတမင်းနဲ့စားပြီးတော့ဆောင်းပြရင်ကွာ
I would say different, but
တဲ့မှာရင်ထဲဆန်တိုင်းတကူလက်လွတ်လိုက်ကြတယ်တဲ့မှာတီအိုင်းကမူကြီးတော့အောက်ကွာ
evaporated.
So there
Definitely
is
still the-
an element of space created throughout these kind of moves that
ကဲညီလေးလည်း fan တော့ fan တော့နောက်တော့အရင်ကမကွာပါဘူး900နော်အစုံနေတဲ့ဘက်က carry ဆိုပေမဲ့ညီလေးကတော့ညီလေးပဲဟုတ်လား
Two back-to-back
Come
ones
on.
that don't work.
fan မရတော့ကြံသေးတယ်
Maybe do slow down a little bit. Let the plays come to them. Have to see how they want to react. No one does have a blink dagger himself, but he is so
yeah.
fragile, Owen. This is a 1200 HP Pango at this point versus
ခုမှတည်းမတန်တော့ဘူးကွာရန်တက်ကို 2.7 လောက်တည်းပြော
it's going to get even easier, obviously, once
Bruh,
Watson's got the
PPG.
Dragon Lance. Anytime he's able to put the Metamorphosis, stand his ground with the illusions, you can't be rolling anywhere close to him when you're.
အမမရရှင်းပွဲမှာတော့ Parivision 8 traveling နိုင်တော့ဘောင်းနီယာနာပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါတော့ camp ပတ်ပြီးနိုင်လာတယ်
strongest hero on the map.
အဲ့ဒီပွဲလေးတစ်ခုရှိရတော့ high ground တစ်ပေါက်တော့ကျဲမယ် keeper tactics နဲ့နော်ပြော
Perfection.
FME နိုင်အောင်မလားဗျာဒါပေမဲ့ပြဿနာတော့ no one midfield ကတော့ပို့ဆိုးရချဘူး
To be on the aggressive frontier, Soxa scouting things out. DM Lotus is finished. DM's just chilling and farming. Gonna go back for a blink dagger this game now. Not a game where you go hard, of course.
အာဖန်တော့သူပဲနောက်ပွဲ
Kind of after later, but you want to go for these.
မ view အားတော့နည်းနည်းနဲသွားတယ်လို့ပဲအကုန်လုံးသိရမယ်ငကမာပွဲကြည့်ပြီးပင်မန်းဟော
9 class looks like he's scouting. Does get the information of where the word is with that. That was actually pretty smart.
Let's have Vision want to try.
ကဲဟိုမှာစန်တော့ဒီမှာထုတ်ဖို့တော့ချောင်းနေတာစမုံနဲ့
That's the chakra.
အတိုင်းရလဲကျွန်တော်ဖိတ်ဖို့တော့ ready ပဲကဲဒီဘက်မှာစပြီးစန်တော့မစောင်းတောင်းနေဒီကဘာမှလုပ်လို့မရတော့ပန်ကို rolling
Now the turn.
ကဲကျန်နေကအန်တိုင်းလေးပဲဟဲမှရမယ်
They'll bring Satanic
Oh, we know,
on
and
the
I-
in this, and that will grant Satanic the kill.
ကဲဒီ
So
ဘက်မှာဒီအောင်ပြေးလို့ချင်တာမရဘူးကစန်တော့ကတော်တော်တောင်းနေ lotus အော်ရော
So deep forward. Vision though, trying to get these connections multiple times now with the blinks. Sure, they'll get an undying kill, but they really want to try to get a.
ဟုတ်တယ် separate drop နဲ့ separate တော့ဟာလေစန်တော့လီနာတဲတော့ပလိပဲ အဲ့သုံးအောင်မိုက်တော့မိုက်တယ်ဒီလား damage ကလည်းကိတ်ချ
that one where 9 class was able to clip Chira Jr.
အဲ့တော့အဲ့မှာ level gas လေ
Outside of that, the cause of Yandex standing strong.
And now Yandex, it feels like it's easier for them to make aggressive moves themselves. To call it.
ကဲ Laguna Blade 10 shot ရောက်ရင်
On Chira Jr., they have the blink dagger now in the centaur too. I feel like they can start ramping up the aggression themselves.
အဲ့ Lina နဲ့ဟူဝင်နော်
Even though the reactions have been.
ကဲ Satanic ကဒီဘက်မှာကျွန်တော်တို့ Scepter တော့ရပြီခဏနေအဲ့တော့ Red Toto တွေနော် Ballet Join တွေအဓိကအဲ့ T1 တွေတော့မကြိုးသေးဘူးဆိုတော့
On the top side.
Parivision နဲ့အဲ့ Tower တွေဘာလဲပြန်ချိုးဖို့လိုတယ်မတ်မှုကို
Satanic. Still hoping that.
ဒီပွဲကကိုကရန်တက်ပဲကြိုက်တယ်ပါရီတော့မကမ်းဘက်တော့ဘူးတင်တာပဲဒီပွဲ
I mean, now he can get
အဲ့တော့ လုံးသူက Terra Blade ကိုတိုင်းလောက်ဘူးချဘူး
This is done, but DM, as we said.
ပြီးတော့ Mid ကလည်း fail ရတာဆိုတော့နှစ်ယောက်တစ်ယောက်ကလည်းကျုံးအောင်မယ်ဆိုတော့လွယ်လောက်ဘူး
Heroes can just die in an instant. Notice.
ကဲလောတဲ့ဟိုဘက်မှာ notice မိပြီ
Stampede
Ten
to
yo.
surround him. Nothing to be done.
Okay, no one out there that may only rolling throwing and those bad little bit chini up.
Squad. Watson is there with meta.
I mean, yeah,
Turn on.
that's the thing, right? He knows.
Oh,
that
them
he's
phone
down
there,
on
what
the
they do
ground.
about you,
Can't
yeah?
Really roll in.
Yandex, one step ahead. It feels like this game. Tower as well.
Yeah, 20 minutes in. On to tier 2 here.
The Satanic want to get involved with the bear. He's just far.
ဒီအိမ်ဆိုတာပြောလို့တော့မရသေးဘူးเนาะပါရီမြလိုဝဆင်းသွားမလားပေါ့
Halfway expended.
အမေရန်တက်ကိုတော့ချန်ပီယံမဖြစ်စေချင်ဘူးပြောမိတာပြောတာ
Get them off the tower. Unless
ညီလေးဖမ်းမိတော့ညီလေးဖမ်းမိမယ်เนาะဘယ်လိုပဲဖြစ်ဖြစ်
Trying to get the blast from the angle, but too many
ခြေ
illusions.
နေရရှိနေသေးတယ်
Relic
ကဲဝက်ကိုတတ်ဖို့ကွာဟိုမှာလေဘူးတကာကြီး
Finish the tier 2 mid.
He did warm up yesterday on that Terrorblade. He ended up not winning that game with it, but he was.
ပြန်တော့ရိုက်ပြီပြန်တော့ရိုက်ပြီဒီဘက်မှာစစ်ချက်နဲ့
It
One that
was.
they nearly did
ဟော
win.
လေးဘတင်လိုက်ပြီနော်နောက်
He
မှာ
hunted a
ကဲ
blood grenade.
ဝက်တကောင်တော့နေတော့အချိန်ကြာနေဟိုဘက်ကပြန်လိုက်လာပြီနော်Slaughter Crash ဒီလေးဝက်ကလည်းသေးမဲ့နေတော့မပေါ့အဲ့ဒါမှလီနာထားခဲ့လိုက်တော့ကျွန်တော်အန်တိုင်းအောင်ဆုံးနော်ပြတ်တော့ပြောက်သွားခဲ့ရတယ်
I think he actually turned and denied it before
ဟိုဘက်
dying.
မှာတယ်ရာဘလစ်ကိုထပ်မိသွားမလားနော်ကျွန်တော်ပန်ကိုတောက်လျှောက်ပြန်ရှာနေတယ်
Instantly respawn, so can't look.
They want more.
စန်တော့
They
ရ
want
ပြီ
tier 2 to get the jump
နော်ကျွန်တော်ပြန်မလို့မရဘူး Parivision နော်ဒီဘက်ကလည်းကျွန်တော်ဂျုံနာနဲ့တော့ကြိတ်မလားအိုးရဲဂျီနာစပေးနာကြပဲချီယာဂျူနီယာ physical တောက်လျှောက်ချက်ပေးဆိုပေမဲ့လို့အဲ့နောက်မှာ Slaughter Crash ရသေးလား and dying sorry he မရဘူးရောက်ရေး Parivision ကျွန်တော်ဒီဘက်က Terror Blade form မကြည့်တဲ့အချိန်လေးမှာပြေးစတိုင်လိုက်ပြီးတော့ပဲနော်
too much here.
ရပန်ကိုရတယ်ဆိုပေမဲ့ Parivision တော့လည်းတော်တော်ကြီးပိုင်းသွားတယ်ပတ်တယ်ပဲဒီဘက်တွေကတော့
No one's already having a tough game. The job's done though. They get both
ဒီနာစိတ်မရှိတာဟဲ့ပြန်လုတ်ချင်သိမ်းများ
This stampede.
အော်တကောင်ချင်းစီတယ် what the fuck
for more. Gets the jump on a man.
အော်ရန်တက်ကမပတ်ပါဘူးတဲ့အဲ့နိုင်ရဲ့အဲ့နောက်မှာတက်ရွာ
Finding their footing here
ကဲ
now.
ပွဲရတော့နောက်အရင်တော့မကွာဘူး 2K နော် 1K နောက်ပြန်မြောက်သွားပြီ
During that whole entire situation, it was still on.
Now
Kuba,
what up, yeah,
taking
fair,
advantage of it perfectly, getting the double cold kill sandwiching. It looked nice from Chira. He does.
ဟောဝကြည့်တော့ပါသူမင်းပြောတဲ့ clip တွေပါတယ်ကြည့်ပြီးတော့ပို့ပြီးတော့ fight ပြောက်သွား
Now able to get involved, gets himself a kill. He almost has that Shadow Blade finished up, and that's really the biggest scare for Yandex, is when the Lina can just start getting hunted.
ဒီက Terror Blade form မရှိတော့ဘူးနော်ဒီနည်းနည်း
Yeah, the bear's
No
going
one
to be
feel
scary. Not that there was ever going to be any doubt when it's in the hands of Satanic.
အဲ့ Parivision အကောင်းဆုံးဖြစ်နေတဲ့အဲ့ map move ကိစ္စကလေနော် Puppy ဘယ်လို trainer လဲတော့မသိဘူးစောင်းမိုက်တယ်အဲ့ map move က
Very careful with that.
But Watson going for stats, going for the Scotty again in this game. There is some healing that is going to be coming in, of course, from the Coddle. The slowdown also versus Slardar and versus Pango is good. The
ခုမှ
stats
မှာ round 3ကနေရန်တက်က smoke တွေကောက်
could be
လို့
a strong pickup for him. Maybe goes for the butterfly next since he is playing versus these physical cores. Could be an option for him.
Yandex straight back out with the smoke. DM, Saxa, ready to lead the charge.
He's
They've
the most-
got
yeah, Pan
Tyranny
Nip here, there's
coming
some
in to
most-
fight the burst right behind them.
Feels like every time Yandex they have Stampede at the ready, they're in a very good position to either look for aggressive or defensive plays. But if they do, if Vision can bait the Stampede, they can always look for these aggressive plays and get these kills.
Yeah, because at this moment, outside of that, not the easiest way is to get this Lina out of the fight.
No, not yet. They have the Tombstone, of course, right? They do have that shard that was picked up.
ကဲတော့ညီလေးကတော့ saver ash
Quite
နော်
some
ဒီ
time
ပွဲ
until there's an Aghanims for the Centaur, so really
အင်း
is
နေ
just
ပြီး
that
ပါပြ trainer မှာတကယ်မိုက်တယ်သူတို့ map move တွေကတော့ရှေ့ဘက်ဘုံနဲ့ပွဲတော့လည်းအတိုင်းပဲတို့အဲ့တော့ဒီကူလေတော့အောင်လဲအောင်ကတိုးလေးနှိုက်ချင်တက်စား
Gonna find
က
Saxa.
ပန်ကို rolling ရပြီနော်အဲ့ကျုံရင်ကျုံနေတော့ကျုံမှရမှာ
He's down, no one finishes the kill.
These next 5 minutes feel like the most dangerous time
Yeah.
for the side of
Oh,
Yandex.
the
If they
map's
just
getting
start to
scary.
အဲ့မေးစလာလာ BKB တော့ပွဲရနော်ဒီဘက်က
very scary.
နောက်ဝတွေတော့တော်တော်ပြန်မြောက်သွားတယ်
Taking a big blast there, 9 class. Trying to force the Stampede. They might just
ကဲပေါ်မှာလဲစလာလာတောက်လျှောက်တွေရိုက်ဖို့တော့ကြိုးစားနေတယ်
To help him get away.
any
ကဲရန်ဒတ်ကတော့နည်းနည်းလေးပြန်တော့ပြေးနေရတဲ့အနေဒါပဲ and dying တော့ tombstone
Tombstone. It's a little bit more complicated for Vision if they want to try and push on for the kill, and they'll hold
ကဲ
back.
စန်တော့ဖတ်တော့ရေ
forcing a lot of reactions though. Oh, in the meantime, Satanic starting to get the push on bottom. Watson looking for the bear. Can't go for it.
This bear is going to be so annoying. We're seeing it
It is.
already. Satanic.
ကိုတော့ရန်ဒတ်ပဲကြိုက်တယ်ဒီဘက် drop ကတော့
Heads of Yandex
ဘူးကလည်းကိုရမျှတဲ့အခြေအနေပြန်ဖြစ်သွားတာ
Really catch the bear. It keeps
ဘလို့
showing
နေ
up.
သွားတာမဟုတ်ကိုရတတဲပဲအခုတည်တယ်
They can't really react quick enough to ever kind of punish this sort of play. That the power of the lone druid very much in show here.
And I would say overall, right, when you look at it, the bear a little, not like so much so, but more enabled than the Terrorblade is because of the minus armor with his draft in comparison to the TB.
တင်းရှင်းပြောင်းတော့နောက်နေ့တည်း okay ပါတော့ TI တော့ရှိမှာပဲထားရှိနေတယ်တော့
It's just a
TI ပွဲတွေတိုင်းပြမယ်ဟုတ်လားတခြားပွဲတွေမပြတော့ရင်တော့
These heroes too, right? The bear feels like it can be everywhere, whereas with the Terror
အခုတိကတော့တခြားပွဲတွေလည်းပြနေပါသေးတယ်
particular about when you want to turn up and get involved into the fight.
ကျွန်တော်လည်းနိုင်မှာကိုအဲ့တော့ရန်တက်ကြိုက်တယ်ဒီဘက် drop ကို
Turn up a lot of times bear.
Long through net Terrorblade ကျွန်တော် Terrorblade ဘက်မှာနေချင်
And Watson,
Up and
so
down the
far,
map.
he's been very solid in this game.
He has.
But has to be very careful with these next upcoming moments, it feels.
It does just feel that much harder for him, even though
ရန်တက်အကောင့်20ပြတ်နိုင်ပါတယ်ကိုရမျှနေတာဆိုကျုံကြောင်မှနှစ်သိန်းဒီဘက်မှာ
once
ပန်ကိုကတော့တော်တော် recover ပြတ်သွားတယ်နှုံးကဒီဘက်မှာ
absolutely
တပ်တာပါရအောင်
Terrorblade, but it does feel like it's that much more difficult to execute the game plan perfectly as opposed to this lone druid
ဟိုမှာရရင်မလာတေးကိုနိုင်အောင်မယ်တင်တယ်
through the international.
No one, Aghanim
ဒီမှာတန်းပြတ်သွားမလားအန်တိုင်းရင်နောက်ဆုံး tombstone လေးတော့ရတော့ရသွားစစ်တန်းနဲ့
Tombstone.
share ရိုက်ပဲအချိန်ကြီးဆိုင်မှာဒီဘက်မှာ Lina ပန်ကို rolling နေအောက်မှာပဲ Terror Blade stand ကန်လိုက်ရပြီတောက်လျှောက်ကဲ Manda Center ရသေးလား oh stand ချက်တည်ချာမှာပဲနောက်ဆုံးပြတ်သွားပြီဟေး Manda Center တော့မရတော့ဘူးဒီရင်ကြီးကဘယ်ရောက်နေတာအခုမှရောက်လာတယ်တဲ့ဒီကဲ3 man down ဘောရအသားကြီးဆိုပေမဲ့ဗတဲ့ကဆိုင်လို့မရဘူးဖြစ်နေတယ်နော်အချိန်ကြီးကတော့ဒီဘက်က long throw ဆက်တရတွေကကျွန်တော်တို့ Yandex တော်တော်ကြီးတိုင်ပတ်
The bear, the might.
လူမညူးဖြစ်နေတာဟောနော်အချိန်ကြီးက
Notice just rushes the BKB. Watson's like, I got nobody to go for a Sunder play here. It's just a bear, 2 heroes that are immune.
လူမညူးဖြစ်နေတယ် Grosha မှာပြန်ပေးရပြီကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီလောက်မဖေးတဲ့ပွဲအောင်တိုင်ပတ်နေ
Without that tombstone, they don't really have.
Saver ကတော့မဟုတ်ဟိုဟာ break foot တော့မဟုတ်သူကအဲ့ shadow blade အကြာကြီးဖျောက်ရှင်တော့
Concerning time for them. This timing when the bear is able to get this shadow blade. Now he's got Silver Edge on top too with the axe. They're hunting.
ဒီရင်ကသူလည်းမဆိုင်လို့ပဲဒီရင်လောက်ရှင်တော်တော်လေးမသေးတော့ဘူး
Is going back for some armor items. Feels like he needs it. Not
ဟုတ်ပါမမှုကြီးကွာဘာမှလုပ်လို့မရ
Usually they go for that full aggression, so this is already a pivot that perhaps he didn't want to have to do in this game, but something that's necessary versus all this minus armor.
No, I mean, because it's just one of those sort of situations in which when you pick the Lina, right, you just don't want to have to itemize for this because this is not where you want to play it. But as was mentioned in the draft, this was just sort of the sacrifice Chira Jr. was going to have to make in the overall game plan to sort of make the
ဝိပဿနာကြအေးကွာဒီပွဲအသာကြီးဟမ်
9 class have to mention him.
တာကြီးဟိုဒီပွဲ
game right now. Look at how he's creeping on the network. He's going to have a hex pretty quick in this game as well.
ဒီမှာ9 kilo က health တွေပါရတော့
They need to break this type of these movements somehow. They're going to go for a smoke themselves.
All right.
Kira.
လို့ move တွေကွာဒီဘက်ကလှုပ်ချင်လှုပ်လို့မရအောင်မင်းအိုးပြန်တော့ဝင်လာ notice ပြတ်သွားမလားအေး notice ဖင်ရတာနော်ဘဘကလာလောက်တာကြီးမကောင်းပြေးနေတာမှန်နေပြီပြန်လာစတန်းဟမ်မခက်
40 seconds without the Slardar.
Maybe go toward the top tower if you can. The creeps are starting to come toward it.
ဘောဒီတိုင်းလေးပြေးနေတာအဆင်ပြေနေတာ
Use a lot though. Stampede was used, so I feel like Vision, as soon as that Slardar respawns, they're gonna look to punish this movement. So we'll see the positioning of the map afterwards.
ဟဲ့တော့ကွာမလူတာဟုတ်ပါ
But a great hit. I mean, getting a gem. It was just purchased, so being able to deny that away from the side of Vision will be very important for the map control and very important versus this.
No war 2k ပါဒါပေမဲ့နော်ညီလေးရဲ့ no war တော့ထုံးတဲ့ညီလေးရောက်သွားမယ့်နေရာတော့ရောက်တော့ကြပါပြီ
Find a solution to this fair play from Satanic.
ညီလေးရောက်သွားမယ့်နေရာတော့ရောက်သွားပြီ
And cheer up, even though he, as we have to mention, right, he is going for the shield.
ကဲဒီဘက်က health တွေပါပါလာပြီနော် keep ပါလေကျွန်တော် hair လို့တော့ရ
BKB early, of course, you don't want to versus physical damage, but the control is still annoying. So we'll see how much he wants to stall out for that one too. He said, going BKB, it does.
ဟုတ်တယ် what the ပြီးတော့အမှနောက်ပြီးတော့ sand တော်ကြီးမိသွားတာလေ
Have to do it, but could be something necessary because they have so many ways to just get on top of him. No one will get that connection.
About BKBs, it's going to be Satanic's done here for the bat.
Kind of having this like triple BKB now for the side of Vision.
It's
so
strong.
Not allow Watson to get the Sunder off. If they get all 3 of those things collapsing on top of him, that is just
hurricane. Yandex ကကိုယ့်ရဲ့ quality တစ်ဖြစ်သွားရင်တော့ Yandex နိုင်လိမ့်မယ်မသိဘူးကိုတော့ drop ကြိုက်တယ် Yandex ကို
So wanting to steal some of this healing, but that does mean it's going to slow down the timing.
Game maturity ဘာလို့လဲမသိဘူး
Be very useful for both of his.
I know that people.
I love this item. You know, not saying it's
Tesla crash နည်းနည်းလေးအောင်ဒီဘက်ကလည်းပြန်ဆိုင်နေနေတာဟော Yandex က
Yandex ready to meet Vision here. Still 2 minutes or so under left on the Aegis for no one.
They have a full hex on 9 class. This could catch them off guard.
Oxen ထပ်ပြောင်းသွားမလားမသိဘူးအောင်မြင်တော့မြင်နေရပြီ
Before they might get the chance to come in.
ကဲအဲ့တော့ Tesla crash Lina အတိုင်းဒီဘက်မှာအော်မရတော့ဘူးမင်းတို့ကောင်တွေ
He's gone.
ဟိုအကုန်လုံးဝိုင်းဆောင်နေပြီးတော့ပေါ်သွားတာ
Yandex trying to push back against
အဲ့တော့နော်
Vision.
ပြန်ဘက်မှာတော့ရတော့
The high ground.
မလီနာကြီးကပိတ်ပေးနေတာပဲဒါပေမဲ့အနိုင်ကြီးကအချိန်မီမကားနိုင်ဘူးဒီကောင်
Side of Yandex, Chira never wanting to be the first point of entry into these team fights, walks up just way too aggressively. Died in an instant.
ကဲတာဝါလေးလည်းပေးရအောင်
Couldn't get the save.
ဘယ်နဲ့ဆိုင်နဲ့ဘိုင်းနဲ့ကွာနေတာကွာခုနကအမှ9အောင်လုံးရှိတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့လီနာကြီး
Blink dagger.
Tier 2s aren't going to stand long against the bear here. Satanic ready to clean up the objectives.
And there's going to be downtime now as well too. Meta won't be up for the next bit. The Vision wants to keep punishing with that information. This hex from 9 class, it's one of the earliest ones that we see on a coddle.
လဲတယ်မယ်
Earlier pickup that he also has. He has the rest of these items too. Another hex. On
DM by his side is Saxa. It doesn't matter. DM's already bailed on him. Saxa trying to juke through the tree lines, but looks like the bear. No one's gonna find him.
အဲ့တော့ဗလည်းဆိုင်နိုင်ဟိုမှာလွဲနေတာကွာ
He can just get this little
ဒီလိုလူအားနဲ့ဟုတ်တယ်ဒီကောင်နေဘလောက်နှိမ့်နေအချိန်တော့ပြန်တာသွားတာပဲ RV က
Absolutely, you're gonna have to get it. It feels bad to get it, but you need to do it in this game.
He just can't fight without it.
No. 6k lead.
ဟုတ်တယ်မလာဒီဒက်ကတော့လိုတော့လိုမယ်အဲ့လိုချိန်မီစလာလာပြည့်အဲ့လို crush တဲ့အချိန်
And
နော်
the techies on their lineup too. So when you get more control with the techies,
A call up
he
carry line,
can
so-
control even more with those mines that he can place down. Satanic on the hunt is spotted under a sentry.
So many items. Watson's going to need to carry this game.
He is.
Looking for the damage next. Obviously, the Daedalus queued up.
But there's a lot of
Okay,
preventative
Daedalus.
things that can go
Yep.
on him, right? There's taser. There's a lot of things that are just going to disarm him from just hitting these targets.
I mean, Satan's very close
you have to
to
rock
having
Honkai.
money for the butterfly as well for the bear. So not going to be easy to sort of target, prioritize in these team fights for Watson.
ကဝက်က fly နေရော idea တော့တော်တော်များပါ
For the butterfly himself, even though he's playing versus all this physical damage, is just going to be going for this Daedalus build. He wants damage. He is starting to feel perhaps that pressure.
ဝက်ကိုတစ်ခါတော့မတတ်နိုင်တာလဲ
to
ဆို
dish out all that damage because Jira a couple times now has just struggled.
Can't even step out again, Yandex. They're coming in with the smoke.
They
Come
can't
on,
put
let me
their
do it.
bombs all over the place though, so they are probably.
ကဲအဲ့တော့ချိန်နေကတော့အဲ့လိုပေါ့လေနော်သူတို့အားလေးဒီလောက်3လင်းလုံးတာပြီးတော့ရန်တက်ကတိုင်ပေါက်သွား
They need something big. They need to find Satanic, but it feels so unlikely with the way that Satanic's been positioned throughout this entire game. Yet to die still on the lone druid.
Scan will connect. Chira trying to sneak forward.
Know that they're coming. Vision, they're set up. DM's
Scan,
going
DM.
first. We'll
စားတော့ကြော်ပြီးတစ်ပတ်မှာလည်းစစ်တဲနဲ့1 BKB နဲ့တော့ရိုက်တာရောက်ရင်တော်တော်ကြီးနာတယ်ဟိုဘက်နောက်မှာစန်တော်တကောင်တွေတော့ဖြတ်သွားခဲ့ပြီးတော့ပဲနောက်မှာအန်တိုင်းရင်တုံးတုံးနဲ့တော့ကယ်ပေးထားသေးတယ်
bit of safety.
ကဲအမေဘယ်ရဘလို့မှဆိုင်လို့မရအောင်စန်တော်ရင်ပြတ်သွားပြီးနောက်မှာလည်းကျွန်တော်လီနာတကောင်
Chira.
Malady left.
ဟန်ကန်လာသေးတယ်ဂျီယာဂျူနီယာရှော
Fully controlled Chira Junior. Take the
No,
lead
but they
out
got
of
quite
this.
bien, I mean, nothing else.
And Watson, he's just got to step out of the fight, go for the
Oh, he
sneaky
jukes him.
away. Are they going to see him up and not in time?
Oh, what a play with the illusion.
အတေးကအကွာကြီးပြန်နေ
That was
ဆိုင်မ
actually
တော့
a nice little individual play, but the rest of his team.
It's not great. The
It's
other two
not.
cores are dead.
Oh, Saksa at least does find a courier kill, so will I believe finish off the kill off the butterfly that was coming out from Satanic. But Vision, they knew this was coming. The mines, the techies just reads it, puts these down. They see it coming
ဝေး
perfectly.
တယ်တော်ပြိုင်နေပြီပြိုင်လို့မရဟုတ်တယ်အဲ့ကြောင့်ဒီနေ့ sprint နဲ့ဘဘွန်တပွဲလေးတော့နားဝင်တောင်းတယ်ကိုမရတော့လူကဒီကောင်မဇော်ကလည်းကြာသွားပြီဆိုတော့သူကဆောင်းပြိုင်သွား
massively. No one just zoned everybody.
I mean, it's seeming that. Now, how do you make these sort of moves when there is a techies on the other side of the map? Yeah,
It's really hard.
It's just getting so much information.
ဒီမှာတော့ front နဲ့မှာရှေ့တော့တရား
attempted smoke plays that are coming into his
ကဲဒီပွဲလေးတော့နေကောင်းသွားပါပြီเนาะဗတ်တွေကရှင်းဆိုင်လို့မရအသိကွာနေတယ်ဘူးမများဘူးပြန်ခွဲမှရ
Techies, it really does feel like he's going to read
Don't
every
me out,
single one
yeah,
of those
ခွဲမှ
moves. He
ရ
does have these
မယ်
mines in these smoke catching locations. So back to back to back. Now Vision, a 13k lane. The game has exploded into their favor. Level 20, I mean 9, I keep mentioning it, but 9 classes having one of the most insane Coddle performances I think we've seen. Nearly the same net worth as the Centaur as his cores. He's going to have a BKB for himself as well. Yeah, Chira's game.
ဟုတ်တယ်နေကောင်မအဲ့ရန်တက်ကိုနိုင်လို့ရတယ်သိလားเนาะရန်တက်ကဘာမှမဟုတ်တော့
Just so
အားလေးတာရင်တော့မှတိတ်မဖိနိုင် game 3ကရှိန်နေလို့
Concern here for him on the Lena. Had a great lane. The lane was
He did.
fantastic, but that is nothing more than a long distant memory here as the gap's been closed. No one, he's taken over. Now having the lead as the Pango, and so much more
Oh, God,
easier,
play like that.
for this Pango to have impact as opposed to the Lena right now.
Yep, and he gets Shivas now too for no one. The only real concern for him in this game was if Watson was able to just play that turret and hit him during the Rolling Thunder. Now at this point with the Ags, with the Shivas, the barriers that he's getting applied, now Watson can't focus fire him either.
ဟုတ်ပါနေကောင်မနောက်မှကျန်နေနည်းနည်းတင်ပါနေကောင်မပွဲလာတော့မယ်ဘာညာနဲ့မူလေးရရှိ
And just fully control him.
ဟိုအဲ့အရာကြီးလွတ်ချလိုက်တော့လူကချက်ချင်းပင်ပန်းလို့ပြောတာ
MKB is done for Watson, as you said, full aggressive build.
I think he has to.
He has to.
play for the situation.
ကဲတော့တော်ပလေးကတော့ idea တော့များတယ်သိလားနောက်တော့3000ပဲကွာမင်း
It's going to take a lot from the rest of his team to set up the fight in that sort of manner, but he's going to trust in them.
It could get pretty sad for him though, right? Because it could be those situations where he literally does just get chain stunned, so we'll see if they can protect him. Yeah, DM still not queuing up that Aghanims. He did go for the Krullas early on. It's been countered, as we saw the Nullifier was picked up pretty early for notice. that does have the answer versus it as well.
ကဲဆန်တော့လည်း BKB ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီဘက်မှာ work out fly နဲ့
Or for the lead,
ရိုက်ပြီမင်း
turrets are not safe at this point.
Even if it goes through after the BKB, it's going to be a long
It
time
is going to be an eternity.
until we see that on DM.
And this current meta at the moment, like Puppy was talking about, a lot of the game is revolved around team fight. One lineup has quad BKB essentially versus 0 BKBs. So the team fights, just the execution can be so much easier for the side of Vision. You only see 2 BKBs, but one has a bear with the BKB, and then the other one is a Pango, which has a built-in one.
You know, the only hero that's going through that BKB is pretty much the Terrorblade, right?
Really is.
Everybody else.
ကဲတော့ MKB တော့နော်ဒီဘက်မှာ Terror Blade ကလည်းရပြီ
Bombing
တော့
these team fights.
what ကိုတော့ပြစ်လို့ရတယ်ဒီကကွာနေတော့အဲ့ supporter ထဲမှာ9 class က BKB ရဲ့ hat ကင်းနဲ့
Vision.
Smoke on smoke here. Yandex
Get the scan.
struggle to come out on top of these sort of plays throughout this mid game. Can they find a different outcome here?
Looking for a big wraparound. They're
ဒီ
looking
ပါ
for
လေ
the
အရင်
back
မင်း
line.
ကောင်းပြီအောင်အော် timing က show
Don't quite see him.
timing ကို show မင်းအကီပါလေးရကန်နေလေ
This sort of move, making a good sort of angle.
Ducalis is checking. He does expect it.
ကောင်းနေတိသွားပြီ
They're going to know something's up now. And in fact, you know, Vision, they're not scared of Yandex. Notice might just be ready to make some sort of blind blink in.
ဆိုတော့ရပြေးပါတက်လာတာအဲ့အောင် crash 2 man အော်နောက်မှာ Terror Blade ပြတ်တော့ပြတ်သားသေးတယ်စန်တော့တန်ပြီးဆိုပေမဲ့မရဘူး work ခိုက်တာနေတော့အရင်တော့ပျောက်သွားပြီးတော့ပဲဒဲမီကဘလို့မှရှင်းပေးလို့မရဘူးဖြစ်နေတာကွာကဲလီနာပြန်ပြစ်အော်ဒီဘက်မှာ what ရိုက်တာကို show what ရိုက်တာကို show ကဲနောက်ဆုံး Douglas တက်တော့ပျောက်သွားသေးတယ်နောက်မှာ Santa လဲလို့ကြံနေသေးတယ် what အော်နောက်ဆုံး Santa ကလဲခွင့်မပေးဘဲနဲ့တော့ Saxa ပါ show ပြီ
As this game just looking more and more impossible for
Damn it,
Yandex.
Aqua,
They just
no,
cannot
baka
make
slada
the
rin, boom, boom, boom.
against Vision.
They're reading every movement now at this point. The techies, Ducalis runs in,
Talo
gives
meow.
full information.
Ako,
on
babe, wala
three,
online yet.
Crush from Notice. You couldn't ask for better. Chira again. He can't do anything in these fights. He just gets completely followed. Look at this. Gets stunned, tries to run away. His teammate tombstones him, but it's still at this point nothing that he can really deliver. Too much damage, way too many ways to sandwich on him.
ဒီနာကြီးကလည်း damage မ
For
တော့
Watson as well, only able to try and get some.
Yeah, GG ဝါပြီကွာဒီပွဲကတော့
Pretty much from low ground situations for the entirety of the team fight.
အားလေးအသာကြီးပါနော်ကျွန်တော်တို့10မိနစ်လောက်မှနောက်တော့4ကင်လောက်ပါနေတဲ့ပွဲကိုလူကမမြောက်ဘူးပြ
They're feeling desperate now in this position, and it's really starting to show.
Vision's got all the answers now at this point. Great itemization, great ways to punish this, just lack of BKBs, lack of ways to prevent these stuns in particular. Baiting the stampedes time and time again. That's double Raxes. And even more items now going to be picked up here for Satanic, who did not die in this game. 3-0 and 14 so far. Flawless performance. 600 last hits on this bear. Pre-40 minutes.
ဒီလေးဘက်ကပလက်လန်ပြောတယ်
And now another Roche.
I mean, what do you sort of take away?
ကဲ GG ခေါ်လိုက်တော့ဟေးနောက်ပွဲဆော့လိုက်တော့လား
Because it's getting very close to that territory where you can only imagine they're considering what to do in game 2. They had such a hopeful looking early game. They were able to outplay Vision in some of those early moves that Vision were making against them, but as we mentioned throughout all those moments, Satanic was having the space, so
ခြေသက်ချလိုက်ရပါပြီ
those
ပွဲရ
moves
မရ
looked
တော့
a little awkward for Vision, weren't that awkward at all. Sure, it didn't go smoothly, but space was being created, Satanic's getting out of control, and now everything's falling together as a team, and just constant back-to-back outplays here from Vision.
Chira being stalked. Notice is on him.
He's going to see him. As Chira
ကဲလီ
Jr.
နာလေးသွားမိ
Finds him again.
Nobody's going to be able to come and help him. They'll try and TP out, but the Hex is there.
ကဲရပြီလီနာဘိုင်းမမရှိဘူး
I mean, my biggest takeaway really is that Chira, his game it completely fell off a cliff, off of one death, it feels
ဒါပေမဲ့ကီပါနောက်ဝင်တော့ရောက်တော့မနော်လီနာကြီးကဘယ်တိုင်းမှာကျုံးတယ်နေ
Just have all the answers. So.
Especially when you look back to what he got from the lane, dominated the lane matchup, took the enemy tier 1 tower down 8 minutes in, didn't matter. That sort of lead fell off so quickly.
Yeah,
ကဲအောက်မှာလည်းတယုံစံတော့ဖဲတယ်မေဟိုးတဲက
So
Better
able to
look
live
at
this
it.
time, DM, but only just.
Vision. Doing this to a lot
အဲ့
of
တော့
teams
တီး
throughout
ချိုး
this
လိုက်တော့ရပါပြီဒီ work ကိုကဘယ်သူမှတီး
They
လို့
know
မရ
exactly when to take team fights, and their lineup, it is insane to be able to take these team fights with this Pango, just be able to get on
ပါ
these
ရီက
targets.
ကျန်းနေတာကွာနော်မင်း spread ဆိုလည်းမနေ့က liquid နဲ့ပေါင်းနေတာဒါပေမဲ့ပါရီနဲ့တွေ့ဘာမှမလုပ်နိုင်တော့
Something along those lines, but we'll have to see. Gonna go for the potential end of the game here, Vision.
And honestly, maybe you got to even just look at the support duo, right? I feel like
yeah,
ဒီနေ့ကတော့ညီလေးတို့တီးရင်တေးကြသလောက်ဖြစ်နေပြီတဲ့
terrifying support duo to let them
အော်ဒီမှာအန်တိုင်းရင်တန်းတော့ပြတ်တော့ပြတ်သွားသေးတယ်
as Melody's out for 50, no buyback on him. And no one ready to roll in for more. Straight in on top of one.
အဲ့တော့ Terrorblade နောက်ထောက်ရှောက်ဒါမဲ့နော်ကဲဟိုးရှင်းမှာလဲကျွန်တော် Mega ကြီးကပေးနေရပြီလုံးဝလုံးချင်တိုင်းလောက်သွားတော့ Parivision ဒီပွဲကို DM ဘာပြေးဘဲကောက်ပြေးစတန်းတာလဲအော်ဘိုင်မက်ကြီးလည်းမရှိပဲနဲ့
He made the jump in, but he didn't press the BKB. He's dead for 60 without the buyback.
He's had a really rough game as well too. Besides Chiro, you mentioned Chiro having a bit of a difficult one after his deaths, but DM too.
Quiet game.
I do think some of this itemization could be looked at for the next game too, because like, just playing into so much team fight. Yes, okay, there's physical damage, so it does feel bad to get some of these BKBs, but being unable to move, being unable to play also feels bad if you don't get the BKBs.
Oh, send ထားတယ်ပါလဲလိုက်ရရှုပ်လို့
completely control these targets.
အဲ့တော့ form ပဲပြီးသွားပြီဆိုတော့ GG ကခေါ်လို့ရနေပါ
2 minutes left on the Aegis for no one.
တော်တော်ကောင်းတယ်ကွာပါပြီဆိုတော့
Try and hold the bear back. Look to burst river.
ကဲပတ်သက်တော့ရတယ်ဆက်စား
Stop straight away on top of the two of them.
ဟိုဘက်မှာno one ရှင်းတော့ရိုက်နေသေးတယ်ရောက်ရင် BKB ဒီဘက်မှာ Terrorblade
He's looking to get the angle to get back in on.
Oh, yeah, no one ပြန်ပတ်တော့
He has that second life if it even falls down.
ဟုတ်တယ်အန်တိုင်းတော့ရှော့ပါသေး
Caught out by the fear from Satanic. He backs straight in. Back to the Undying, but can they really push them off these barracks? Top set.
Final one.
Taken away. That's the
အော်ချက်ပြောင်းရောက်ရင်လီနိုင်ပြေးဝင်လာတယ်
Junior GM's going to come in with the jump of the BKB.
ကဲအချိန်ကြီးတော့ဆိုင်တော့ဆိုင်နေမယ်နောက်ဆုံးပတ်တယ်ပဲစန်တော့ဒီဘက်မှာလည်းတော့ Terrorblade နေနေတော့တက်ပြတ်သွားတော့မဆန်တာအဲပြီးတော့ပဲနောက်မှာ no one Aegis ကတော့ကုန်သွားတယ်ဆိုမှရှင်းမှာလည်းခုဝင်
But he's
Show
gonna
what
get
it
his
is.
second life. Sax is gone. 80 seconds. No buyback on him. His Vision, they still have the full 5 of them ready to go. Notice.
Golden Thunder's back
တော့
up
ဒီ
in
အိမ်မှာ
2
တော့အကုန်
seconds.
လုံးကလို့ share try နေတာမ3လက်မှတ်ကလောက်နဲ့ကြီးကြီးမခေါ်ဘူး
If he sees a chance to jump, he'll go for it. Notice
Okay, Joe.
some fantastic blink plays this game.
Watson has his meta at the ready. Can he somehow bring down any of these cores?
Yeah, coming up to a 40k lead here. 43 minutes in.
He's got his BKB, so he can start to actually stick onto some of these targets, perhaps.
No one's in.
အော်ရတော်တော်ကြီးပြေးဝင်သွားတယ် what the fuck
To the Rolling Thunder. He'll turn over towards Junior instead. They're being respectful though. Vision, not trying to push it too far. They'll play it safe.
He popped meta. They can back up, reset, wait for the meta to go down, and look to clean it up right afterwards.
ဟုတ်တယ်ဒီဘက်ချက်ပြောင်း
Very smart. This team
ကဲ Parivision စိတ်နေတယ်နော်စိတ်သက်တွေပါရိုက်ချိုးဖို့အတွက်အဲ့တော့ Pari ကိုပဲပေးရင်လည်းပေးလိုက်ပါတော့အဲ့တော့ Pari ကိုနိုင်မဲ့တကမားလည်းမရှိတော့ဘူးဆိုတော့
Let this sort of a lead slip away.
Pari ပဲပေးလိုက်တော့
Unlikely to do so here, but you
အပီ
never know.
ထရိမီနာဆောင်းကောင်း
Maybe something crazy can happen. We've seen some crazy stuff. This would probably be the craziest, especially against a team
Yeah.
that's 40k
DN
ahead.
DN
Mega creeps in their advantage.
Line class is level 25 also. Even more heals, even more damage.
Body back up on Yandex. You're a junior.
God, these BKBs
ဆွေမျိုးတို့တရားဝင်ညီလေးကိုခေါ်ပေးပါ
it just feels it's so late.
ဟုတ်တယ်အဲ့ second tower နားမှာသူတို့ level 5ကြီးတာနေရတယ်နော်
Massive physical damage that comes
လုံး
out.
တို့ scepter ရတယ်ပွတ်တိန်ကွာ
Mega creeps starting to approach the base.
Meta
မ
cooldown.
နေ့ကနေကမာလိုပဲမရန်နစ်က
Full AC now on the bear too.
တကယ်ချိုးစား
Absolutely massive on Satanic. Has not been addressed this game. The first pick gets away with 0 deaths.
Happy to just finish off that next round of items before they go for likely to be their final push.
You know, I didn't get to mention it
ဒီ
much too.
တပီးတက်လို့ရပြီဒီကြီးမခေါ်နဲ့မခေါ်တော့ဒီကောင်နဲ့ဆော့တော့မှာဒီမှာအုံးလက်မက defend
It does feel like 9
Mandel train နဲ့ TI ဆိုရင်တော့အဲ့ဒီကော့တွေရှိတယ်တင်မှာ
giving you quite a
တောင်းတယ်ကြီးကြီးတော့လွယ်လွယ်မခေါ်
what I can do.
I
မနေ့ကတပွဲပဲစစ်တမ်းနဲ့တပွဲပဲကြီးကြီးတန်းခေါ်
how much of a difference it is this game. 9 class and notice
ပွဲဆိုကြီးကြီးနဲ့
effectively shutting down multiple cores with it. Meta is going to get to come back up for Watson. But looks like Vision's not in a rush. Chilling back, they bottle an Arcane Rune. Octarine also for no one was picked up. Disperser starting to get these super expensive items as well too. Full constriction, putting all the wards right outside the base too, so Yandex can't even get outside.
ကဲ Russian နေပါတော့ပြန်ဆောင်နေမတက်လေရပါပြီနော်လုံးတို့နဲ့မင်းဘာမှတော့
Out of the heroes.
အန်နေများတဲ့ carry လည်းမဟုတ်လုံးတို့ what တွေပါလဲပြန်ပတ်ရသေးတာ
It just seems like it's doing so much on the map. Like any
အဲ့လို game 3 sorry game 2တော့ mandate ချိုးနေတယ်မင်းတို့အဲ့လို defend ရင် defend Russian ဆောင်
seemingly unable to get it back against Ducalis.
It's tough to point at one thing
I mean,
in particular.
sure.
I think it's
you
so
can
many
make cases
things.
for all of them.
Yeah, because it's also right. Like in a lot of these situations, Vision
Yep.
was they weren't
Big
falling too far
lad,
behind in a
big
4v5 situation, and then Satanic. was
big game နေပါ
So there's a lot of things to look at for the side of Yandex to improve in this next one.
Exactly. He's going to get found out on the map.
ရပြီအော်ရပေါ်လဲမှာလဲလီနာတကောင်တဲပြတ်တော့မလို့အော်အန်တိုင်းရဆေးတိုးသလိုကြီးဖြစ်သွားတယ်
As well to try and save
အန်နေများလိုက်တာတော်သေးတာပေါ့ဒီဘက်မှာတော့အန်တိုင်း
has buyback available on him.
ဟောလီနာလေးတော့နေတော့သေသွားတက်လို့ရနေပါပြီကွာပါရီရတက်လိုက်ပါတော့
Vision. Continue to very carefully.
အောင်တဲ့တင်းကလည်းပါရီထူတာအဲ့ဒါပြောတာလက်ရှိတော့နေတဲ့3တင်းလုံးပါရီအနိုင်ပြောပါမရန်တက်ကိုနိုင်သွားတယ်
Finish him with the bet. Trying to come in with the burst, see if they can take the
ဟုတ်တယ်တော်
bet.
တော်လေးပေါင်နေနေဟုတ်တယ်ဝက်ကိုတော့ရောက်ရင်နိုင်တော့နိုင်နေသေးတယ်ဟလား
But now,
Got to resummon, send it back. It's going to take a little bit of time for it to get there. How careful does Vision want to be? If they want, they can't just wait for the Roche.
တော့ Russian မဆောင်းလဲဆောင်း no way Russian ပေးလိုက်
Meta was used though again. So perhaps they do look to jump immediately after that meta goes down. We'll have to see which choice it is for theirs. It's a long Roshan respawn. Just no way for Yandex to get outside though versus these mines, versus this bear.
and a very, very difficult game for Watson to sort of be able to carry from this point. We've seen him carry, against some pretty hefty net worth leads, but this coming up to nearly 50k. Definitely.
ရှုံးပွဲမရှုံးပွဲတော့ရှိရလေပါရီ2-1နေတော့ရှုံးပွဲကြည့်တာဟိုလိုကတော့
sort of situation.
ရှုံးပွဲမရှိတဲ့အသင်းကမနစ်ကဟိုဟာတင်တယ် liquid ကမှတစ်ခေါက်မြင်ဘူး liquid က separate ကတော့လာမသိဘူး liquid ကအကုန်2-3ပဲ final လည်း3-0 separate လည်းတစ်ခေါက်ဒုတိယရတော့ဒုတိယနောက်တစ်ခေါက် TI champion ပြန်တော့တင်တယ်ရှုံးပွဲမရှိပါရီကတော့ရှုံးပွဲတွေကများတယ်ရှေ့မှာရတဲ့ဘွဲတစ်ဝက်ရှုံးပြီးပါတယ် 2-1 နေနဲ့
I think, at least especially in the hands of no one, very much seeing, why this hero Pangolier still has the win rate that he does, even though it hasn't been picked too many times. The fact that he's able to still do this after having one of the rougher lane matchups.
They're going to look to end it. 20 seconds still on meta for Watson. What do they see?
Is he going to get the jump on him? They could
ကဲဒီဘက်မှာအမတန်းရှော့သွားမလားတဲတော့လိုက်အော်ပြတ်တော့ပြောက်သွားသေးတယ်ရော
setting up to kill Watson off.
ကဲဘိုင်းမပေးမှရမယ်မြင်နေတော့ဝတ်ကြိုးတာခဏပဲ
Coming with a buyback here, Watson. Can they stop the bear? And some control it with the Yules.
ကြိုးတာမြင်နေတော့
Down to almost half HP. And we'll step back. Shot
ဘုမမလီနာပြင်းညိနေသေးတယ်မရဘူးအော်ပြောက်သွားတဲ့ damage ကိုရှုံးမခဏပဲ
immediately as well. Watson trying to stand his ground and fight back here with a metamorphosis. Vision, they'll kite that out for now.
တကယ်ကြီးတော့ကြိုးစားနေတာဟောရန်တက်ဆန်ဘိုင်းဘက်နေနဲ့ဝက်ကပြေးရိုင်တော့တကောင်3-4ချက်ပဲ Hey, Dad.
He's ready to catch them. He's having a lot of fun this game, 9 class. 7-0-20.
Might be one of the best caught up performances I've ever seen. Finding these snipes in the early game, allowing to enable Notice to have this type of
တကယ်ပြေးရိုင်တော့မခဏပဲမြောင်း
his rotations and his chakras. Next level stuff coming out from him here. You look at his inventory, you're like, is this actually a support coddle? Are you sure this was a support coddle?
I mean, it's, he did at the start kind of overtake the mid farm of no one. Sort of has become that additional mid player for Vision this game.
He truly has been this time around. And as you said, Ducalis, he's done some heavy lifting, some heavy work too on
ဘ
this
ဝအဖိုင်အောင်တော့တဲ့မကားတော့အဲ့ကွာပွဲရအပြက်ကြီးတကယ်အာလီဘန်3လိမ့်လုံးတာသွားတာ
That's good.
It does look very strong in certain lineups.
And we do have a fair few.
ဘက်ကလည်းကူ hero ဆိုတော့ Russian ယူလို့ရတယ်ဘက်လည်းယူရင်
Absolutely do.
Ducalis
Aegis ကယူလို့ရတယ်
It's such an annoying hero to play against. Once you
bro over 51တစ်နိုင်နေ bro ဝါဂျီတာဝတမ်းမချိုးဝိုင်းပေါ့
the base.
ကဲဝါဂျီတာဝပြေးချိုးနေသေးတယ်ခဏလေး over မှာ40တော့ကာပြီမဲ့စစ်တန်းနေ
Come out. Satanic
နောက်ဆုံးလူပဲရိုက်ဖို့တော့ကြိုးစားလိုက်ပြီရောက်ရင်
He's caught in the root. DM will try and get him out with the
Yeah,
stampede.
no,
They do
40 တော့ရလိုက်ပြီ
He's got another.
နောက်တစ်ခါမဲ့ဝက် BKB နဲ့ချိုးရင်တော့ရပြီ
push back onto no one. Sharpshooter as well. Swashbuckle out. Keeping the game alive somehow, some way.
62,000 lead though. Roche now will spawn. They can back up, pick that one up
40က
as
ရေး
well.
ကြည့်တယ်
They're all pretty much 6-slotted now at this point. No one can treat himself to a refresher as well.
Держу пари. Ты не ожидал.
And
Держу пари.
it's just hanging on here for Yandex.
It's got to be the rapier for Watson.
Yeah.
But
ကဲ
again,
ရုရှားတော့
not
တက်လို့
always
မှာ
the-
နော်မင်းတကယ်ကြီး
the-
မန်တယ်တွေချိုးသွားသေးတယ်ရေးတယ်
But it still does something.
He has done some miraculous stuff. We did see that one win Ranger game that he was able
Yeah,
to
this is-
crazy
yeah,
turn
no.
around, but this one would be even harder.
I was going to say, if that was extreme difficulty, this is not.
နောက်တော့61 game တယ်မင်းနောက်ဟောကြီးနဲ့
If he's at least able to get the courier out and get that purchase.
နောက်ဟောနဲ့ပေါက်ဆိုင်တော့9 on 9အဲ့တော့အပြင်မှာထွက်ကြမှရမယ်ဟိုကောင်တွေကဟိုလေတာဝါတန်းချိုးသွားတော့
There's no one. Full refresher for him. Back up, picks it up, resets his mana.
Alright, here we go. He's getting the courier sent out to the shop. We'll see if Watson's going to be able to get that Divine Rapier picked up here for the hold.
I mean, they do. They see
There's a lot of heroes around.
That courier ain't making
it's
it.
Not. It's not.
Hey.
No way. Satanic's ready with the
ဟိုတယ်ရောပလေးကနိုင်မယ်ဖေးရ
to make that pick
ဟာလေကွာဟိုဘက်ကပန်ကိုရစ်လာလာတယ်နဲ့
himself in the next 2 minutes.
That's not.
Rather unlikely.
He'll have to run through.
Ay, quality အိမ်သားတပွဲတော့ကြာဆုံး
20
သွားပြီ
mines to do so, and a whole team, of course.
quality အိမ်သားလေးတပွဲတော့ကြာဆုံး
Not
သွားပြီ
much growth has been here for the side of Yandex. The
Deep
other
way you're
team was
nanning, ah.
literally nothing. It feels like in the last 20-25 minutes, it's only Watson growing. While Vision, it's essentially, I mean, it's 4 quarters, as you said.
Oh yeah. And Satanic's pretty much got the bear 8 slotted. He's ready to pick up a
my.
moon shard next for it.
And he's got 1,
And he's got the
2,
refresh
3
up.
bears. He's
Yeah.
got the shard.
Vision.
ဒီမှာပန်ကိုအဲ့တော့မတောက်ရှောက်ဟုတ်တယ်ရောက်ရင်စန်တော့ပြီးတော့ပြေးနေတယ်ဝက်ကပြေးချိုးနေပြီပြေးချိုးနေပြီဟုတ်တယ်ရောက်ရင်တန်းချိုးလို့ရတယ်စောရအောင်ဟမ်ချီတန်းချိုးကိုသိတာပြီးသွားပြီ
It looked like
Yeah.
at the start that
Oh.
maybe there was some hope here for Yandex.
ဟဲ့ဟိုနော်ဘလို့မ Parivision ကိုရှင်စောလို့မရဘူးဖြစ်
Became
နေ
very
သား
clear, there wasn't.
Yeah, I think overall for their draft, they have to get more ahead.
Kero,
because
I don't
they
get
can't
man,
have
now.
these
Oh, game
deaths
do
with
that.
Shira, 'cause his game completely fell off a cliff. Some of the itemization too, I feel like left something to be desired. Like, I know how good this Krulla's item is, in particular in a lot of these games. It can steal all this healing, but I really was feeling just this lack of immunity versus these stuns. It felt like Team Vision could just pop their abilities, jump in. They had these triple BKBs themselves, so the team fight just felt that much easier for them, even when they were kind of at that even footing.
Yeah, just another one of those Vision games where every single player pretty much gave us a show-stopping performance throughout that. I don't even know who to highlight. I'll leave that up to the panel. Vision, take game 1.
It was a beautiful play from Vision. The fact that we see them down in the earlier portion of this game, yet they don't give up. There's ways for them to be able to take the game and for it to become theirs. And by the end of it, you're wondering at any point, did Yandex really have the lead or was it an illusion all along, Quinn?
They're just so good at knowing exactly what timing they're playing for, because Yandex were ahead in this early game. They had a little bit of pressure. They had some moves going, but Vision is not stressed. They're not worried. They're chilling and they're waiting for that moment. They understand the heroes and the grander scale of the game so incredibly well that if you let the time pass, then you're going to pay for it.
And Vision are so comfortable playing from both ahead and from behind in a lot of situations that they're starting to feel very infallible when it comes to specific strategies. And I do think Lone Druid is one of them. It was let through in the first phase. Yandex had an idea against it. The best thing that I think Vision did was take the Slardar for themselves and not enable it within Yandex. But it really did feel like an illusion that Yandex were ahead at any point.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the timing of when everything comes online for Vision, you see the heroes just explode. Like this Lina vanishes even though they're like 2, 3, 4K, even 5K gold behind at some point, it doesn't really matter because when you see all the pieces come together for Vision, there's just no way to keep your heroes alive. And if you can't keep your heroes alive, you're never going to win.
One of the big things that Puppy talked about in the coach interview that Tsunami had with him just as the draft of this game wrapped up was talking about how one of the biggest strengths for the side of Vision at the moment, and especially in this TI or what they've been doing throughout this season, is being able to split push. And I feel like that was also one of the key moments as to how they even got to their item timings, how they were able to stall this game out to be able to get to that critical mass for themselves.
Yeah, they've got so much kill threat. They have so many heroes that can burst you, and when your waves are getting pushed by a bear, by Coddle Blast, by Techie's mines all over the place, you're losing control of the map. And if you look at Yandex's heroes, it's a bunch of squishy guys who don't want to get crushed by a Slaughter. They don't want to get rolled on by a Pango. They're not okay turning the fight around. They want to start it themselves, but they can't because they're getting split everywhere. And then whenever they show on a wave, boom, There's a big fish that stuns them. Like they don't have an answer for this.
I feel like the difference maker also is that if you look at Yandex, they can also match the wave shoving. It's not that, but the difference is that when Vision is shoving the waves, they also have the kill threat on the heroes that show.
Yeah.
Whereas from Vision side, it's so much trickier. You have to combine Lina and Centaur doesn't have a blink until much later on in the game. Not to say that it's his fault for not having one, it's a natural progression of items, but they just can't really match the same tempo, and they can't do it as early as Vision can, and I think that really is what helps them get back into the game.
For sure. I do wonder, with the Lina in this game, it felt like with the lane that CJ had, that more would come out of it. And it did look scary at some point. There was a lot of pressure going on in that mid lane, a lot of pressure was going on in no one, but it seems like all it took was one CJ death Quinn and everything fell apart.
Yeah, it's a game where you're playing on very thin ice. You're playing against multiple jumpers. It's a game where it's not easy for you to itemize. We talked about in the past where Lina has trouble buying armor items, and armor items are all you want in this game. He ends up going for an Ags, not the BKB, not the armor item. We talked about it some backstage, and it just feels like, I don't know, his power is just slowly waning and dripping off after an amazing laning phase. Genuinely, he obliterated no one, but it just didn't really come to much.
I feel like it's just tricky. You can look at CJ and say, like, yeah, he dies once and the game's over. But if you want to make this kind of draft work, it requires the team to function at such a high level. And we talked about it in the green room, but there's these, like, moves that need to happen with a TB really early on where you just abuse the fact that you're 2-3k gold ahead and the enemy team can't fight you until they get their blinks online.
Yeah, these gold leads, they matter less and less as more time passes. As everyone's gold goes higher and higher, that 2-3k difference means less because it's a smaller percentage of everyone's total gold. And so you want to seize the opportunity, strike while the iron's hot. If you got a 2k gold at 10 minutes, that is so much more than a 2k gold lead at 20 minutes.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what a lone druid is going to be able to do. If you don't capitalize on the small lead you get at the start, he will be able to farm up. He will be able to close that and will be able to become 6-slotted faster than what feels like almost any other hero can do for themselves. The other one that I very quickly wanted to talk about was 9class, just how impactful it felt he was in this game as well, because so often in main stage, Coddle is either getting first phase banned or completely ignored, just teams that aren't playing it. And now we see it in this game and you go, okay, now I finally understand why people weren't willing to call the bluff of certain teams about Coddle.
Yeah, 9class is very scary on a lot of heroes, but one of his scariest heroes in this patch is Coddle, and that's why it is consistently banned against him. But for me, the difference maker as well, outside of him just opening up the draft with hero combinations like Coddle plus Pango, is the early Hex that he got. At some point, it did feel like when TV got Scotty that there was a timing for Yandex to be able to fight, but 9class matched that with not going for any defensive items early on, just getting that Hex and making sure that the fights are even harder to take.
We talked about it when Nigma played, about like players with killer instinct, Sumail. And I think 9class is a similar thing going, where he understands what do I actually need to win the game. He doesn't buy like 4-staff Glimmer Cape, that's always good. He knows that in this specific game, I hex the right guy, we burst him, and the game is over.
It's just adding to more of the overwhelming team fight that it felt Vision were just slowly accruing for themselves. But so much more goes into it. There are small nuances that you don't necessarily catch when an exciting game like that is playing out. And luckily for us, we have Purge to do all of that digging for us.
Thank you, Nat. Yeah, a big moment in this game came around the 25-minute mark, and a lot of it comes down to Vision, coming from wards. And what these wards provide for you is spotting enemy heroes and giving you good chances to initiate. And that works so much better for Team Vision because they had great gankers, mainly the Bear, this invisible terror guy that's very good at chain stunning once he initiates here. He attacks, he fears you, he roots you, and then you're basically dead afterwards, and it allows your team to set up for a good team fight afterwards, which started off really good. It looked like it was just going to be the Undying, but that Bear Vision spotted out the Terrorblade. There was a nice stun from the neutrals helping them out, and that chain stun and magic immunity got them this really crucial kill. And the game was pretty close before this point, but that nice jump that they got from Vision and from the Bear ended up helping them out really nicely. They killed the Hoodwink as well here. And on the other side, look what Yandex has to do for fights. They have a walk up and stun from Lina. They have other stun follow-ups, so it's difficult for them to actually get a disable. They did grab a gem though, which is pretty instrumental because that's going to help you control the enemy observer wards. And this ward here, this is a weird one, man. On top of this neutral camp, normally Soxus can feel really comfortable because he's dewarding this whole area and he has his own observer ward of his own. But he's less likely to run this direction because that's kind of a danger territory. So he kind of stays in the area, but he feels safe because his ward spots the enemy heroes that are coming to kill him. So he ends up dodging this gank, Vision really mattering there. But later on, they instead kind of use that usefulness to both walk onto the high ground where their observer ward was, but also that's going to make Yandex think that he's safe to run to the right because his observer ward is still there spotting. And then they get to utilize their better stun jumpers. They stun with the Slardar, they stun with the techies. They do all this burst damage into this fight. They're able to kill Malady pretty easily after he defensively covers himself. I'm sorry, he doesn't die there. But this gives them really nice control of the map. This allows them to push and take control of the tier 2. And once this tower's gone, this invisible bear is an even bigger terror. So it just gets worse as time goes on there for Yandex. Vision really taking advantage of their nice observer wards and their great chain stuns.
Thank you so much, Pudge. It really does come down to the Vision game at the end of the day where you're able to put these cheeky observer wards. And I feel like Insania, when we saw the map of Dota change, that was the big question mark. Where are those pivotal warding spots going to be for yourself? There's a lot of high ground wards that might seem quite obvious, even though they are advantageous. And at the end of the day, you find a spot like that. You shove it in a neutral camp and you go, this is going to be a wide enough cone that we're still going to get great engagements out of it.
I mean, it's a really cool ward, to be honest, because if you pay attention to the timer in the game, it's around 20 minutes. And usually that's when the enemy team has control of your jungle. You tend to swap sides. It's quite a normal thing that happens in Dota. So when you walk past the camp and you see that there's no creeps, maybe a lot of you at home are thinking, well, it's so obvious there's no creep camp, but there should be a ward there. But at high-level Dota, people are so efficient that these camps are just farmed every minute. So when you walk by it, you can't draw that conclusion because most likely somebody's just farmed it, that's all you're going to think of it, and you're going to move on. So it's a really clutch ward, and it obviously ends up winning them 2 crucial team fights that also win them the game.
How often were you looking at that stuff when you were playing Position 5, like seeing other players' warding patterns, trying to find new spots for yourself to ward?
Like all the time. I have like a folder in my head with each player in it, like Snaking wards like this guy wards like that, this Tofu has tendencies to put these kinds of wards. So it's something that as a 5, it becomes like your own little game, and you try to explain it to your cores and get them like on board with like, hey guys, I need you to put a sentry here. And they're just like, stop talking about wards. We don't care about this.
Yeah, it's actually an area of Dota that half the players know nothing about, and the others are like, oh no, you got to place it 2 inches to the right and then 1 millimeter up and get your protractor out. And I'm like, Brad, I touching these things.
I mean, it ends up winning you a game. It ends up putting you one step closer to be able to go to a grand finals of an international. I mean, the energy is so crazy right now in Shanghai. Everyone was having so much fun looking at this bear being able to do what it's supposed to do. And Effie, are we really going to get the chance to see another lone druid when there is Vision in the series?
Honestly, it's seeming very problematic letting through Satanic Slender because they had a great start on Yandex. They managed to do a lot of really cool moves, even kill the bear early on, but all it took was a few item timings on that Lone Druid, a few pickoffs, and the game snowballed out of control. I think banning it can make it very easy, especially if you see the Wyvern plus Enigma bans that we saw at the start of the game. It made it obvious that they wanted it. You try to beat it one time, don't let it through game 2.
Yeah, it's scary, though, when the heroes you want to ban start mounting like this. It's what turns a team from extremely strong to impervious, that now suddenly, as a Lone Druid, you feel like you need to ban. As a Coddle, the 9 class has 0 deaths and an insane amount of impact in this game. Well, you want to ban that hero, too. And you've got your preset bans for all the normal meta heroes that everyone else plays. And suddenly, you've got 7 heroes you want to ban, and that's not how the draft works. And this is going to cause some real problems. You have to pick something to beat. It's what all the best teams in recent years, the strategy they use is, we've got this set number of strategies. You have to beat one of them because we have too many to ban them all out.
The silver lining of it is that Yandex should potentially have first pick in the next game here, but then you have less first base bans for yourself. When you're first pick, you only have 3, compared to when you were second pick, you get to have 4. And so they were more than willing to let the Lone Druid in, even though they had more bans up their sleeves.
It changes the dynamic, though, when you're on first pick. Generally, first pick, you have the option of creating like this unbeatable draft, whereas second pick kind of has to respond to whatever you're presenting them with. So that at least changes the flow of it.
We're seeing our teams walking back out now. A lot of cheers for them. And I know everyone here and watching at home would love to see it go to a game number 3. And I'm hoping Yandex could take that time to themselves, be able to recalculate, readjust. We've seen them do it in their previous series where, again, they were having a massive lead up against Enigma Galaxy, and it was big team fights that ultimately led to their downfall for a game. But they fought back, they were able to bring it together and come up with great new adjustments in their draft. So I have full faith that Yandex are going to come in just as strong for game 2.
Yeah, I think they're a team that have a lot of respect for Team Vision. They've played them a lot this year. They were mostly evenly matched for bigger portion of the season. And I think that in the game 1 in particular, a lot of it did come down to Lone Druid, and I really think that this Slardar that Puppy took and gave to Noticed was what threw a wrench into the idea that they prepared today, because Yandex do have a very good history of beating Lone Druid, but they always beat it with Slardar plus ranged carry. And here we see a hero comparison of Watson and Satanic. Watson actually impressed me with how he was able to keep up in GPM even while they were losing, but it just wasn't enough in Stadium.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Watson, I think this entire tournament has managed to stay like 10k gold ahead of every single other carry player, even when they're in losing games. But this time around, like Satanic, he's a different beast. I feel like he matched him and eventually even overtook him.
Yeah, Lone Druid is just, the hero just farms so disgustingly fast because he's farming with 2 heroes at once on opposite sides of the map. It's hard to match, but I agree with you, Nat, that I think they will be able to bounce back. And I think part of the reason why this game looks so dominant from Vision is that it's just easier for them to play. They have the jumps, and generally you want the wave push, and you want some team fight and some jump. And I think Yandex has maybe 2 pieces of the puzzle, but not all 3. Whereas Vision, it's just much easier for them to play. And in a high-stress situation, on a TI main stage, a match that's going to the grand finals, you don't want to have to play at 100% because that's just not reasonable to expect from every game. You want a little bit of slack, that mistakes are acceptable, not, like we said, 1 death on Cheer Jr. and the game feels impossible.
And to be optimistic, I mean, Yandex did play a very solid early game. They've looked really clean in the first 15 minutes of every game they've played this TI. They make really cool moves. They're able to creatively overcome some difficult situations. An example that comes to mind in that game 1 was Satanic was like dragging a wave with the bear around minute 9, and he was going to just do shenanigans that would have catapulted him in net worth, that would have made DM's lane harder, but they just bring everybody. They chase the bear with Undying, Lina, and Hoodwink. They kill it, and they're able to take the top tower off of that, and that is very creative, and that is a Soxa call, and it is things like that that will push them over Team Vision in those first 15 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. That was incredibly clutch. I remember looking at that game thinking, like, when is TB going to gate top? When is TB going to gate top? How are they going to open up this tier 1 tower? And then they find it in that creative way that you mentioned.
Yeah, it's little things. It's so many little things, and I think it just speaks to how high level these 2 teams are and how high level, when you get to the end of the tournament, people, they step up or they step down. And I think both of these teams are stepping up. Vision especially has been just incredible. It's not often you see a team that is so good. It's hard to honestly properly iterate how incredibly skilled and talented these players are when you play with them, against them, when you watch them play. You can just feel the skill oozing in everything they do.
I really enjoyed what we got to see from the supports of Vision as well. It's a Coddle, it's a Techies. Whether the heroes are getting banned out, whether teams aren't necessarily looking at them, the creativity really gets to shine through the supports because of how stable the cores are. I'm hoping Yandex brings a little bit of that, because we know that their subs also love to be creative, but we don't have all the answers just yet. In fact, we're going to get most of them in a moment as we head to game number 2.
Team Vision versus Team Yandex. Game 2.
A game 2 draft where we are going to be seeing Yandex now with a first pick for themselves. That is the reverse or the inverse, however you want to coin it, compared to game number 1. And so it brings back that conversation that we were having before. What do you still want to prioritize banning out now that you only have 3 bans for Yandex? But also at the same time, what are you hoping to leave in the pool that will become an issue for Vision when you get to first pick it?
Yeah, these bans are, to be honest, I think not what you want to see when you're on first pick. You're banning Lone Druid, which a hero was first pick last game. You're banning Spirit, that's a first pick hero. Well, you've set 2 of your bans on what you would expect the enemy team to ban against you. That potentially does not bode well for series if they win this game and it progresses, or matches in the future. It's a little worrisome, but it's not totally decided.
That was a great SF ban. I think a Watson Shadow Fiend just crushing the lane and connecting early on would have solved a lot of the tempo issues they had in game 1, and they saw the Darkseer van. It was pretty telegraphed there. Puppy's on top of things.
I think for Yandex, to be honest, like the map play and everything, I think they can match Vision quite well. And just to tie back to what Puppy even said in his interview, I think at TI, you always have to be able to win fights, because when you're playing high-stakes, high-pressure games, eventually the game just boils down to that anyway. And people are going to ball up more. You're going to have to be able to win a team fight at some point. And I think that's really where their draft was lacking last time, where it just didn't come together nicely for the team fights.
Yeah, and we talk about how Vision is a solid team, a team that's difficult to break. And while I think Bounty Hunter, it lets you get the first layer of towers down. It lets you slowly break the map down. it's difficult to penetrate when they've got their sort of fortress built up. They ward these wards, they hold these camps, they don't let you take too much gold away, and they keep farming just enough that they get to these key timings. And so I think with these heroes, there's a lot of early aggression, there's a lot of back and forth fighting on enemy sides. And so who's able to close down the map faster and get that early start is really important.
So the trades come out with Bounty Hunter for Yandex, this hero. We haven't really seen much of it after the first day where he kind of emerged as one of the heroes of the main stage, but it was Saksa that brought it into popularity. And for Team Vision, the trade-off is they get Nature's Prophet on Satanic. We talk about some key strategies for this team where they look unbeatable. Lone Druid seems like one of them, but the other has been Nature's Prophet too. A lot of teams have let it through and just not won to it.
And it's a consequence of the bans, right? If we look back and you end up banning Lone Druid, that is a potential first pick hero. We obviously saw that in the last game. Earth Spirit's been super dominant in the tournament, but it hasn't looked as confident for Yandex. And the drawback to that is that you're now playing a much more open draft. You're going to have to play against some heroes. And they decide, you know, Bounty Hunter's been really good for them. It was one of the heroes that I think also utilizes Saksa's comms more than anything. It's kind of an underrated aspect of the hero, but you get to move around the map a lot and you're not really playing lanes. So you're a lot more in the mindset of like, how do I enable my team? How do I set things up? How do I actually make things happen? And Saksa is the guy to do that. He can talk, he can make sure his team is moving in the right places, finding those right moves in the early game.
Bounty Hunter really fits into what TI is so about in terms of we didn't really see him much during group stages. Everyone felt like they had an idea coming into the international, how it would play out, the heroes that people would prioritize. And we get to a main stage. We've seen him 7 times now, and he's won 6 of those on this stage.
Parivision versus Yandex game 2 အဲ့တော့ဒီတစ်ခေါက်မှာเนาะ Bounty Hunter နဲ့
but also testament to the team.
Yandex ကကျွန်တော်နည်းနည်းပြောင်းလဲနေတော့စောင့်မယ်နေတော့ဘာလို့ Slaughter Nature Prophet เนาะ
I think it's also
အများကြီးမချိန်တော့ပါရီရတဲ့ပဲ
Nature's Prophet into it because traditionally Bounty and Invis heroes that sneak around and set up on
hero အဲ့လိုမျိုးဒီ hero တွေပဲပတ်စော့နေတာဒါပေမဲ့ပါရီကိုမနိုင်ဘူးပြ
farming in corners.
Someone sees you. Puppy အဲ့လို trainer ရတကယ်เนาะကြီးတော့ကြီးကျူးတယ်
You know, set up on you and kill you. You can have pressure coming through the gate. There's a lot of dynamics to this Bounty Hunter that are pretty good against Nature's Prophet.
And I think they try to match some of the dynamics that you talked about with Vision of their own in Slardar. He's one of the better heroes to play against Bounty Hunter, especially in team fights, and it amplifies a lot of Nature's Prophet's objective taking. Like, he will TP around early and get kills in towers, but when it comes to things like Tormentor and Roshan, Vision feel very good about it after that game 1.
It's also a flex, so you don't have
so what the heroes and not fire ရတယ်ပါရှိ
go mid or off lane. So when Yandex is coming up to the next core pick, well, you know Nature's Prophet is most likely to carry, but this
Can you drop in? What drop တော့မကြည့်တဲ့တော့ဖြစ်နေတယ်ဒီ Yandex ပါရီရတော့
to one counter someone.
ပါရီရတာကောင်းတယ်တော့ drop တာလည်းကျုံးနေရပါပဲ
For Team Vision, they're trying to build drafts where they amplify each other. You know, it's the idea of this like triple core is going to match up against whatever you present to us on Watson in the end. Slardar amazing for that. He makes any hero on your team stronger. Everybody that's hitting one target are going to be stronger. And this whole concept that Yandex has been playing ultimately just becomes weaker against that.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but I think that is a great.
ကဲနောက်မှာတိုက်ကြီးเนาะတိုက်ကြီးနဲ့တော့နိုင်ပြီဟုတ်တယ်
Hunter combats that a little bit, and now I can purge the corrosive haze. You're trying to focus one guy down at a time. Well,
တိုက်ကြီးနဲ့နိုင်ပြီပါမယ်เนาะ Bounty Hunter နဲ့တိုက်ကြီးတစ်မျိုးတော့တစ်မျိုးလေး
And I think this is
နှစ်ကောင်အရင်တွဲလို့ကောင်းတဲ့ဟာမျိုးတော့မဟုတ်
that ease of execution. We want this hero that can just waddle into the fight, a big watermelon, and you just can't crack his shell. Like that is a very useful tool that makes it much easier to play.
And it's saying we want that team fight, right? Which they very sorely lacked in that game 1.
အဲ့တော့ဟိုတစ်ခေါက်ရှေ့ပွဲတော့လည်းလို့ပဲရန်ကသူတို့ထွက်ခတ်နေဟို LGD နဲ့တော့လည်းလို့ပဲ game 1 show me right now မနော် game 2 game 3 အေး Bounty Hunter နဲ့တော့ပြန်ဆော့
They did it with skirmish heroes.
Tia Junior Voka လေ yes မစိုးကြိုက်တယ် Tia Junior Voka နဲ့ ဟောတိုက်ကြီးနဲ့
They made it so that
ဒီမှာ win တော့ why man drop ကတော့ Yandex drop ကတောင်းတယ်
Vision were beating our Nature's Prophet after like our TI win. They kept giving us profit, and we're like, oh, free win. Of course we'll take it. And then they would just keep bringing heroes into our lane and just delay that level 6 so much. Never allow Mickey to just sit back and farm for a couple of minutes and just snowball the game that way. So it is a great strategy against Prophet. What I do find interesting here, though, is that Vision have a lot of options, right? You mentioned the flex between these 2 heroes. Prophet could even be a mid hero, and they look for something that actually cracks open the Tidehunter and opens that up too. So it's an early Tidehunter pick. You're assuming it's going to be if it gets to be there, great. But Vision, they have options here.
Yeah, they do, and it's something you'll have to consider if you are Yandex. I'm sure they have. No one is a player that is very, very comfortable on carry heroes, range type dudes. He can play the sniper, he's played the
ဒီကယာရုချလိုက်ပါပြီเนาะတိုက်ဟန်တာနဲ့အတင်းအောင်နဲ့ပြန်တွေ့တဲ့ပွဲမှာ
be uncomfortable one bit.
ယာရုချခံလိုက်
I
ရ
also like the Wyvern quite a bit against the Nature's Prophet in the
Bro ပြဆို game 1ဟုတ်တယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ game 1အပြတ်ကြီးပြတ်
felt that in the last game. We're getting bursted and we
ဒီကနေ့နေတာတော့မနိုင်
and they're picking hero after hero that prevents that so they don't lose in the same way. We've talked about running drafts back and losing the same way feels very silly and sort of stupid. And I think in the same way, losing to the similar type of gameplay, the same strengths and weaknesses in the draft can feel similar. And so I like that they've covered those over and they're saying, let's play a different game. If you're going to beat us, you got to beat us in a different way.
That's great. It's fundamentally different with the heroes that we're seeing, but it still feels like it's not enough oomph. Not enough skirmishing, not enough running at this prophet and making him uncomfortable.
ကဲတော့ no one ဘာဆော့မလဲဆလာရာမစ်က no one လည်းရပိုက်ဘူးเนาะအဲ့လိုမျိုး drop ကတော့ Parivision drop ကသူများသိနေတော့သိမလို့ဘိုက်ဘူးတွေပါတယ်နဲ့ဒီမှာဆလာရာ nature prophet ဟုတ်ပါရန်တကကြတော့တောင်းအစင်းနာ drop
And now we're looking for something like, as you mentioned, Mira.
No one can bound here.
Provide ways for them to actually also kill their opponents.
Lane here on the show, no nature prophet and Bible. Lane is wrong.
The hero that would do that can be countered by the Slardar mid. It's typically the spirits and the melee type heroes that CJ plays, right? Slardar lanes against them exceptionally if they flex it. And if they try to do it through Watts in the tempo setting, then you can run the Slardar plus Willow off lane, which is so hard to play into for Watson's hero.
Snap fire. The whole LGD near was so hard for them. No snap fire.
I feel
look at Bounty and the way we are looking. They try not trying, Jimmy.
And a recent patch, and so some teams still favor her.
They say the pipe, no puppy hero to allow pipe.
It's a good mix, I think, of damage types, and it pairs well with Bounty Hunter. When you've got that hero, he kind of wants follow-up damage. Also,
Saying it that how did you same be about it? Now, why did the puppy at this train? To know all of it, my den fan. Yeah, just beyond the. A mobile, now buying that idea in it.
In general, so if they do decide to pick a new mid, well, it's very difficult to beat Snapfire in lane with pretty much anything. So you've got guaranteed a good start. You've got good synergy with your 4, which is one of the most important building blocks of, sort of a draft in general. So I like this, and I think CJ is also very good at it.
Lots of damage as well versus Dark Willow, and we've seen 9 class be an absolute menace on it. And it also doesn't worry about Bramble Maze, which the Spirit heroes would have.
Yeah, many other late or understand a lay doing
really, really early game rotations, even at minute 4, and try to like. We have an ogre off.
Which one wins, left or right?
Left for sure.
I mean,
I think left
sure.
booked, yeah.
Somehow looks more lost than the actual ogre.
No, but you have this cool thing that Saxa can do where you can TP mid very early on, maybe even at level like minute 4, get cookied from invis, and there's like you don't even see it coming. So I really like this idea from Yandex. I think Saxa is very enabled in this game to be that shining star for his team.
Yeah, and they leave Watson for last
pick.
So whatever Vision wants will be on the
absolute
last slot, which means that Watson may potentially be playing against a counter pick in lane. The Slaughter in the offlane, and that's what they're preparing for. That's what they're gearing for.
Easy win, so you beat that in a boy. You're hammer them, no? But it is saying, giant tutorial mode. You know, so boy, you are
your team that we're going to guarantee that it's in the offlane, and despite not having the the 2 best matchups against the Snapfire mid, and also get to counterpick the Slaughter. So you're a very strong situation despite the enemy team having a counterpick.
5k လောက်သာနေတော့ဒါပေမဲ့73မိနစ်လောက်မှာเนาะပြီးတော့ hero ကလည်းဒီနာတွေ terror blade တွေနဲ့ဟောနိုင်ပြီပေါ့
Will just come down to execution though, and that you can pick great heroes. I think they had heroes that could do pretty well last game. They had a solid early game, but you have to stick to it. You have to keep that confidence, and that's where I look at last game and how it faltered a little bit. You talk backstage, you come back into this, you've got a good draft, you've set yourself up well, but you need to the play does the talking at the end of the day, and I need to see that from them because it's not a game that you just waltz over. You'll never outdraft Vision so hard that you'll auto-win. They're just too good for that.
Yandex are definitely going to try though with their last pick here. And spending a little bit of time because Watson has definitely preferred the Kez and the Terrorblade have been taken out, but Watson's proficient on many.
Let's play the carry, no Watson. Terrorblade of Watson gets the contact.
Something that pushes waves. Generally, Wyvern wants to.
Well, Watson gets left
and so you want something.
Yeah, now Luna, hero
interesting one. It's great against Slaughter and Willow because you naturally buy Manta. It's not a game where you want to BKB a lot. You want someone who can push the waves and also buy a Pike because it's like I said, it's just not a great BKB game. You want to kite and be sort of fluid. And Luna is very, very cool and good at that. And it's while it may not be a melee hero, it pairs with Wyvern in that you're sort of a manly ranged hero. You get in there a little bit. You don't have super range. So I think it's a cool pick.
Yeah, this Luna is gonna play a lot of
drop တော့တောင်းနေအဲ့လိုမျိုး drop ကြီးချင်တော့ရန်တက်ကနေချင်းစရာကြီးဒါပေမဲ့တကယ်ကြာရင်လုံးမဖြစ်ဘူးအဲ့လိုဖြစ်
We're gonna group up with our Luna and Tide. We're gonna take objectives.
drop ကြီးကတော့တကယ်နေချင်းစရာ drop
We're gonna let you get to a point where Satanic carries this game because while Luna is amazing on lane and amazing at grouping up, eventually she will lose in scaling to
drop ကတော့နေချင်းစရာကြီးနော်တကယ်ဆိုတော့လုံးဖြစ်မဖြစ်ပဲကြည့်ရ
It's a hero that buys items that naturally give you armor. I think Slardar, as a hero, needs to be able to kill stuff like they did in the last game. If things don't blow up,
ဒီဘက် KO ပါလေးပဲထည့်ပြီးကြည့်ရမှာပါ KO ပါမစိုးဘူးနော် carry က Luna နဲ့ Nature Prophet ဆိုတော့
this time around,
And they're charming,
heroes. I feel like the team fighting is completely solved, and the more of the question is going to be how do we address Yandex playing sorry, Vision playing them out.
Yeah, Puck definitely adds to that. There is no way to kill this Puck in the early game. You kind of need to wait for a hex almost. So
no one back. No one here. အမားပါညာများဆိုမှဒီဘက်မစိုး KO ပါမယ် hero တွေတော့ဖြစ်တယ်
moves elsewhere.
Prep နေတာနည်းနည်း
farmed and you're
ဟောဒီ
waiting
ဘ
for
က်က
the timing later on.
နာ Fire Luna ဆိုဒီဘက်ကလည်းချလို့ပါ
Nature's Prophet, the Puck keep being around. Like that is going to become the name of the game for the first, solid chunk of the game.
Puck has not had a great tournament though. Like this hero has failed to deliver on the main stage, and while it is exceptional in that there's no disable for it, it's also a hero that I'm only gonna really care about in the late game, in that scaling. And again, the onus is on Yandex to just keep running at them, group up with their Tide and Luna, and take I think they can do it.
Nature Prophet အားလေးတော့နည်းနည်း
Very different tools.
တော့ဒီဘက်ရန်တက်အနေနဲ့တော့ခံနိုင်ရှိအောင်လုပ်တာဟိုဘက်ကအဲ့ bike ဘူးလေးတို့ပြီးတော့ဒီ Nature Prophet ဆင်းလာမှာနဲ့ ခုနလို Slardar ရဲ့ light ရိုက်မဲ့ကွက်တွေပါတယ်နေဆိုရင်တော့ damage ကတော့ကျန်နေစောပိုင်း
We can play both styles. We can play
လုံးဝပတ် zero win rate တဲ့ဟုတ်တယ်ကိုလည်းမကြိုက်တော့မကြိုက် no one လက်ရှိခုနပွဲဆိုလည်း mid fade တယ်အမားများတယ်နော်အဲ့တော့ပတ်လို့အတင်မှာနည်းနည်းမရင်သေတဲ့ hero နဲ့ဒီအချိန်မှာတော့သိမလိုက်ဘူးနဲ့အခုကပြောရမယ်ဆို notice ကောင်းနေတာရပြီးတော့အဲ့ sit down တွေတအား overpower ဖြစ်နေလို့ Ario ထိန်းလို့မရ
players are so good and they're able to find ways to utilize heroes.
အကြိုက်လဲဆိုတော့ဒီပွဲ2စီမဲ့တင်တာပဲဒါပေမဲ့ကိုကတော့ကို KO ပါပို့ကြိုက်တယ်ကိုထည့်ထားတာဆို KO ပါ
And if I look at this draft compared to the last one, I think this is much more comfortable for them. It's much easier. I think their players are better suited to this. And like when you go deep in a TI bracket, being able to fight. Puppy talked about it, we talked about it. Just being able to fight, like sure, they can split push you, but you can't split push to win anymore. It's not TI3, it's TI15. Dota is a different game, and at some point, you gotta knock heads and fight a little bit. And I think Yandex is very well suited to do that.
We'll see if Yandex are suited to do that. If they're able to get the game number 2, we would love to see a game 3.
In
this best of 3, we do have Tsunami joined with Yandex's
I had some questions about your mid lane decisions. So we see Slardar confident it was not going to be a mid lane. You banned out Lina and Invoker in the final phase. If they did pivot the Slardar mid, would that have caused any issues for you?
I mean, I don't think it would be causing any issues because Snapfire is really good against Slardar in mid, and it would be like rough for him to play the game.
And then whenever no one ends up getting the puck, you guys don't have many solutions to a Puck, but Puck seems to be doing very bad this tournament, like 27% win rate. No one's already lost with it twice. So are you worried that you don't have any counters for Puck, or it's just not a good hero?
I mean, it's kind of a free Puck game, I would say.
And Luna တိုက်တော့ကြည့်ရမယ်အားလေးတောက်မယ်မဟုတ် hero နေတာတော့ drop 3 တန်းဆိုတော့ဒီပွဲကရန်တက်ထက်ကြိုက်လုံးဝပတ်ကိုမကြိုက်တာလေခုနပွဲလိုပဲပေါ့ no one hero မကြိုက်တာရပြီးတော့ overall drop လဲ and that's gone ဒါပေမဲ့တဲ့မှာ drop ကြီး block ကောလက်ကြီးကကွာနေတော့လေနိုင်မမိုးဆိုတော့ကွာ KO ပါပဲဆောတော့ဒီပွဲတော့အရင်ပြတ်မယ်တော့မတင်ဘူးခုနပွဲလို့
I mean, it's good in against their suppers and gives us very strong early game with tight counters, so looks pretty good as a blind pick. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, let's see if that works out. Excel, good luck in this game number 2 as we send it to our casters.
Thank you very much there, Excel and Tsunami. Game 2 time, ladies and gentlemen, here. We're going to find out Team Vision's going to be able to make that move to the grand finals with a clean 2-0. If Yandex is going to have something to say about it in this game 2. They've decided to rally around a Luna.
တိုက်ပုံအင်ဂျင်နဲ့ဆောင်းတူတယ်ပေါ့အဲ့ဒါသူတို့ TI ရဲ့ဟိုပါပေါ့ TI ရဲ့ teams ကကိုရီမြန်မာနိုင်ငံရဲ့အဲ့လိုတိုက်ပုံနဲ့သွားတူ
It is this Puck and this hero as you say, it on paper looks like a.
ကဲတော့ Sexa เนาะ the best bounty hunter ပဲ TTI မှာတော့အဲ့တော့
Nope, not even no one, right? I
ကျွန်တော်တို့ရင်ခုန်စိတ်ထုတ်ကြားစရာပွဲလေးဖြစ်ပြီးတော့2-1နေပါတယ်နဲ့เนาะပြန်ကမ်းပတ်မလားဒါမှမဟုတ်လက်ရှိ sound strong နေတဲ့ Parivision ရဲ့သူတို့ playing style နေပဲเนาะအေးစစ်စစ်ပွဲကိုနိုင်သွားမလားပေါ့
Sometimes too, they were mentioning a little bit on the panel.
Okay, no one bad.
With the snapfire, there is this.
ခုလာပါเนาะမြတ်မှာအဆင်ပြေမပြေတော့ကြည့်ရ
With the stuns, it's a bit hard to execute sometimes, but I can see them tripping up something like the puck a couple times here for no one. So I think that's the main thing to look at for me is the bounty hunter. You know, there's so many other things. Yes, the Luna is interesting, all this team fight, but it's a Soxa bounty hunter. He has won, I want to say every single game on it throughout this tournament, at least in the main stage. He has been literally the one that's deciding and making so much space.
Yeah.
So
Because I feel like if you were going to say, right, we need Saxa to do the most he can in the first 10 minutes of this game, would Bounty Hunter be the top hero for that?
I think so. I mean, it's hard to say because Sox has had some pretty explosive first 10 minutes on a lot of heroes, but this is a different beast, and it gives you so much information when a team is looking to play this more 4v5 kind of style, have another one TP in afterwards to get some kills. So
KO ပါเนาะဒီပွဲတော့ KO ပါတော်တော်သဘောကျကိုလည်း KO ပါတဲ့
have to talk about the team
စတော့ short ဖို့ပဲဒါပေမဲ့ဒီပွဲ KO ပါရတဲ့
this time Yandex
ဆိုတော့46လောက်ပဲဆိုတော့
down this time to have that, you know, a bit of a better way to be able to fight into Vision.
အဲ့ဒါတရုတ်ဝစ်စုံလားမြန်မာတိုက်ပုံနဲ့တူသလား
Can certainly use some of Team Vision's powers against them. They get the positioning for a good
အော်နော်ဟောချော်လဲနဲ့
The curse can be very strong. Good ravage, the kisses as well too. I feel like Chira on this one feels a little bit safer for him in particular too.
No, they were winning one.
That one just felt really rough, really quickly.
အော်မှာတော့ Bible လိုက်ရိုက်နေရတော့မလွယ်ဘူးနော်တိုင်းတာဘယ်လိုပဲတောင်းနေပြောမင်းစေတန်းတွေကိုလေထိုးပေးထားတယ်
No one. Uphill miss, he'll be okay, but my goodness, takes a ton of damage there from Chira.
And how is this matchup? Is it meant to be a bit of a tough one for the puck early on?
Yep. Definitely a bit of a tough
အော်နော်လက်ကြနေရတော့အမှန်ပဲဒီပွဲလက်ချီယာဂျူနီယာမစ်ကတိုက်ပြင်းနေတယ်ကဲဘောလဲမ9 class ရှော့ပြီတင်နေရှော့ပါပြီ TP ပါဆုံးပြီ
To kill off 9 class before he's successful with that team.
first blood နော်ဒီပေါ်မလက်တရား
Yandex.
I'm happy to see Luna too. I'm unsure how strong the hero is in particular overall, especially versus Nature's Prophet. That one I'm going to have to see later down the lines because it doesn't sound too great on paper. The Treants are good versus the Eclipse.
Bible လဲ offlane မဟုတ်ပါအဲ့လိန်ကနော် Bible နဲ့လိုက်ကြပြီးတော့သူကလေထိုးရနေဆော့တာ level 2နဲ့မဟုတ်အဲ့တော့တခါနဲ့ရှေ့ဘောလေးမှာလည်းအဲ့လိုပဲဆော့တာဆိုဒီပွဲတိုင်းရနာလိုကောင်မျိုးနဲ့ကလည်း level 2ကမတန်ဘူးဆိုတော့ပတ်တိပြောသွားအဲ့လေထိုးရနေဆော့တဲ့ကိစ္စဘုသမားတွေဝတ်တယ်လေဒါပေမဲ့အဲ့တော့တူလို့လားအဲ့ပုံမကျေသီးပုံစံကိုတိုက်ပုံနဲ့ပို့တယ်
Has traditionally been one of the better ones to do.
မလေးအမြဲတမ်းထိုး
Not as reliant on the metamorphosis.
Satanic.
ဖန်လို့လည်းပိုကောင်းသွားစစ်တဲ့နေ့က
Kind of low here.
ကဲ Saxa နောက်တော့နောက်တယ်
On top of him, but Satanic keeping his cool. Only down to the fairy fire.
He is being brought very low though. He's sticking around. Treants are at the ready. He's just going to TP back and come back afterwards. This tide pick too, something to talk about versus the Nature's Prophet.
တော့ DM အဲ့လိုယာရုံးချလိုက်တာလေးတော့သဘောကျတယ်
Anchor smash the Treants, can just
တိုက်ကြီးကြတော့ဘာမှနိုင်စရာမ
And
ရှိ
this
တော့
might
ဟုတ်လား
have been
ကျွေး
one of the better heroes I've seen for DM in this tournament as well too. He's had a lot of good ones, but some of his tide performances have been really nice. He's been a rock for the team.
ခုနကပွဲလဲဆန်တော်ဆိုပေမဲ့ဆန်တော်တက်ပို့ဆိုတိုက်ဆန်တော်ကလည်းလည်းလောက်ကန်တယ်တိုက်ကြီးတော့ဘာမှလုပ်စရာမလို Rabbit ခွဲ
Should be alright.
နော်ပြီးရင်ပြေးသေးရပြီအိမ်မှာလည်းတယောက်တည်းထားခဲ့လို့ရ
Very
တန်တော်ဆိုတော့ကယ်ရတာတို့ဘာတို့ဒီမှာစတန်ပြီးသုံးရတဲ့ timing တွေပါလိုသေးတယ်
have that free farm. Gonna be able to
အော်ဒေါက်တာရဲ့ basic hero ပဲ
with his
အော်ဒီ 1.7 ကိုကဒီပွဲအကြိုက်မတွေ့ဘူးဟွာ
The lane
တစ်ဖက်က drop တာတစ်ဖက်ကလက်တာတယ်ဆိုတော့ KO ပါပဲကြိုက်
Game, right? Whether it be the Lone Druid or the Nature's Prophet, those extra units, you're going to have a good time to CS regardless of what they've got against you.
Something for Yandex. A lot of times I've seen them have success is because of how much DM and Soxa gets out of lane of just outplaying in the lane, right? I don't think I've seen Ducalis and Satanic lose a single save.
အော် land 9 land 9ကလည်းတက်ချက်ပဲ
I mean, I could be lying, but I feel like I've seen them win 90% of them at least.
အဲ Luna တဲ့နော်ဒါ hero ကြီးတော့ပြုတ်နေတော်တော်ကြာပြီဆိုတော့
Soxa can do on this bounty hunter as well too. If you can't slow down the NP, your movements don't connect. Could be problematic very quickly. We'll find a courier. Extra bit of money.
Mid lane, Chira Jr. continuing to have that little bit of an edge here against no one.
Couple extra denies coming into play here. Top lane. Malady TP's coming forward.
ကဲတော့ Slater ဟိုမှာ nature prophet တွေပါဆင်းတော့ဆင်းလာသေးတယ်
Come in, but
Not a lot you can do.
No.
Just got to sit back.
ဟောဒါကတော့ညီလေးကွာပဲသူ nature prophet carry အစောကြီးလို့
this is always the
TP
concern.
cancel ခံလိုက်ရတော့သွားပြီလား
Early. He's free farming
ဟော
in
ဒါမဲ့
lane,
တော့သူ
and he can sandwich onto these.
ကဲ terminal နဲ့ပဲသွားတာဆိုတော့
very successful. It's been one of the best answers versus a lot of these.
နောက်နေသေးတယ်ဒီမှာစစ်တန်းနဲ့
With him a little bit. What's
TP ကလည်းထောက်လို့မရဘူးရောက်ရှော့သွားမလားမသိဘူး
him down.
Very
ဟုတ်တယ်သူက sex up ဘောင်းနေရတာတကယ်နှောက်လားမင်း
Close to the Luna. So what?
Damn, oh, yeah.
Able to kill Satanic off.
Saksa, we said he has to be that.
အဲ့တော့ကိုပြောလို့ပဲဘောင်းနေရတာတွေထဲမှာလက်ရှိတီးရိုင်မှာတော့စစ်တဲ့အမဟုတ်ဘူး
Really bullying that nature's prophet.
sex up ဘောင်းနေရတာအကုန်လုံးပဲ movement တွေနှောက်တာတွေနော်ပိုင်နေရမနေ့က7နာရီ bro
Any slowdown they can get against Satanic, it's going to feel pretty good, especially after a game where they could barely touch him at all.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just the nature's prophet this game, right, too? He's going to have this bloodlust maxed very early on. Ducalis will get a decent amount of levels because this rotation...
ဟိုရတဲ့ဒီနေ့စစ်တန်းနေတယ်အဲ့ဒီနေ့ကတော့ပါရီပါပဲကိုစိတ်တယ်
Because of that. Kind of funny, but that does mean that he's going to have this high level...
ကပပီ drop နေတာဆိုတော့ bike ပူတွေပါတယ်
Two really good
I mean,
bloodlusts
yeah,
too,
but-
right? It's the Slardar and the
Okay,
nature's
no one
prophet.
run on, yeah.
It's pretty decent, too. It's actually 3.
လုံးရပြီး show သွားမလားဟိုဘက်မှာစန fire စစ်တယ်ရောကဲ show ပြီးသူကဘောင်းနေတာလာလာစတန်းနေတဲ့ကိစ္စဆိုးတယ်နော်မင်း
Kisses will do it.
I think the Shadow Walk is going to be a bit tricky for the puck in a lot of situations. Saksa very good at using the double Shadow
Saksa
Walk.
ay bowling na yun, pero
Stun as
no.
well, too, as we've seen multiple times in these games.
ဘောလလေးတကဒီဝက် KO ပါ
Saxa.
And for more,
Ready to dive in a little bit for 9 class. Chiro Jr. stepping up. Doesn't want to...
ကဲဒီမှာပါ level 5ပဲတော့ရှိသေးတယ်အပတ်က
Still on cooldown.
Rambles will not connect. Quite off the mark there. I think they would have TP'd.
နိုဝက်မက်ကအခုနောက်မှာပွဲတိုင်းနေ
for that kill. Won't be able to punish the movement. No one's still not quite level 6. Chiro now having an edge.
ကြီးကရှုံးနေပြောရမယ်ညီလေးအချမ်းဆုံး hero နော် nature prophet first ပဲဒါကတော့ပုံမှန်လိုဖြစ်နေ nature prophet ဆို
Saxa's going to be...
နေရ separate တော့ပါလို့လေဘာမှလုပ်လို့မရဘူးဒီကောင် nature prophet
Already
တော့
feeling
9မိနစ်တော့ဒီဘက်မှာ
in that last time
Western
in this early game.
ခုနပွဲတိုင်းပဲအားလေးပိုင်းလေးကတော့ရန်တက်က drop လေးလည်းကောင်းတယ်လို့လိမ့်လေးလည်းမိုက်တယ်နော်ဘာညာပြီးမှသူတို့မတ်မှုပြဝဲရော
Down the map.
Another move noticed. We'll just get poked. Won't be able to commit for him. But Watson, he is getting that free farm this game. Last time he was slowed down a little bit on the Terror Blade in terms of the laning phase. Did end up having a very successful farm afterwards. But this time, getting enabled nicely from Saksa. They can leave DM on an island. Similar to that Centaur as well too. So yeah, just I feel like a lot of the game, it's eyes on Saksa. How much can he get? How many couriers? How many times is he going to be able to shut down no one?
47တော့တန်းချိုးသွားတာဇာတာပဲ
Other information.
ကိုကက Yandex နဲ့နေကောင်း
Laying down the sentries. Wants to try and put a
ကဲတော့ဒီဘက်မှာ Saxa နှောက်တာတော့ရိုင်းမကန်တော့ဘူးနော်ဒူကလစ်ကလည်းလို့ဖြည်းဖြည်းချင်းပြန်မောင်းထုတ်မှရမယ် Country တောင်လိုက်ရပြီးတော့
Power rune, 10
မ
seconds.
ကာရီယာထပ်တော့သွားပြန်ပြီအင်းဆိုရင်
Courier.
တကယ်အောင်တော့တဲ့ပေါင်းနေလား
That extra bit of gold. 250 each time for the team.
ဟုတ်တယ်စမင်းလေ
Chiro will get the bottle too.
မျက်ရည်တွေဝဲနေတော့ကိုကကြည့်ရတာနော်
Aggressive play. The reason I like this
သူရတာနောက်ဆုံး TI ဖြစ်မယ်ထင်တယ်
more than the
ပုံ
Lina is
စံ
just
က
because he can play safer from distance versus some of these turret heroes. While the Lina kind of put yourself at risks in a lot of times.
ကောင်းတယ်ကွာညီလေး
I
ရဲ့
wanna see how much more success
ပြေး
Chiro
သွားတဲ့
has in
time က
this
ပ
game
တိပဲ
as the Snapfire.
Definitely looks to...
ညီလေးရဲ့ပြေးသွားတဲ့ time မျိုးရှုပ်
And more of a struggle for no one. Again, if just anything, because Puck just has not been doing well. I mean, why do you think that is? You know, why has Puck got such an abysmal win rate this international?
ကဲနေကြဘရောနော်စစ်တွေပါ3တော့3လိုက်ရတယ်
Very
sorry
popular ones. The spirits are the two popular spirits in particular, right? The Earth Spirit and the Ember are
ပုံမှန်ဆိုတော့ Parivision သူတို့နေကြ profile သူတို့ဘက်ကပဲ tower တွေပါစချိုးတယ်နော် pressure ပေးတယ်ဆိုပေမဲ့
right? That
ဒီပွဲကတော့ pressure ပေးလို့မရဘူးဒီကောင်
second, it hurts. You definitely do
ဘ
feel
က်ကတိုက်ကြီးရောစန fire ရောဒီချိန် damage တာတော့ hero
Teams have also just gotten overall, I feel like, better at playing against it, knowing how to punish it. The scaling from the hero also has, again, been nerfed, right? That 25 talent for some time hasn't existed anymore. It's just harder to make it work in a lot of situations. Some of these other mid heroes, they're just better. They've gotten buffs, this hero's gotten nerfed. Bottom tower, this Chiro rotation very successful. We'll be able to get the entirety of the tower here for DM.
ကဲအောက်ကတော့ tower ပေးရပြီ
Standing not interested in turning up for any sort of tower defense right now.
Top lane, they want to slow down Notice. He's getting a bit more than I think they want here. Chira.
Saxa နောက်ပြန်ပြီနောက်က sna fire စစ်တယ်ရော
To keep them out in the kisses.
ရပြီနော်လာတော့
Saksa
ဘာမှ
giving
လုပ်လို့မရ
information for the team. And
ကဲ
Chiro,
game 3များသွားမလားမသိဘူးအေး
Chiro also this time
ဒီစားတာပဲကွာ game 1တော့နိုင်ရမှာ
Gonna go for the blink to be able to close that gap to be more aggressive. On the Lina, he just went for the boots travel.
ဟော်ရီရှော့ပြီလားအဲ့ရှုံးတော့မရှုံးဒါပေမဲ့နည်းနည်းတော့နှိမ့်နေတာပေါ့လေ Nature Prophet carry နဲ့နှစ်ပွဲလုံးကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီပွဲညီလေးက fan မရ
Super nice.
box set နဲ့နည်းနည်းနေတယ်ကွာ
Can be a bit fragile. Toxa,
Cold embrace. Unlikely to be able to walk
ကဲ
away
လုံးဝ
from
ကျွေးလိုက်လို့တော့ရ
this. Team Vision will finally be able to take Saxa off the map. Being quite annoying for them.
I like this move top in particular. I really like from Yandex because last game I feel like they gave notice too much. He still is getting a lot on this Slardar, but last game he was almost getting the blink dagger now at this point.
အဲ့တော့ရှင်ဖန်မဲ့ကောင်လည်း Luna တို့ Nature Prophet တို့တော့ကျွန်တော်နည်းနည်းတော့ကတ်တော့ကတ်တယ်ဒီပွဲတော့ work ဆန်း
Can be
အဲ့တော့နောက်ဝက်တွေဖြတ်ပြီးတော့ညီလေးကို pressure အောင်ပြန်ပေးမလားမသိဘူး
team. Closing the gap versus the Luna, closing the gap versus that Snapfire. So they can stall out notice the blink dagger. That can be very good for their mid-game timings because it's a very strong mid-game draft this time from Yandex to force these buildings, force the team fights. Toxa
ကျေးဇူးနဲ့လက်သေးပါခင်ဗျာ
is under some sentry wards here.
ဟိုလက်သေးကိုက်ပြီးစောတဲ့ကောင်ကဆော့ဆော့တာလည်းမျိုး
We'll dodge the brambles. He's way too fast.
Yeah,
So speedy, right, as this bounty hunter.
Yep.
In the river, they're going over 600 move speed.
2K lead for the side of Yandex, similar to last time. But I would say, I mean, I like the way that they can team fight quite a bit more this time around, forcing the issue, taking these objectives. Something I do want to see them do as well is take those objectives. I feel like last game they had a window where they perhaps could have tried to force a Roche with the Terrorblade advantage, with the Undying. They just hemorrhaged so many kills so fast around that 20-minute mark. 9 class. Shadow Realm off, they'll be fine.
Bottom lane DM. It's going to be feeling pretty untouchable at this point.
Yep, just occupying the area. His hero this game overall, right? Not much kill threat.
ကဲနောက်တော့ 3K တဲ့နော်ခုနပွဲအတိုင်းပဲကွာရန်မြောင်းလင်းချက်တွေပေးနေတယ်ကောင်
Just the limited burst damage that they do really have for him.
When you sort of hear that there is limited burst in play, I mean, I think it leans more towards why they felt happy to get the Luna this game, right?
I think so.
If you're not 100-0ing the Luna, there's
ကဲဆက်စားတော့တွေ့ပြီ
team fight potential for Watson to get a lot done.
And it's a very good.
ဟိုဘမှာ TV တဲထားပါနဲ့ဆက်စားနောက်နေတာဆက်စားနောက်နေတာ
But those heroes have to get on top of you in order to do that damage. So yeah, Malady, I feel like he can do a lot this game as this Winter Wyvern, just preventing some of that aggression to come onto his Luna, either from Cold Embrace or from Curse to prevent the Slardar from getting that connection. Because the real threat, the big threat for Watson is that Slardar getting on top of him in the early game. Later
အဲ့လက်ရှိမှာ work set နောက်က9000နီးပါးချီတယ်နော်ကျွန်တော် Nature Prophet နဲ့တော့တော်တော်ပြ
done for Chira.
ဒီပွဲထူးခြားခြားအဲ့လိုမျိုးပုံမှန်လည်းတော့ Parivision က carry ကအများနဲ့ network တာပြီသူတို့ live ပြီးတာအခုကျတော့
I mean,
သူတို့ကပြီးလည်းမပြီးနိုင် carry ရဲ့ Luna ဟိုဘက်ပြတ်သွားတော့အစိုးညီလေးကိုကြောင်ဖမ်းလို့ရတယ်
I don't want them to slow
Luna
down.
carry ပက်လိုက်
I want them to keep that aggression going because already I'm seeing Chira. He's actually behind in net worth versus no one now at this point. No one's just maximizing the farm. Toxa will be able to get some scouting
ဆက်
information.
စားနဲ့နောက်မိ
Watson noticed is actually
နောက်မိ
trying to sneak it away from Saxa.
Oh, and I tell you what, he's a step ahead. I think he's going to be fine with this. Out of the side of the... Oh, maybe not. Okay, Saxa, with the persistence, will still succeed. Despite notice, best efforts there to try and keep that courier away.
How annoying. And he's actually scouting.
Yeah, annoying, but
noticed has the blink dagger finished up, so very nice moves from Saxa, giving great information for the team. He knows that the Slardar is not making an aggressive move. They can play cheap.
တော့တော့ mandate game mandate down ဝင်ရပြီဆက်စား mandate down လိုက်လို့
Is going to be eyes on Saxa, how much information he
ဒီ
gets.
ဘက် game over ထည့်တာကိုရချတော့မချဘူးလေ game သွားမှပဲနိုင်တော့မှာအားလီကသိမချဘူး
Been a lot. Doing everything that we saw him do before when he's been getting his hands on the bounty hunters.
He is very annoying. He's sticking around here. Potentially even looking for if he can go for a wisdom steal as well too. The game is very slow pace.
Okay, he's not going to get this very likely here with 9 class and noticed around. Time to let that be here for Vision.
They seem to know that he's still lingering in this area here. They're not really overreacting on the side of Vision either. They're
ပွဲလုံးအငြိမ်းဟဲ့အ
they
မေ
do know how hard their lineup scales when you do look at it on paper.
အဲ့ဆက်စားနဲ့နောက်မှလဲနေတာရပြီနောက်ဆုံးတော့မိပြီဟမ်
He's going to have his eyes
အနေကောင်ကြိုက်တယ်ဂျပူ
Best he could do is try and make them work.
He got the
ကာရီယာတောက်သွားတယ်တော့မှ
Top of that, getting another courier.
နောက်ကျအဲ့ဂျပူကနောက်
Honestly, he'll take that.
I 9 class, that was a little lazy by him. He should have been able to move that one there, but either way, Saxa, he'll be happy to take that one. Watson that farm pace, it's looking pretty solid this time around.
It's looking pretty crazy. This is some pretty insane numbers early on here from Watson on the Luna.
I want to see, like, when Manta comes out, I actually want to see Watson play aggressive. We did see him on the Terrorblade last game, even before the Manta.
ဒီဘက်မှာပွဲရလုံးဝအငြိမ်ဖြစ်နေတော့နော်ဘိုက်ဘူးလဲကျွန်တော်မိုက်တက်ကတော်တော်ကြီးလိုနေတယ်တူးလည်းမြူတော့ပြန်ဖမ်းပေါ့
If Vision's
ကျွန်တော်အစစ်ကိုတွေနဲ့ဘိုက်ဘူးကမိုက်တော့
we know how good this team is at taking their fights.
I mean, here's the Blink Dagger reveal though. They're going to make a move straight away with the smoke towards Watson. Would be a huge kill.
Okay,
to
Watson
find
on
if they
the
go the jump.
They seem to know exactly where he is. Is Watson going to
Or
see this?
is tempted to stick around for the camp.
It's got Manta.
သူနာတော့ vision ရတာတယ်
enough now.
Yeah,
အော်ဘိုက်ဘူးတော့ရှော့ပါပြီ
Same time, Shiro Jr. able to take down Ducalis on the other side of the map. So Yandex a step ahead, not to get caught.
Parivision ဒီပွဲနော်အချိန်ကြီးအရင်မကောင်းဘူးကောင်းတယ်
Pretty much perfect timing for Watson to get the Manta done too. If he didn't have it there, they might just go for the full chase forward, but not able to get the gap closed. Nighttime as well. Luna very good at nighttime to be able to see these smoke movements. Malady getting baited.
right အမလေးကြ bro ပဲရောက်လာပြီ
Corner brace.
အဲ့စပူရာလေးအတွက်တန်တော့တောင်မှလည်း LD ပေးနှစ်ခုတော့
Tower time. They've stalled this tower push a lot though on the side of Yandex. The fact that it's 16 minutes in and Vision hasn't been able to claim this tower is a pretty big deal for them. Mid now, DM just gonna rotate over, has the consecrated wraps, he's feeling safe.
ခုနလူနာကေးမပေးလိုက်ကြတာတော်တော်ကန်ကောင်းသွားတယ်ဟုတ်ရဲ့လူနာကေးပြန်ပေးလိုက်ရတယ်ပွဲကရန်တဲ့အရင်တာမှာတော့မဟုတ်ခဲ့အဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်မြစ်မှာတာဝါတစ်လုံးတက်ရမယ်အေးဆေးပဲ
To find the farm in their jungle. They could group up and try and do something around a Blink Ravage.
I like, yeah, the double blink daggers.
I got Chichi.
Having it too. Not easy for Satanic to
ဒါအစောပိုင်းရက်တွေမှာဆက်ချရပြီခုနောက်ပိုင်းပွဲတွေမှာနည်းနည်းငြိမ်သွား
This is where Vision are going to be at their weakest this game. So Yandex, they have to try and hit them as much as they can.
ကဲဒီဘက်မှာမီတော့မီနေပြီးတော့ night glass
Shouldn't matter. Night glass taken down. Track kill here for Yandex.
keep accelerating things. Keep looking for all these kills. If they can get a big core kill, that's the immediate call. I want to see them try for a Roshan. Even though their lineup is the absolute...
Yeah, truck ကိုရနေတာကောင်းပြီကောင်ပေးပေးနေရတယ်
Another track kill coming in for Yandex.
တက်ဆာဘောင်းနေရတာဘန်းရမှာတကယ်ကတော့
And nothing committed. No big spells used. Just small little pickoffs.
They'll look for the dive, but it is a routine.
Oh, the moment piano ရတော့ရတယ် Sexa
coming in, but can they get back out of this? The track
Okay, no well, truck တော့ရပြီ
the TP's coming in.
They close the gap onto Noah, and the blink is there from DM. Noah, he baits.
ဟောလုံးဝဘာလို့လာတော့ဟိုကောင်ဝမ်းနဲ့သွားလိုက်လွတ်နေပြီ
They know exactly
လုံးဝအဲ့လိုပေါ်လာရောက်ရေး
He's going down.
ဝမ်းနဲ့ဟိုဘက်မှာလွတ်လောက်တယ်ကွာ
Exactly what they'd hoped to here in the early game.
လုံးဝမရဘူးဒီ TI မှာအနေများရင်တော့ပိုင်နေရောက်ရင်ပေါရင်မလုံးဝအမတ်တော်များအဲ့စစ်တန်းနဲ့တော်တော်အဲ့လိုနှစ်ယောက်စာဆော့နေလို့စစ်တန်းနဲ့တစ်ခုတစ်ခုလွဲသွားအာညာစစ်တန်းနဲ့ performance ကြတဲ့ပွဲဆိုမလွယ်ဘူးဒီ TI က
I think it'll just be the standard, right? Just gonna go for the pike, butterfly BKB kind of style here. But Watson sometimes does throw a little bit of a wrench into the works with some of his builds. So
Sexa ဘောင်းနေအနာဟိုတော့ movement မှာကောင်း Sexa ဘောင်းနေနာလာရ crash ဟောဘောင်းနေနာလေအဲ့ဘောင်းနေအဲ့တဘိုးနှိုက်မှရမယ်ပြန်ပြီးတော့
Watson's heading over to
အဲ့တဘိုး
Watson.
ဆိုးလေ
You have the curse and very early timings on these blinks. We're 18 minutes in.
Wyvern
They've
as well.
got the triple blink dagger online here for Yandex. So very much going for those early plays, those early team fights, as was to be expected here with this draft.
And playing versus the Nature's Prophet, right? A hero that does not like to get gap closed early on. Satanic is in jeopardy of just getting burst.
နည်းနည်းဒီလိုက်တော့နိုင်နေစလာတော့တောင်းလျှောက်ရကောင်းတယ်အောင်အဲ့တော့ Rave notice ပြန်ရှောင်းသွားတယ်ဆိုတော့တန်ပါတယ်နော်တစ်ဖက်က Rave ရလိုက်
It's a ravage though.
မချီယာဂျူနီယာရဲ့စလာတာခုနပွဲတယ်ကောင်းတာ
On that start, and they did already.
အဲ့ဒါ right 5ဘူး
Here comes out. It's going to push
ကဲဒီမှာ5ဘူးတော့လိုက်တော့နိုင်တော့နိုင်နေတယ်တောင်းလျှောက်
Still closing on to Carlis. Sells more
Fight
and
pool,
more
fight
of these
pool.
track kills.
This time DM is having a much better game. Last time he was already starting to be pretty slowed down. It felt like this time I'm really liking the way that he's built the wraps into the blink, going for the Aghanims next. He buys a shard in between. This shard can be very annoying for the Slardar in particular in the early game. If Notice just jumps in, can't just get blown up. They're gonna need early BKBs on the side of Vision. Similar to last time.
ဟောမနာဘူး no one တော်တော်အမားများနေတာရှေ့သူတို့နိုင်သွားတဲ့
So aggressive.
ဘာလဲ Dreamly တို့ဘာလို့အမှန်တော့ကောင်းတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ DTI မှာတောက်လျှောက်တွေ့နေရ
At least that's what he's got queued up for now.
ဟို no one pick ကမတာတော့ဖြစ်နေတယ်လို့မသိဘူးအရင် no one pick ကလည်းကျန်းဟိုကလည်းကျန်းတစ်တန်းကလည်းကျန်းဆိုတော့အဲ့ Pari ကထိန်းလို့ပြဟိုက no one pick ကနေနေတယ်တချို့ပွဲတယ်
7 to 10. 4K lead at the moment for Yandex. Nine class.
ကြောက်ဆူးတော့ချလိုက်ပြီအောင်
Point.
ကိုကီအော်မတန်တော့မတန်ဘူးဒီမှာအဲ့တော့ type တော့ type လို့ပြတယ်
TP backups come in.
And that's a.
အဲ့တော့ပတ် drink white 2 man fishing အော်ဒီမှာ slaughter crush နဲ့တူပဲလုံးပြန်ပြီး
Gets straight on top of
ခုနပွဲလိုမျိုးပဲ movement တွေကတော့သွားမှားလို့မရဘူးเนาะ slaughter ရဲ့ damage ထွက်
coming a little too close to the tier 2 on that one.
That was dangerous for Chira. Last game, he did fall off super hard when he did have.
ကောင်းတဲ့ lane စားတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ move တွေမသာဘူးပြ
Reminiscent of the one on the lean up.
It's true, he's already at the bottom of the course on the net worth.
Don't want to see him making too many more.
အဲ့တော့ snapper ရတပြေးပြေးနဲ့
Shift.
slaughter လက်ချက်နဲ့တော့တောက်လျှောက်တော့ရှောနေတယ်
Shadow Realm, as the animation of the anchor is coming in, so dodges the dead in the water, causes that entirely to happen there. That was a really.
ကိုလို draft အေးပါဒါမဲ့လည်းပြောရခက်ပါတယ် draft ကတော့တည်မှာ
He had just picked up.
ကိုရီးယားတော့ဒီကောင်မပန်းဆိုမျိုးတော့ဘယ်လို
Just yet.
let's draft မယူလဲသူဘာယူမလဲအဲ့လိုမျိုးတွေပေါ့ဒီမိကောင်ယူလဲနိုင်ချင်မှတော့နိုင်
For no one.
အမေကိုကတခုပဲအဲ့ amber နဲ့ lecturer ကို lane change သေးတယ်
This is a. This is.
Let's try to go myth pool, you know, Emma carry.
Then it can get to a point now that he has.
အဲ့ဆိုရင်တော့ mid ကလည်းသာလောက်
Wondering if DM switches build, because I know he had Axe queued. He's got Shiva's queued now, but there's arguments for an early Hex for him. It doesn't sound like there's something you want to always do, but versus the puck, could be something.
ဒီပါအချင်းတော်တော်ကောင်းတယ်ပြောရမှာပဲကိုရမျှနေတော့
No one's game is super hard. Very hard for him to protect himself.
ထက်တော့ကျုံးရအောင်ပဲထင်တယ်
So
That's fair. But I mean, the Chivas does feel just so.
it does. It absolutely does versus the Slardar.
Nature's
ကဲ
probably
လူနာ
so-
အနေနဲ့တော့နော်ဒီမှာ item တာတော့တယ်ဒါပေမဲ့
But, yeah, I wouldn't
အေး
be
စစ်တန်းနဲ့တော့မိပြီတဲ့
surprised after.
snapper စစ်တယ်တော့မ raw ပဲတန်းပေးလိုက်ပြီချင်းနေကအော်နော်
That's the carry gone. A little bit of a.
တေးကြောင်အကုန်ပေးတာအမေ snapper စစ်လောက်နေတယ်ပြတ်ပါတယ်မတေးကြောင် raw ပဲပေးလိုက်
On the top lane. Honestly, one of the riskier positions I feel like I've seen
Surprised
Satan
he farmed
again.
there. Yeah, I'm surprised he was actually farming there. They'll punch.
Yeah.
Can they go for the roast threat? It's only 30 seconds when without Ravage.
ကဲတော့နည်းနည်းပြန်ကြီးချင်ကြီးဟိုက spare မရှိဘူးနော် raw ပဲရော
Maybe just sort of
snapper စစ်ကော
of a lack of focus there, getting caught out in a very unsatanic sort of way.
He better go BKB as that next item though after the Silver Edge. I'm seeing he just switches and queues it up. Definitely needs it this game versus the Tide versus the Snap. We'll just die to the magical damage.
ကိုက duration မသိဘူး duration က over and တကယ်တခါမှမစော်ဘူးပြီးတော့မှန်းလည်းသိမမှန်းတော့ duration မှန်းရခက်တယ်အဲ့ဒါကန်လိုပဲလားလို့ what's it
The butterfly next.
He's keeping himself ahead in pace
Duration
of
here,
Titanic pretty decently here. He's queuing a couple different items. I also want to still see him get the best.
ပြင်းလာမှာဘရိုလေ okay ဗျာ
Butterfly in particular. That's what I want to see from Watson this game. It feels like it answers a lot of what they're playing against.
ကဲချင်းရ chef အစောမရှိဘူး spare မရှိတော့နည်းနည်းလေးလိုက်ချင်နေတာဟမ်ဆလာလာလေးနဲ့
Not really a whole lot the Vision can do on the aggressive here. I mean, it looks like they're looking at some sort of
ကဲဟို
chance.
ဘမှာဝင်တော့ wide line တော့တွေ့ရ
Very sneaky
Maybe
positioning.
တလို့ရတယ် spare မရှိဘူး
Too
crash 2 man နော် note ကောင်းနေတာကြည့်လိုက်အောင်
Good shot, but is it
အ
good
က
enough?
nature prophet စင်တယ်မင်း note တကောင်တော်တော်သိတာနော်အမစစ်တန်းနဲ့ double kill
The backup
ဘိုက်ဘူးအော်မမူးတော့မမူးလိုက်ရဘူး
And
ဟို
there's
ဘ
nothing you can do to predict that. Notice just comes out of nowhere.
အဲ့ note ဆလာလာရပို့တယ်မင်းထွက်နေသလားလို့မင်းဝင်စတန်းတာနဲ့သိပဲ
This tournament, but it's so natural for them this game. They just progress right.
ကဲနောက်တော့ပြန်မြသွားပြန်ပြီနော်
By Vision, Yandex, they were not expecting for that sort of jump in to come in as quickly as it did. And for Vision to just be able to turn up like that.
Chira's falling.
ကျန်တကမဟုတ် drop တော့ကြိုက်တယ်ဒါပေမဲ့သူတို့ကလက်မလို့ရ Pario မနိုင်ဘူးဖြစ်လက်က
just has fallen off a cliff.
It is looking like Watson's going to have to carry pretty hard. You know, sort of between Watson and the ravages of DM.
And Watson
စစ်ကြီးကပိတ်သွားပြီ Watson ကောင်းတယ်ကွာဟမ်
get more.
Gonna try.
အမှန်စစ်တန်းနဲ့အနေနဲ့ပြန်ပတ်တာမြန်သွားလို့နော် ရှောင်းလေးတကောင်
Save his life.
I think this is a game where Watson can't make any mistakes.
And he
to play
has
this perfect, and he has so far.
he has kind of hyper carried games before. Right?
Sure has.
He has done so here on the main stage. Can he do it here with his Luna?
Got BKB.
ကဲ Luna BKB ရ
I don't want them to stall too long.
အဲ့တော့ Russian တွေပါတယ်နည်းနည်းပြန်ပို့ပါ Watson ကလို့နောက်များတယ်မြအရင် objective မလိုက်ဘူးဖြစ်
As the game progresses.
Especially because there's Nature's Prophet.
A little pinned.
And
And a
ogre.
Bloodlust.
You know, they've got all these ways to sort of enable the Nature's Prophet and make sure that the matchup goes even more favorably for him in those team fights. So definitely on a bit of a timer here, Yandex.
ကဲဒီမှာတိုက်ကြီးမှာဖြတ်ဖို့ကြိုးစားပြီးအောင်ရင်အော်တော်တော်နာတာပဲ what the fuck saver နော်စစ်တန်းတွေရအောင်ပြီ
Around Watson, they are starting to crumble. Everything might just have to look to
Parivision အဲ့ Slada ပေးလို့မရဘူးဖြစ်ဒီကောင်ကြီးကမြင်တဲ့ကစားပုံနဲ့ Slada ရတားလိုက်
obvious when you're playing versus the Tidehunter, but DM in particular this game has no threat until that Silver Edge comes out, and that's exactly the kill they need to open things up massively. Because this is a Tide who has Ravage, they're able to just kill him. And
Oxen နောက်ဝင်များပြီမဲ့အလုံးမလုပ်ဘူးဗျ
No one now also. He has the Aeon disc already finished up. He's 3,000 ahead of Chira Jr. now at this point. So even if a Hex does come out, he'll have that protection.
No one Aeon disc.
Early days, even though it's only a 1k lead, but
ပွဲရတကယ်များတယ်ပွဲရ quality ပွဲရဖြစ်မယ်
with just even that small lead, knowing exactly how to play around the map.
Sort of what happened before in game 1, right? Yandex, they were allowed to kind of get this 4 or 5k lead. Similar things happening here in game 2. But when it started to slip away, they never were able to reclaim control of that.
Have to start to get Chira back into this game somehow. He can't die before he gets his next BKB. They're going to smoke him, but it's under a ward, and it does get seen.
And as you say, it is...
ဟုတ်တယ်တကယ်လို့ဒီပွဲတော့ပါရီနိုင်သွားရင်မကျန်တဲ့3သင်းတော့ပါရီနိုင်ပြီးတက်လာတဲ့ကောင်လေးပဲ
breaks the smoke. He's got the Aeon disc anyway, so even if he does get caught, was safe. And they don't even know where it came from.
တော့ပါရီတော့အရင်တော့လဲဝိုင်ဘယ်ကောင်တက်လာမယ် separate ကိုဘဘွန်အခုရှိ Yandex ပါနိုင်သွားအဲ3သင်းလုံးကနိုင်ပြီးတက်လာတာဆိုတော့
Many times when he's playing his Nature's Prophet also, look at the trees on the map. 1, 2, 3, 4 clamps were just 4
ကဲဟိုဘက်မှာဆက်စားရမိပြီကြောက်စူးပါချကန်လိုက်ရတယ်
Them go for the jump hit. For Wars 9 class, will make them work for it with the Yules. Won't be able to get the fear off. They take 9 class out.
ကဲ Russian လုတ်ချင်လို့လာတယ်ပေါ့တော့ဒီဘက်မှာတော့ညီလေးလည်း BKB ရတော့မယ်ဂျင်းနေအကိန်းငကောင်တော့ fan မရတော့တိတ်မခွာပါဘူး
I mean for Yandex they need to get a big
ဒီလေး BKB နဲ့ဆိုအဲလူနာကိုလည်းပြန်ဟဲလို့ရ
to get that advantage back into their
ပါပီးကခေါင်းမှာမပါပီးကတော်တော်မိုက်လာတာသူရောက်မှပါရီကစားကော်ကြီးက
after having his Midas picked up
ဟိုနေနေတော့မှပါရီဆိုမနိုင်မှုမလွယ်ဘူးဆိုတဲ့ fight ကြီးကခုနောက်ပိုင်းဒီပွဲဆိုနှစ်လိမ့်လုံးလိမ့်တော်ဖေးတာပွဲလုံးဒါမဲ့နော်ပြီးအချိန်တိုင်းတို့ pick off တွေယူတယ် map move တွေလုပ်တယ်ပြန် now wall တွေ fan တယ်ပြီးတို့ပြန်တာသွားတာပဲ
I believe he's going to be able to
ပွဲလုံး
at least 2 of the camps here. But this is so annoying. He does this every game when he plays the Nature's Prophet, preventing that extra.
ကဲဘုံမှာဆက်စားလေးတော့ပြန်နိုင်တယ်
Nice dangerous days. The bloodlust is so good on these 3 on the cores.
It really is.
And Chira.
Oh yeah. Oh, cookie လွဲသွားတယ်ပြမပြရလေရှောပြီဟောအေး no one နော်ဒီဘက်မှာကတိုးလေးလာပါလိုက်ဝေးသွားချီယာဂျူနီယာတော်စိုးနေတာအေး no one လည်းမရှိဘူးဒီကောင်ဒီကစလာဒါကြောင့်သူ psycho တွေဖောက်သွားတယ်လားဘယ်တိုင်းမှာစလာဒါဝင်ကျုံနေတော့
Yandex not able to find a position where they can force a big kill, get that Roche, get the advantage going for themselves. It looks like
Yandex ကင်ဆွဲတာကိုလာပါ drop တော့ကြိုက်တယ်ဒါပေမဲ့လူကမတာဘူးဖြစ်နေစောပေါ့က
Watson's going to have to do something insane. He is going to have to do some of the biggest carrying that he's done in this tournament to try and get Yandex through this game too and try and force him.
အဲ့ကလေးက position လဲ show လာမယ်နှောက်ချက်ကြီးက
Butterfly timing is going to be the big one for him, but noticed now he has a full nullifier as well too for these aggressive plays. Chira does at least have the BKB finished up now, but yeah, it's come out pretty late, and yeah, the tip comes out because this is just blocking the tip.
I was going to say, even then,
he's blocking everything.
He nearly was able to clear them out so he could get the ancient camp, but still not quite able to fully unblock it. I think
Personal fire any များတယ်နော် Slaughter crash နဲ့ damn ပြတ်နေတဲ့ကိစ္စ
There was very annoying stuff here for Watson.
I mean, there was multiple games I've watched from Satanic where he literally just blocking 4 or 5 camps at a time. It's super annoying to play against. Because Watson, he had the edge of this extra farm over him, but now it's starting to close that gap with these little extra moves and just the map shrinking for Watson in particular. When he's got Butterfly, they better not fight. I would imagine they have.
Because they
have Luna fly. I mean, Luna ကြီးက no water တကယ်မိုက်တယ်ကွာဒါပေမဲ့ Russian နေပါ force မှာတော့တန်ပါ Luna နဲ့နော်ဒီချိန်ကတော့ဘာဖြစ်ဖြစ်ဒီကောင် spell နဲ့နာနေသေးတယ်ပြီးတော့ nature prophet ကိုလည်းတာတယ်ကွာချဖို့
It's still not even finished for him.
Russian တော့ force တယ်
Slowed him down a little bit extra.
And no one is level 20 with a full Parasma with the Aeon disc too, so he's got the protection. His damage is high now at this point. And just the lack of disables for him is going to be apparent. If Soxa can force something here. He's got blink up.
Okay, no one ပြေးပြီဟောအေးဒီဘက်မှာ Aeon disc တော့ရှိတော့ရှိတယ် win the cars Aeon disc ကြီးနဲ့ no one Okay, now Snapfire စစ်တယ် no one သွားပြီညက်နေပြီဒီမှာ last week on နဲ့ way အောင်ပြန်ပြေးသွားပြီးတော့ပဲကဲကြောက်စူးကြီးကကြံနေခဲ့တယ်ဆိုတော့နောက်မှာ no one နှစ်ကောင်ပြန်ပေးလိုက်ရတယ်ဒီနေရာမရဘူးတွေ့လား ဒီဘက်ပါရီရဲ့ ATI မှာပြဿနာတက်သွားနေတာတော့ no one ပဲ
up there from no one. The jaunt only a few just a small little jump there. Is that the option for them to go for this Roshan? I think you go. On Yandex, I think you want to just immediately run to this Roshan, try to get
ကြောက်စုချခံလိုက်ရတယ်ဆိုတော့နှမျောစရာပြောကြောက်စု patient လောက်လိုက်ရင်တော့မဆိုးလား
5 minutes or so.
I mean, the thing is, they can also obviously push.
ကောင်းနေတာနောက်လာတယ်ကွတ်တီပြောအဲ့တော့ Aeon Dis လက်ကယ်လို့တော့မရဘူးအဲ့ကြောက်စုကိစ္စ
And then perhaps back up, but the puck's going to be back in time.
I mean, they kill it pretty quickly, but maybe not quickly.
ကိုလည်းပြင်းနေပြီဟုတ်တယ်တော်တော်နေကမှထောက်သွားနေတာ
What move they want to try?
Playing around Watson with this butterfly though. Getting that tier 2. They've got a solo crest to buff him up to. I like this formality this game. One side's got a bloodlust. You got to be able to counteract it somehow. 20 seconds, no puck. Do they start to force it? They're going to smoke instead.
အဲ့ညီလေးနည်းနည်းမားတဲ့နေ့နော်ပါရီအခက်တွေ့တဲ့နေ့ပဲဟုတ်လားလက်ရှိရတော့ကဲစမုံနဲ့စစ်တန်းနဲ့အန်နီများတယ်နော် Rabbit ဖင်းအောင်ခွဲမှာဟုတ်ကောင်
Still have the Ravage and the Eclipse.
တီအိုင်ကြမှာနည်းနည်းလေးကြာသွား no one အဲ့တော့တက်လေပဲမဟုတ်တော့အရင်ဆိုတော့ Mega Carry ရောတက်လေပဲ no one ဆိုလည်းပြကြပဲအဲ့တော့ the night class ကြောက်စုချလို့မရဘူးနော်ရပြီဒါကနဲ့ပြန်ပတ်အဲ့ Russian တော့ပေးရတော့မလားမသိ Russian တော့ force တော့ force
Despite the fact that Titanic had the info with the Trin in there.
No like ရတယ်ဝီစာဟုတ်ပါကိုလည်းရေချိုးတမင်းစားလောက်တာပဲ
I mean, it looks like they're not making any initial moves over here.
ဒီကညမအိတ်လိုက်ရအိမ်နည်းနည်းပြောင်းသွားတာလေညအိမ်အာကြီးပွဲကိုကြည်ဖီးတက်ပြီး2နာရီခွဲ3နာရီမှအိတ်သွားတယ်ပြီးတော့မနေ့ကျတော့9နာရီ40လောက်နိုးတော့4နာရီကြော်ပဲအိတ်ကားတယ်ပြောဆက်စားဘယ်မှာလိုက်တော့မ try တော့ notice
doesn't want to stick around too
yeah BKB မရဘူးတော့ win တော့ win မယ်တော့ရှိတယ်သွားပြီရဝေး notice win နဲ့ cast လိုက်မလားဒီနေ့ show နေတဲ့ cookie အဲ့တော့ပြန်တော့လဲရိုက်ဖို့စူးစမ်းနေပြီပဲ notice သွားပြီနော်စနဖာရစစ်တယ်ရောကဲအဲ့တော့ drop party နဲ့တာဝါတယ်ဆိုပေမဲ့နော်ဒီဘက်မှာနည်းနည်းတော့ပြန်တော့မားနေပြီ ages လည်းပေးရတယ်ခုနကနော်ဖလားသားကြီးလည်း play shot don't need to မပြောနဲ့ဟုတ်ပါကိုကမယုံမို့နေကမမထိဘူးနေကမမတပွဲမှာ game 3မထည့်လိုက်ဘူးနေကမဟိုနေ့တည်းကအဲ့ရန်တက်နဲ့ game 3ပြီးတယ်နေကမကျွန်တော်စိတ်ကုန်သွားအဘောစပရစ်တော့ကျွန်တော်မပြတော့ဒီနေ့လေးတော့တပွဲလောက်နားမယ်ဟိုကသူကအခုတော့ခေါင်းမူးနေလို့
He's still going to be able to do his job.
This one much closer than that last game.
They really are.
Rallied around Watson. That is the
ကဲဒီပွဲတော့ quality ပြတ်မယ်တင်ပါတယ်ကြည့်ရတာနော်ဂျန်နက်တော့ကလည်း chance တွေတော့ရှိသေးတယ်မားပုံတွေကတော့ငါမထော်ပါလို့မအရန်တော့မဆိုင်ပါဘူးဒါပေမဲ့နည်းနည်းပေါ့ Dead Arise လွဲသွားတယ်ဆိုပေမဲ့ BKB နော်ဘိုက်ဘူးလန်းနေတယ်နှစ်သိန်းလုံးကတော့ကတ်တိုးလေးတွေပြန်နိုင်တာတင်းပိုက်တော့မဆိုင်သေးဘူး
have that gem if he gets brought down can be dangerous in terms of map control for the next few moments. Teams matching each other with the moves.
မင်းနေမှာငါထားတယ်ဒီကတော့
he's the one queuing up.
အခုပြတာကြည့်နေတာမနေ့ပြန်လာခဲ့ရှစ်ခွဲ
timing when it does come out it will take a long time though.
ဟိုကတော့မျက်လုံးနဲ့မျက်တွေးနဲ့လည်းတော့နှက်နေအဲ့ကိုပြောလို့ drop ချရင်တော့ရန်တက်တဲ့ဇားတာချရင် party တဲ့အဲ့လိုပြန်မသိတဲ့ပုံစံက
Top lane. Cannot afford to slow down. Titanic. Still a few thousand behind that of Watson.
Toxa is limiting the map for Satanic to play in his usual places, though. That is the thing that this bounty always does in these games. This invisible impact that we talk about is it's not safe. Very aggressive. Like usually that would be safe positions for you to farm in. This bounty is running around looking for something.
ဟုတ်တယ်ဘွဲလေးတော့နားလိုက်မယ်ဘော်ရာရီအားလုံးနားလည်ပြီနော်မနှက်ပြန်ကြမှာအင်ပြည့်အားပြည့်နဲ့ fight နေကိုကြုံမယ်
Satanic, he's actually really looking for something here onto Chira. Noticed is in the area.
MKB နဲ့ကိုเนี่ยလေ agent က high ground တော့ပြေးတက်မလားဒါမှမဟုတ်လူနာနဲ့ဆိုတော့နော် tower ချိုးရင်တော့မြင်တယ်ခဏပဲ
And that's the Shiva's done. So decent recovery here for Chira after.
စစ်တန်းနဲ့တရောနော်လူနာ item တော်များတယ်
armor, bigger globs too, but the smoke vision, they're also keen to fight now. Into this age is still for 2 minutes. How they want to approach it.
ကဲတော့ T2 သလုံးနဲ့ထပ်တော့ချိုးတော့ချိုး
How much do they want to try and push this high ground?
think he's gonna at least poke.
ဒီကဇက်တိုက်ထိုးလို့ရတယ်ကူလောင်းပြရတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့နှစ်ခါထိုးလည်းအဖတ်မဖြစ်ဘူး။အော်ကြောက်စုပြေးချတာညာတော့ no one အမားရတင်ကစားယူပြီး DN ကျော်သွားပြီသရိုးနေပြီ DN အမှသွားပြီအောင်ရင်ဘလို့ကြီးပြေးဝင်သွားတာတော့မပတ်ကိုကြောက်စုပြေးချတာနော်မြန်မာလူကြီးကဲနော်မစစ်တန်းနဲ့နည်းနည်းတော့ချိုးနေသေးတယ်နောက်မှာအော်ဘိုက်ပူပြေးတော့လောက်တယ်ဆိုမှနောက်ကဝင်းတာကလာကြပဲဒီဘက်မှာဒူးကလေးပြန်မရှောသွားပြီရှေ့မှာလည်းစစ်တန်းနဲ့ BKB ကတော့ကြီးပြီးသွားပြီကဲတော့ DN ဘိုင်မက်ကြီးပြန်ပတ်မှရတော့မယ်လုံးဝဟုတ်တယ်ဟိုမှာလည်း notice show သွားသေးတယ်နော်အချိန်ကြီးကတော့ကဲရာဘီကြည့်တယ်ကွာတာဝါတွေအကုန်ပြေးချိုးရင်ရတော့ရရင်တော့လူနာကြီးနဲ့
They do because the BKB is on cooldown for Satanic. They're trying to force things because they have Ravage still.
It's true. DM has to be careful, but at the same time, if he sees a chance to get in with the Ravage, he will go for it.
Ravage အရေးကြီးတယ် Ravage time ကို show ရ
If they do see an opportunity.
He's so careful about how he shows himself. Watson. The barracks.
ကဲဒီမှာ night class orange ကြောင်းသားလေးတန်းတော့ပြောက်သွားတယ် Luna အားကိုတွေနဲ့ရောက်ရင်ဟာပွဲတခါတည်းကတန်းချိုးမှလားမသိဘူးဒီက Ravage ကျန်နေတာမရဘူးဘိုင်ဘတ်တွေနဲ့ဆိုင်မတော့ရမယ်လူနာချိုးတော့တော်တော်ကြီးမြန်နေအဲ့တော့ Ravi တန်းတော့ခွဲပေးလိုက်ပြီအသင်းနဲ့ connection အောက်နေတဲ့ DN ရဲ့အသင်းကဘန်ဝါမှာ Ravi ဝင်လာတဲ့နောက်မှာတော့ Eclipse Watson တော့လေးဝကနာတော့ဖန်တော့တင်ကန်လိုက်ရပြီနောက်မှာတောက်ကြောက်စတန်မန်ဒါနဲ့တော့ toss ပေးထားတယ် no one ဘက Slara crash ဘယ်တော့မလဲနောက်က Terrorize တော့မဲတော့စစ်တန်းနဲ့ပြစ်ပစ်တာရတော်တော်များလောသွားပြီလားစစ်တန်းနဲ့သွားပြီတော်တော်များလောသွားပြီလားနော်တော့ BKB မရှိပဲပြေးလောက်တဲ့နောက်မှာတော့ဒီဘက်မှာ no one ကဲထပ်တော့လုံးဖို့ကြိုးစားပြီမရဘူးရောက်ရင်စစ်တန်းနဲ့ဒါကြီးဆောင်းလောသွားပြီ
I could see why he would do that.
It was still cooled out for like 15 seconds.
They're making them feel desperate. That
team. ဟိုဘကအကုန်ပြန်ဖတ်နေပြီစစ်တန်းနဲ့ဒီမှာသွားတာ
to the Luna. Watson's just going to destroy you. They use what 2 buybacks as well there on Team Vision. But they do not get a whole lot at all. They lose the full set of racks top. And Yandex, they even look at a strike again. Saxa, Chira's
စစ်တန်းနဲ့မသိတော့နေတော့နေပြီအဲ့လောက်မနေသေးဘူးဟိုစစ်တန်းနဲ့သိရောတော့ carry ကြားထဲမှာနောက်ကတော့စတော့ပျောက်သွားပြီ
advantage because of it there. Satanic, a rare just full TP.
ဒီရှားပြသွားတာဆင်းသွားတယ်မြန်မာလူကြီး
Very, very risky play. He did not have the BKB back up. TP's into the middle of the fight under the assumption that that sort of position.
DN တော့လွဲနေတော့အသင်းနဲ့ DN နဲ့ connection အောက်ချက်ပဲ DN ဝင်သွားချိန်မှာအသင်းအကုန်ဖောက်သွား
I don't know. That's maybe the pressure getting to him a little bit in this.
အမေ DN စေးတာဟိုစေးတာပို့ဆိုးသွားတယ်
Smoke up.
ညီလေးစေးရပို့ဆိုးသွားအဲ့လိုပြ
There is no Aegis now for Watson. Scouting out DM. 9k lead now for the side of Yandex.
They're feeling very good right now, Yandex. But of course, as they know, against Team Vision, still far from over.
Watson now has hit the level 25. His damage is really starting to increase, and I believe he does also have the full data list now for the next fight. Satanic might not be able to stand his ground versus him.
They're going to kill him so quickly.
He's almost 2 items behind now versus this Luna.
Yeah. And Watson, as we said, he had to come into this game very good.
အဲ့ဆိုဒီအမေတကောင်နဲ့ကဘိုက်ပူတကောင်နဲ့လား
All this from Watson, and so far it has been.
ဘိုက်ပူရှော့ပြီ
Damage in the top side.
Carlos caught outside of the base. He's out for 50. Does have the luxury of buyback. Watson ready to move down the mid.
And Chira's made the full recovery in this game. He's able to play the backline, follow up with the kisses. It just feels easier to play the snap from behind than the Lina. The Lina just feels very dangerous and very threatened. Seeing him have much more success. Push is coming in.
စစ်တန်းကနာတော့နာတယ်ကဲဒီမှာ Ravi စစ်တန်းနဲ့တန်းပြောက်သွားပြီဟမ်အလုံးက Ravi ကစစ်တန်းနဲ့အတွက်ပဲချန်တာတန်းခွဲကဲဘိုင်ဘတ်တော့ရှိအဲ့ဘိုင်ဘတ်နဲ့ပြန်ဆိုင်မှုပဲလို့လား Slara crash
They're going to be ready to push on
for
another set of
တပ်ဖို့ကလည်းမလွယ်ဘူးကတော်တော်တောင်းတယ် Luna တိုင်းဟန်တာလည်းအရင်တော့တရုတ်တွေလုပ်တဲ့ကွာပဲ
Opportunity to get that BKB off. The burst, it's there. Watson just gets right on top of him.
And at this point, no catching Satanic. That will do it each and every time with these moves.
Ravi ထိတိုင်းမှာတော့ညီလေးကတော့ကျုံးကန်နေရတယ်ဟေး
I'm kind of seeing why
the puck's damage isn't there.
I don't even know. It just feels like the puck can't really do much. I mean, no one. He's got the farm and stuff, but I'm seeing these orbs flying around. it doesn't seem
I'll
to
say
do anything
on,
at all. I
Cam
don't
in,
know
I'll say on.
what this puck's doing.
It's
Yeah,
not the
over, ni le idea ni vai we bi show wai na bi ba.
in a way, not by any means. The supports are just too strong too. Like
ဟုတ်တယ် notice လာလာတာတော့တော်တော်အားလေးပိုင်းနော်ကျွန်တော် K တွေယူအဲ့လို mid တွေ like dry နဲ့
this puck, but Malady
ဒီကအဲ့တိုင်းတော့ဝင် bar တဲ့အချိန်အဲ့လို win weight ကားတွေပါဖြစ်ညီလေးကိုတစ်ချက်လောက်ကယ်ပေးမှတော့ဖြစ်တော့
the front line is of Yandex as well too. These moments, massive for them. And Chira now, he has the Hex himself. He's made the full recovery in comparison to no one. Now he's got the lockdown as well to follow up. This next hit could be the end of the game here.
Now, we'll make sure he holds on to the buyback gold here on Satanic. Very much needing it. If they do kill him, and he's not able to come back into the
ကဲဒီ
action,
မှာအင်ုံတက်တွေတော့ဝယ်တော့ဝယ်နေကြ
away from them.
He's gotten no growth though. Look at that. In the last 5 minutes, he's gotten what? I mean, now he old, so he gets up to 600, but he had like 200 gold gain in the last 5 minutes or so. Unable to get much of anything. And perhaps, yeah, like that invisible factor of the bounty. He can't go for these type of crazy plays where he's farming. No teams have been able to deal with Sox's bounty hunter in this one. Perhaps looking like they can take it as well too on the
ဒီလေး aggressive ဖြစ်ဖြစ်ကြာသွားတဲ့အောက်ကနေနော်အိုးရတောက်လျှောက်နေ
Ravage coming back up in 10 seconds. Yandex, they'll wait for that before the next fight. Roche in about 90 seconds.
They have to just find some sort of way to ensure that Satanic is not caught by that Ravage.
I'm wondering what the next. I guess it's going to be a Hex from
ကဲ Russian ကပေးမှတင်နေကြည့်ရတာ Parivision အပြင်အောင်မထွက်တော့
extra team fight because you're absolutely seeing that lackluster team fight in comparison from the side of Vision now at this point. Much more single target.
notice က aeon တွေပါတယ်
Next.
တော့အဓိက winner လောက်ထိန်းထားလဲမဆိုတော့မဆိုဘူးတော့
The ult's ready to press.
No one is outside. Be able to jump him just yet.
Yandex, are you waiting for Roche?
Yeah. Unless you catch somebody outside. You should just probably wait for that Roshan. You're still getting so many gains out of the map. Watson now having a 10k difference between him and Satanic.
That's crazy. Watson is. I mean,
ကဲဒီမှာ smoke အမေတော့ကျုံလို့မရဘူးနော်
like this, where he has been.
နောက်မှာထောက်တယ်အများကြီးပဲ
But nobody else has done this on the Luna this tournament, which is very impressive.
And not a lot of carries daring to try it, really.
အာဘာဝင်လို့တာအမေတိုင်းနိုင်နာဝင်သွားတော့ကိုရန်ကျောင်းသားလေးကတော့ကျုံနေရပြီလား
Set up onto him.
ဘိုးဘမှာလည်း no man ပေါင်းနေတယ် has can တော့ can လိုက်ရပြီပဲနောက်ဆုံး oh win the cars ဘိုးဘရဲ့မားချက်တွေကို show မင်းဟိုမှာ 9 class ကိုဝင်ခဲ့ရတယ် no one
And the curse dispelled.
အဲ့တော့ဆွတ်ဆွတ်ဖြစ်နေတာဒီကောင်းမျိုးတော့မင်း no one
Pops it instantly just to prevent that ability of the save.
Yeah,
Very smart there,
Absolutely,
Malady.
because he doesn't sort of sit back and go, oh, we got him with the Hex, don't need to do anything. No, make sure that
Make sure you lock
everything
him down.
required is thrown down.
တော့ဆုံးနေတယ်ကို no one ဖြစ်နေတယ်
He's not getting out.
Yeah, that basic dispel is very important versus something even like that Aeon Disc, because maybe no one could play his way out of that one somehow because of it.
Roche timing, hitting perfectly for them here. Aegis on Watson once again.
A hell of a game from him, truly. We said he had to make 0 mistakes. He's made 0 mistakes.
ဒီလေးကလည်းဒီမှာ idea ဝယ်လို့မရဘူးဘာမှတော့ချန်နေရတာဆိုတော့လွယ်တော့မလွယ်တော့ချဖို့တော့
On the other side of things, Satanic, a rare game where a few struggles and a few sort of mispositioning in these team fights.
ကဲတော့မလိုအပ်တဲ့ no one ဘာမှကြီးတော့တော့မဒီမှာထုံးစံတိုင်းစစ်တန်းနဲ့ BK ပြီးတော့ကြီးလိုက်သေးတယ်ရောက်ပြီတောက်ချောက်ဆိုပေမဲ့လူနာဝဝရှင်းချလို့ကမလွယ်ဘူးအဲ့တော့ပြန်တော့ပြစ်ဖို့ကြိုးစားနေသေးတယ်မရဘူးဟဲ့no one ဘိုင်ဘကဲ
To heal up.
ဒီမှာလူနာတာဝချိုးတာရောရှိုးတော်တော်မဲတယ်အဲ့တော့မထပ်ပြီးတော့ drink ကွိုင်ကျူးမဲဆိုပေမဲ့မရဘူး no one တက်မိနေသေးတယ်ကုတ်ကီးတွေကြားမှာပဲပြတ်သွားတော့မလားအိုးနောက်ဆုံး fish မရဘူးစစ်တန်းနဲ့လည်းပြတ်သွားခဲ့ရသေးတယ်အခြေအနေကတော့ကဲ no one လွတ်သွားတယ်ရှန်တိန်လေးမင်း
Try to defend with just the 4 of them. Crown.
ဘုဗမာ no one ပြန်ပတ်တော့သွေးနဲ့နှောက်နေတာရောက်ရင် no one အိုးရောပြန်ကောင်းလို့ဒီမှာ terrorize ဒီတစ်ချက်ပြတ်သွားသေးတယ်ရောက်ရင်
We'll finish it.
No one is still alive.
no one သွေးသက်သက်လေးမသေးတာကန်ကောင်းတယ်အော်ဒါပေမဲ့ no one နောက်ဆုံးတော့မရတော့ရှော့ပါပြီ
Not able to jump over the orb. He's dead for 2 minutes. That
ဘု
was
ဗ
a
မာ
dive.
terrorize ကိုရဲကြောင်းသားလေးလည်းလုံနေတာပဲရောက်ရင်
To bully the support, but the support they've got back.
Okay, that was 9 class ဘိုင်းဘက်တော့ချီတယ်
Watson's here, ready to clean up 9 class. As Watson ready to continue the push here down the mid, the buyback.
လုံးဝမရအောင်အဲ့14ကိုအင်ပြန်လိုက်ငါပြီးတော့ချလို့ရတယ်နော်ဒါပေမဲ့14နဲ့သူမျောသွားချလို့မရဘူး
Game 2 down and keep the pressure on whilst no one's out for 100.
ကဲအဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်4ယောက်5ယောက်အဲ့တော့မှ Aegis နဲ့ကျွန်တော်ဆိုင်ဖို့ကတော့မလွယ်တော့
They want to close this one up. 3 minutes still on the Aegis.
Trying some sort of way to keep Watson off the base, but it's not
ဒီ
working.
မှာ night class လုံးတော့လုံးနေရောက်နေကြပြတော့ပြတာနားရင်တော့တိုက်ကြီးပြတ်သွားသေးတယ်ရောက်ရင်ဒိုင်းဘက်ဒါပေမဲ့အော်ဒီဘက်ကလည်းလူနာပြတ်တက်တယ်အော်မစလာတော့ရှော့သွားပြီးတော့ပဲနောက်ဆုံးဟဲညီလေးစီကွေကိုကြီးတွေအောက်မှာပဲရှော့ချီ
We're going to a game 3.
no way ဘာဖြစ်နေရတော့ကွာအမားတွေတားများနေဒီမစ်ကြီးကအဲ့လိုသူလည်းသိရတဲ့ခေါင်းနဲ့ခါပြီးတော့နော်
Perfectly around Watson, who came in and gave us a show-stopping Luna performance, 13-0-8. You cannot ask for more from your carry.
Can't ask for more from your
ကဲအဲ့တော့ဘော်လာတွေနော်ကိုယ့်ရဲ့ K and over တော့ဇာတာပဲဒီပွဲလေးရတယ်အမေကို
small information he's
ဒီပွဲတော့ပြီးအောင်ပြလိုက်မယ်ဗျာနော် sprint နဲ့ bubble လေးတော့ကျွန်တော်နားမယ်နော်အဲ့တခုတော့ခွင့်ပြုအဲ့တော့မကြခင်ပြန်လာခဲ့မယ်ကျွန်တော် drop face ဆိုင်
used to disappoint.
Yeah, I don't think
သူကမျက်လုံးတွေပါကိုက်မျက်ရိုးတွေပါကိုက်တယ်လို့ပါတော့အသက်အရွယ်စကားပြောနေ
on there for no one. That 27%, probably 26%, some quick maths, win rate after that one. Not showing us any other reason to believe that that hero can kind of fight that win rate. It's not looking great.
They clutched it up.
ကဲအဲ့တော့ပြန်တွေ့ပါမယ်အားလုံး
The map this time around, completely constricting and controlling, getting the Roshan, playing the objectives. This time, they didn't let go of that pedal. They kept putting their foot on it, didn't let that space come out for Vision.
Yeah, Yandex striking back hard after being knocked down in game 1. We go into a game 3 here in this upper bracket final. 1-1 right now between Yandex and Team Vision.
And that's the joy. That was what we were all hoping for. The fact that we would get to see a game 3, get to see Yandex come back, have control, and be able to apply that pressure in the way that they were able to for game 2. It was just phenomenal. We already said it. We know that their laning stage is strong, Quinn. We know that they're a team that can apply pressure, but are you able to overcome the hurdles and the challenges that Vision throw at you to be able to close it out? This time around, their draft was phenomenal, and they were successful in that.
Yeah, I think it's the exact kind of game that defines a TI run. You are ahead early, you fumble a little bit, the game is shaky, the game is on even terms, and you clutch it out, you win some big fights, and you win the game. That's the kind of thing you need, the kind of gumption, to stick to it even whenever it's tough, that lets you win. Aiden talks about it all the time. On the runs, you don't think about these close games. Whenever, you know, if they win the Aegis, they're not going to look back on this and think like, oh, it was so close. Everyone will be like, oh yeah, they did beat Vision, and blah, 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 blah. But no, it was on thin ice, and they clutched up, and that's what matters.
And gumption is a very good word for it because at some point it did feel like they were letting slip of their lead, they were letting slip of that early tempo that they tried to set, and they just didn't overreact. They didn't make any moves that would have been overcorrecting for maybe giving away a pick off here and there, losing their snap here and there, and they just waited for their timings and they executed it very cleanly in this game.
Yeah, I honestly have no clue what gumption means, but probably was the perfect word to describe what we saw. I mean, this game, what's really cool, and I feel like the story of the series has been, whichever team has the stronger team fight, whichever team is able to play those 5v5s, has ended out coming on top. I was watching in the green room thinking like, oh my god, this is an amazing puck game. I've seen Nisha do it time and time again, where he just split pushes the map, they cut waves, you delay the game, and eventually you're just this unkillable raid boss. But Yandex just didn't give them time to do that. They decided to take it straight up to the high ground. I believe they had a 2k lead the first time they walk up high ground, which is unheard of in modern Dota. That's not what people tend to do. Usually, you don't see that until 80k ahead. So, amazing gameplay from Yandex. They were able to recognize their timing is right now, and they went for it, and they clutched it out.
Yeah, 13-0 and 8. Like it's not easy to do that. I totally agree. Whenever the game is even like that, especially kill score, the vibe of the game, you've sort of been on the losing foot, and that affects your mentality and how the game feels. And so to have the Chad energy to say we're gonna walk up anyway, that is really, really difficult. Like it looks difficult, but it's even harder when you're actually clicking the buttons.
Yeah.
Everyone doing so well on the side of Yandex, and I know it's very easy to look at a 13-0-8 Luna there, and obviously everything else that went that well for them, but the Bounty Hunter again, I think, is so pivotal in what helped them in that early game, and another win on the main stage for this hero too. Like, you cannot overlook it anymore. You try and call Yandex's bluff when you're Team Vision, and you go, we're going to let it in, we're going to think maybe a little bit of a fraud check, see if you guys are actually that comfortable on it. You can't do that again. You cannot do that in a game 3.
Saxa is absolutely the guy that you do not want to give this hero to. He devastated, again, a lot of that laning stage, and he was able to catch people off guard. There was this one moment where Satanic came through the gate to try to pressure Watson, and Saxa was there. They caught him at that gate and killed him, and little moments like this add up to making Watson that pivotal force that he was. You can see in his score, 13-0-8, his GPM was 1,058. It feels like he's had 1K GPM this entire tournament in Samian.
I mean, Watson has been unbelievably impressive. I think, like, we've talked about it, so I won't go too much into it, but he is honestly showing why he has been ranked 1 for so long. I think what's really cool now, though, is that the draft script kind of changes now, because we were in a position coming into this game where we were doubting, like, okay, you're banning 2 heroes on Yandex that you potentially could be first picking. And now they've managed to prove that, you know what, we don't need that 1 hero. This bounty hunter is crucial for us. And once the bounty hunter ban comes out, Quinn talked about it earlier, it gives them something else. Now, you're going to get your Invoker, or maybe your Enigma is on the table again, or you get the SF. So you're going to get something else that you previously didn't have in your pocket.
And to talk about another reason why I think this bounty hunter really succeeded, and it's because they were able to pick this Tide as well for DM. And I think it's really cool that they did this, because not only did Tide have a really good lane against the first pick Furion that you saw, having a hero like that can self-sustain is what activates Bounty Hunter in the early game. If your Bounty Hunter has to sit on your lane, drag waves, try to snipe couriers for you to make it somewhat tolerable, you can't really get maximum value out of that hero. But because DM was on this Tide, he was able to move around. And outside of that, this Tide became kind of a problem in the map. I think it was very cool how they used him. He got that first item, Consecrated Wraps, just parked himself on lanes, and they couldn't run into him. They couldn't bring the heroes to take him down, so they just had to avoid him on Team Vision.
Yeah, it's a problem that you don't really have ways to deal with. And I think if you look at the way Vision pick their heroes and the way they strategize this game, it's very focused around Satanic. They've got Ogre buffing him. They've got Corrosive Haze for him to hit. They've got Puck to keep people controlled, which is typically the way Yandex structures their draft, right? It's all around Watson, and they're experienced at doing that. I think they've had great results doing that. Whereas Vision, we've talked about it, I think they do better whenever everyone sort of has their own way to shine, and they get to show each person's individual skills. So when they focus all their eggs in the Satanic basket, I don't know, I think the basket broke a little bit this game.
There was a lot of weight on the Nature's Prophet's shoulders to do so much in this, especially when we go back to this Puck. I feel like we cannot overstate how rough of a game this Puck is, or just in general, a TI a Puck is having right now. The win rate looking really rough, but it was so confidently called by Yandex's coach, Axel. He was saying that it's a harmless Puck pick. In fact, Puck in itself is quite harmless. And you can see it. It's reflected in a lot of different ways where you would expect with that little bit extra XPM, that little bit extra GPM there, that we would have seen more coming out from no one's Puck. But there were still ways, despite the side of Yandex not having instant stuns and reliable stuns, there were still ways that they were able to ensure that he wasn't as slippery as a Puck loves to be.
I mean, I think it does speak to the state of the hero currently, that he can be picked in a game where there are no instant disables against him and still not be let through. Axel said that, yeah, technically it's a free Puck game, but we don't care. It's the most harmless pick we could have let through, and that's what we saw. I think no one couldn't really get that much done, to be honest. Maybe it's the fault of not being able to run into this Tidehunter, again, tying it back into the draft, but there were some weird decisions here and there. I don't think the Aeon Disc, for example, served that much purpose in this game.
I think no one, to be honest, amazing mid laner, but Puck just doesn't seem to be his most, comfortable hero either, which in a situation like this where Puck isn't that strong, even though it's a free game for it, maybe when in a patch where Puck is more powerful, he would be able to pull it off, but he's not a specialist Puck player like Mikoto or Nisha or some of these other players that have been here at TI. So I think probably stay away from that hero moving forward.
Yeah, I think it also speaks to the understanding of a hero, and sometimes the counters are less obvious than it would seem. In this game, they don't have ways to kill the Puck, but they have ways to beef up and be super tanky so that Puck can't kill you, and you reach a point eventually where you can buy the item called Hex, and it gives you the disable to kill the Puck, and so there's a timing window where, okay, Puck has Blink and he has Witchblade, and you can't deal with him, and he's a nuisance. But if you wait 5 minutes longer, now there's a Hex, and he spends his next 3.5k gold on Aeon Disc, he throws it down the toilet, it does no damage, and you can run out of damage in these fights. And I think we see it where Yandex jumps in and they go on them, and Satanic is hitting, and Puck is hitting, but nobody is dying, and eventually Yannex's damage just pushes through.
Yeah, you've run out of solutions. You've run out of answers there. But fret not, especially for you guys at home. You're going to get the joy of a game number 3. But before that, if you're here in the arena or if you guys are wanting to do it online, there is the secret shop that is still open. There's so many goodies and adorable goodies at that. We have the little froglings. This one's got the... I don't really have a shoulder to put it on, but you can... He sits on your little shoulder. You got your courier Quinn.
His name is Jimothy. He is mine.
I don't think you can name him. He's not actually yours.
No, I named him.
Okay, it's Jimothy. You got Roshan next to you?
I got little bro Roche. It's little bro Roche.
Little pup.
What do I have?
The mugs.
Here, have this guy.
You can have Lago.
Have this Johnson.
Yay! Bull Belly Blitz.
Is that your favorite of his 3?
I think so. Actually, I like Hot Feet Hustle.
I was going to say, I think Hot Feet Hustle is my favorite.
Probably.
It's up there, it's up there. But there's a lot of things, yeah. Mugs, so many plushies, t-shirts, yeah, merch galore. So make sure you guys head out and check out the secret shop as well there. And we can look back at what game number 3 might have in store for us here. The winner here, going to grand finals of TI-15. It's crazy to think that you are one game away. We had that pretty heartbreaking interview earlier from Sumail where, you know, just 12 hours ago, 24 hours ago, they were one game away from making it to top 3. I feel like there might be a similar sentiment for a team that feels that they don't make it all the way to a grand finals when it comes to Vision and Yandex. You come in as heavy favorites for this tournament. For Yandex, you struggle a little bit. For Vision, it feels like it's been mostly smooth sailing. And so to put it all in a game 3 to make it there, I got to wonder who stands up, who is going to be that slight bit more confident.
Yeah, it's the most important thing, genuinely. All the draft and the gameplay, these things matter a great deal, but the vibe, the environment, how they feel backstage, how they think they're going to play, they're imagining how they want the game to pan out. These things are so incredibly important. It's a skill that is very difficult to create, but you can see the conversations backstage. People do these things in different ways. Sometimes you want to be involved in the conversation and talk and be energetic. Other people want to recede into themselves and think and go to a different place that allows them to focus on themselves. There's so many different ways to approach it, but it's up to each individual player and the team as a whole to focus on what really matters.
And to fill that role for either team, again, we have to talk about Saksa and how he's able to unify them in moments like this with his veteran experience.
I would say right now, if anything, probably Team Vision are very happy that they were in this position yesterday against Spirit, because they dropped that game 2, which was, I think it's always a tough position where you win game 1 and then you lose game 2, and it's a high pressure stakes game 3, because I think the team that wins the previous game usually comes in with a slightly better mental state. Like, you don't have to reset the same way that the losing team does. So they have this experience yesterday and they managed to pull it off, and they pulled it off in fantastic fashion against Spirit. So I think for them, it's nice to have had that experience yesterday.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think it's also impressive for Vision, a team that, I think if you look back earlier in this team's history, they had a bit of a tilty vibe. Like if they started losing, I think they would keep losing and the game would crumble. But they've shown that to not be the case in any of their games in this tournament. There have been many games where they mess up a couple of fights. Even the game 1 in this series, they were down some gold, but they're okay and they stay strong. They had the fast GG in game 2 against Spirit yesterday. Once again, they bounce back, they win game 3. I think this team is different than they used to be, and I think they've improved a lot of fortitude. And so while I agree there's a slight sort of emotional vibe advantage for Yandex, it's nothing that I think Vision can overcome.
The growth that has occurred between both of these rosters throughout the year, obviously Vision, last TI, they had a top 3 finish for themselves, and it's crazy to think that they have an ex-teammate on the other side, and whilst you both have secured at minimum a top 3, you want to take it that one step further, and you want to be the person that it isn't a right or wrong situation, but justified in the move that was made, knowing that your teammates are that slight bit better than what you left behind, that the fact that you could advance and be in a position that those who you used to play with aren't going to get to be in. And so much more rides on in this game 3 that you're hoping when they enter the booths, whilst that is a fire that burns underneath them, it's not what sits there at the forefront of their mind.
But it definitely is pushing them a little bit, right? You want to be the one who was correct in your decision. You want to say, if you're at Yandex, that we were absolutely right for taking DM. And you want to, if you're Vision, say, look at that, Noticed is a beast, and you guys lost. You know, that does inspire them a little bit. I think even Decalis had his player profile. He has like a meme of...
It's like Saksa kicking Notice.
Kicking Notice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I haven't seen this.
I've seen it. So his player profile is literally that meme of this player getting kicked, and it's just hilarious to me.
There's definitely some tension there. Like, I mean, you can even see it at the end of game 1. I think no one tips DM, and there's no tip back. It's not like a friendly tip. This is a, hey, you lost. like I'm coming after you kind of tip. I think you can feel that. To be honest, I think there is definitely an extra level of competition here, and especially with that offlane swap, I think there's a lot of no. I was the right one. Like who was right and who was left is a classic Dota story, and I think this is the manifestation of that in modern times.
Also, anyone that tells you that they don't care about beating their previous teammates is just straight up lying. There's always that extra fire when you play against somebody that old teammate of yours, whatever like that. I think in this case especially because like obviously DM wasn't utilized in the right way on Vision and Notice wasn't utilized in the right way on Yandex, and they both had like differing opinions from the team. So being swapped over and then now feeling like we found our home and we're being able to play to our maximum potential, that for sure is like lights a fire on you, and you definitely want to prove that your way of playing it is better than the other guys.
Yeah, and since we bring up the swap, like I do want to talk about both of these players a little bit in this series because I do think that DM has delivered today and yesterday, and he's kind of gone a little bit under the radar. His axe yesterday was really good and part of the reason why they were able to clutch that game 3. And in this game too, his Tidehunter, while his role wasn't very flashy, and it wasn't like the end-all be-all, it was the reason why Watson was able to go 13-0 on Luna.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's on the biggest stage. It's in the most important game. It's down 1. Like, I think if you're not able to shine in those moments, then when are you going to shine? And he has. And I think they will need him too in the future because the pressure is on. This next game is only harder. And that's why TI is so exciting, right? We talked about Sumel's exit interview. And the reason why TI is the coolest tournament is because everybody cares so much. It just matters more. And that just creates for way more exciting and awesome games.
The pressure is on. The pressure is definitely felt by these players in whatever regard and which way you want to point it there. And so when you look at a game number 3, we thought Saksa would be that voice for the side of Yandex. Is there one that sticks out for you in Stadium when you see the lineup of Vision? Who would be that voice?
I think outside of the game, it's definitely Puppy. And I think Puppy probably centers them a lot coming into games like this. I think knowing that they have Puppy behind him and knowing that he is like, he's been here so many times and he's done it before, it just gives him confidence. I think whatever he says, he has like that aura buff of having all these results in the past, that whatever he says, it's going to speak to them and they're going to trust it. And then I would assume in the game, no one has also been here. He's the guy that they're going to look for. But to be honest, I don't even know if they need all that.
Team Vision versus Team Yandex. Game 3.
They might not need it in the game, but they're definitely going to need it in the draft because a lot is going to come down to what these teams can get their hands on. We've already spoken about how detrimental it felt putting no one, quite a stable player on a hero like Puck that hasn't been performing. How Saksa was able to get his hands on a bounty hunter that has almost been overperforming on the main stage. And so now you wonder, how do you correct and ensure that you're not over adjusting? It is going to be Yandex with the back-to-back first picks for themselves. That's the game that they were able to win. And so we look to see if there will be any changes when it comes to these bans. Right now there isn't. An Io and a Treant taken out. And for the side of Yandex, it's still going to be that Lone Druid and Darkseer. And I wonder, it's going to be that change up, and Earth Spirit is going to be left in the pool, and instead it's Coddle that's taken out this time around.
I think for Vision, it's just a matter of responding to the problem that whatever Yandex will throw at them will be. Because in that game too, we saw the Furion, we saw the Slardar. That's heroes that have heavy physical damage and intend to burst, intend to do a lot of damage. Yandex responded with a Tidehunter. They said, we're giving you an unkillable hero for your lineup that wants to kill. What are you going to do about it? And essentially, they just choose to not reply to the Tidehunter. And it didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, Tidehunter is one of those heroes that if you don't have an answer for it, he just absolutely takes over your map, and he will just sit on any lane that he chooses and just make your map super small. And it's really problematic to play Dota against heroes that are unkillable very early on into the game.
This is I think this Coddle ban is super interesting because my read on it is that they thought Vision was going to ban Bounty Hunter this game, and so they want to leave the Earth Spirit.
Hello. Okay, အားလုံးပဲမင်္ဂလာပါကျွန်တော်တို့ Parivision versus Yandex Game 3 error နော်ဒီနေ့ကျွန်တော်နောက်ဆုံးကိုပြမယ်ပွဲပေါ့လေအဲ့တော့ဘယ်သူအနေနဲ့ကျွန်တော် Grand Final ကိုထားလိုက်တယ်ရောက်ရှိသွားမလဲအဲ့တော့ဆက်ပြီးတော့ကြည့်ရမယ် Nature Prophet ကိုနော်ဒီပွဲ first pick ကဲအဲ့တော့ညီလေးတို့များ Nature Prophet ပြန်ပြချင်တာလားနော်
like offering of a trade.
My only guess would be is that they have some hero up their sleeve that they just want to counterpick Earth Spirit mid with, like some old school CJ counter.
ကဲနောက်မှာ Osprey နော်အဲ hero ရလဲ fine နော် Osprey မ no one
more problematic this tournament. And
Osprey တွေပါရမဘန်းတင်နေတယ်တော့ပါ
But I don't know what that counter pick will be. Like typically for CJ it has been Slardar, but we haven't seen it come out so much. Could there be something else up his sleeve?
no one လောက်တိုင်းမဖြစ်တဲ့နောက်မှာသူရဲ့ quality Osprey နဲ့တော့လောက်တိုင်းဖြစ်အောင်တော့ပြန်ပြမှာတော့ရမယ်ဘက်ကမရအောင် no one ဘက်ကပွဲတိုင်းရှုံးတယ်ဘာလို့ဆိုတော့လက်ရှိ no one အမားများတယ်အရင်တော့သူကောင်းခဲ့တဲ့ဘက်တစ်ခက်ကတော့ရှိတယ်အမေအခုနောက်ပိုင်းဘက်ရမှာမဟုတ်တော့ဘယ် hero ဆက်တော့နည်းနည်းမားနေတော့ဘက်ကျတော့တစ်ခါမှမသေးဘူးအဲ hero
There's stuff that you can put up pair together with Coddle that are problematic and you don't know how to deal with it. But this forces the early.
အဲ့တော့အခုလိုမျိုးအမားကံမဲ့ hero ရပါပြီးနည်းနည်းယာရုချလိုက်တယ်တော့ကောင်းတယ် Osprey မှားလို့ရတယ်နော်
Like they,
အကတိုက်တွေနဲ့ရှေ့အောင်ဝင်ပါညာဆိုတော့
Coddle, they don't have a set answer for.
Osprey လေးရအောင်ဆို
That is fair. And there's stuff like Ember Spirit, there's Slardar, there are heroes that CJ plays that are sort of classical counters to Earth Spirit they could go for. There's also an option.
ပြီးတော့ရင်ဒီဘက်ကဘာဆော့ info ကားတွေပါလေချိတော့ချိတယ်
skillful on this hero.
Notice skillful မဟုတ်ဘူး Tia Junior Voga နော် no one ၄ဝဲဆို၄ဝဲနိုင် Osprey
And just to follow up on the Earth Spirit, Team Vision haven't lost a single game on it. So I kind of doubt this a lot.
I mean, they also on the side of Yandex have not lost with the Nature's Prophet on Soxa. So what's gonna win out? They're not even comparable, but what's gonna win out?
It is ultimately like that's how the tournament goes, right? You're gonna have to play against something that just doesn't lose.
ကဲတော့မစလာတာဟုတ်တယ်ဘန်းရမယ်ကွာ notice စလာတာထူကြပဲ
I'm not sure Night Class has lost on Coddle either, so
ကဲနောက် Enchantress
that's just the nature of the game, I think, when you reach this end point
Osprey
and you have to play against the
Enchantress.
best team in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty much
ကောင်းတော့ကောင်းတယ်နော် Nature Prophet တော့နည်းနည်းလေး
and what Dota
ပြခက်
comes
ခက်တဲ့
down
နှစ်
to
ကောင်း
is
လုံး
who's
ရွေးပါ
right and who's wrong. And if you're picking this, you're making this trade, you're saying, I think we have an understanding edge on you and we're going to exploit that and you're going to pay for it because we understand this hero in a way that you don't. That's so much of this. Every hero, you need to understand the matchup knowledge, and if there's a slight deviation there, you get a little bit of space, you get a slight advantage, and you can continue to build on that, take a gold lead from it in the game and snowball.
It's interesting to me that they banned off
တိုက်ကြီးပဲပြန်ရွေးနေရွေးကွာ DN နဲ့လိုက်တယ်မင်း
against the Earth Spirit in the mid lane.
Marana တိုက်ကြီး
Makes me think they're more leaning towards a potential Ember coming out. And I personally saw this matchup once this tournament. I didn't think it was super inspiring.
Yeah, it's not what he used to be because Earth Spirit's base damage is just so extreme. And if he has 2 points in kick and 2 points in pull, he can just insta-break your shield at level 4. Which is something that not a lot of other heroes can do. So it's certainly not a lane that Ember does well in, but the synergy with Mirana and Nature's Prophet is very nice because you get in there, you have chains to allow them to hit and also to land the arrows. So like there's validity to it, but it's nothing crazy.
The issue with Ember, if it comes out now, is there's still Largo that we haven't really seen be a factor in this series, but it's
Man, you boy, let's see. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, drop cover. Osprey မြင်တာလည်းမင်း
and there's this
လို့နှစ်စားတွေပါပြောတာ
second phase by Team Vision, which tells me that they're building ahead.
Osprey တွေကောင်မဲ့ပြလိုက်ရမြင်စားတွေ22စားမဟုတ် 3.3 တောင်ပြော
Also find Enchantress to be quite a strong hero whenever Ember starts playing on this Flame Guard build. And
ကဲတော့ and dying နော်ဒီဘက်က Nature Prophet Mirana
heroes on the map, and you can pretty much just follow Ember around and just press Purge on his Flame Guard, and he can never farm. So it is quite an interesting pick for Team Vision. It's not a hero I really see them play that much, but I think they have it in mind. They're building heroes that are able to respond to something that might come up in the future.
You're also stacking up a lot of early aggression and gank potential when you pick Earth Spirit and follow it up with Ench, but it's not in a way that's too redundant. Earth Spirit gives you teamfight and magic damage. Ench gives you a lot of early tempo and tower push, and these heroes combine very well together. If Ench walks through the lane with her creep, Earth Spirit rotates suddenly. Not only do you get the kill with Earth Spirit's ganking ability, but you get the power too with the creeps, and so they
တော့လေဒါမဲ့ဘာလို့အဲ့လောက်ကြီးတည်မှာ Parivision ပဲ Parivision ဆင်း game 3ကြိုက်ခုနေကြမှုလားမသိ
Also, if you think about how they
ခြေပွဲတွေကဒဲဒဲတွေပိုင်းထွက်နေတာ game 2တော့
very like single target damage, whereas Earth Spirit's damage is very spread, which is a nice thing to have because Earth Spirit's gonna roll in, you're gonna catch some people, you're gonna silence a bunch of people, and then you will have these like impetus raining in from the back line. So
ကဲနောက်မှာတော့ကြောက်ဝဲလို့
gives you ways to kill heroes.
အော်ရတော့မတန်ဘူးနော် no way Osprey ကိုယုံတော့ယုံနေဆိုပေမဲ့
both teams. My biggest question still comes back to Nature's Prophet versus Earth Spirit. To me, that's the biggest discrepancy. This is the trade you chose.
အဆုံးမဲ့အင်ဂျာလေးလုပ်ပေးပါအောင်နဲ့ okay ဗျာ
It's very polarizing. Like Earth Spirit is absolutely good against Nature's Prophet. But
Okay, now my team was so Parivision
how they change this matchup because other heroes in the draft can shift how a matchup would normally go, and I want to see what their answers are.
ကဲတော့ဘာနဲ့ပြန်ဆော့မလဲ Viper တွေဘာတွေဆော့မှတော့ရမယ် Viper မစ်ကြီးကြိုက်တယ်ကွာဒီပွဲ
I would be very surprised if this ends up being the carry.
အဲ့တော့တောက်တင်းပြန်ဖြုတ်မှရမယ် Viper လောက်နဲ့
Timbersaw, it's enabled by Dark Willow on lane. It's just going to give so much damage versus this.
နောက် Chia Junior Voka နဲ့ပြန်ဖမ်းရင်လည်းဖမ်း Voka ဆိုလည်းမစိုးဟိုဘက်ကစတန်သိမ့်မရှိဘူးเนาะ Invoka အမ Invoka လာပြီ
Because that's a
တချီယာဂျူနီယာဖိုကာဆိုတာဘတ်သိမ့်မကန်သေးဘူးနော်ဗီဇီယန်ထဲမှာတော့ဗီဇီယန်လောက်မဟုတ်ပဲသူကလည်းကောင်းလာတော့ကောင်း
long time ago whenever Earthspirit rolls
အဲ့တော့ပပီအဲ့တခုတော့လိုသွားပြီဘာလို့စတန်မကြည့်ဘူးအဲ့ဗိုကာကိုဖမ်းဖို့ကဒုက္ခတွေဖြစ်သွားနိုင်
it could be quite tricky to do the whole get in and out thing for Earthspirit.
Yeah, it is true. You have to play more on the.
ဘာလို့ကမရှိတယ်3.3တောင်ပေးနေတာကိုကတော့ရန်တက်ထည့်မလားလို့အဲ့အော်ဆိုတော့
two backline supports the fact that now you.
game 1 game 2ကလည်းပြတ်မှမပြတ်တာနှစ်ပွဲလုံးကရန်တက်ကတော့အားလိတာသေးတယ်
There's stuff for that, so it can be.
အခုကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီမှာ Invoka ကြီးပါထက်ရတာသေးတယ်ဆိုတော့မစိုးမိုက်တယ်
Maybe the game is a little bit slower. Yandex has more time to get their cores online. Little interactions like this can change the duration of the game quite a bit, which allows Yandex to potentially scale with their 2 range cores.
ဒီတဲ့နဲ့ဒီသိမကွာတော့3.3ကဲထည့်ကွာထည့်ပြီးကွာတော့ရန်တက်
on like making sure they solidify their team fight. They go for the Invoker.
3.3
Invoker and Line are quite nice heroes together because you get Tombstone Vision. It allows Invoker to press buttons on the right heroes. Invo has a lot of crowd control that allows them to keep people inside a Tombstone range. So it's a nice way to play team fights out for them.
Also, this shot, by the way, we're seeing like the Tundra win that Suxa had back in 2022. It's great.
The
only one from that lineup that's still playing competitively that hasn't won a second TI, and he could do it. Of Skeeter and Snay doing it, which was right off the back of
Nature Prophet
The script says Saxa has to win.
Invoka ဆိုတော့ share ပေးမရှိတော့ဘူးညီလေးစောင့်နေကြ hero တွေထဲမှာ
plays at his next TI.
7လားညီလေးနောက်ပိုင်းဆိုတော့ live stealer ရှိမယ်ပြီးတော့
That's a good point.
ညီလေး live stealer မဆို Osprey နဲ့တွေ့ရနော်
Are you guys concerned at all about Invoker though in this game? Because
notice တင်ပါကျန်တယ်မဟုတ်ကျန်တော့ကျန်ဒါပေမဲ့အော်အဲ့လောက်မကွာသေးဘူးလားလို့သူတို့ game 1 game 2 ဆော့ဘောက်ကပြနေ ပြီးတော့ live stealer လဲစိုးလောက်တယ် Invoker စပယ်လဲသုံးလို့မလွယ်တော့ live stealer
early on they're going to be playing around it and trying to shut it down. The only counterplay coming out of Yandex is going to be this Undying rotating to the mid lane and
နိုင်ပွဲရရှိတယ်မန်ယူခဏမန်ယူလဲနော်
can always be good, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be the aggressors. They're just going to be reactive.
I think on paper the Yandex trio is slightly weaker, but if you manage to time it right, you manage to catch Earthspirit on a
Long throw က ban လာတယ် first ban long throw က
Tombstone decays, you can definitely
အမ live stealer ကောင်းလိုက်တာကွာ ban အဲ့နှစ်ကောင်ဆိုးတာဟုတ်တယ် live stealer လည်း ban သွားပြီ
So if they can find the tempo on the Earthspirit and never really let him come online,
တင်မော8တော့တော့ရမစိုးပါ
I do think it is.
အမေအဲ့ဒါမျိုးဆိုလေဒီဘက်ကအဲ့လို post set တွေပိုင်းတော့သွားလို့ရတင်မစိုးဟိုက Invoker ဒီပွဲကိုမြင်မှာတော့ Invoker game ကောင်းတယ်
I'm not willing to put my money against.
အဲ့ Osprey မှာပဲလိန်သားမနေဝိုင်းအစီပြေလောက်ပြီးတော့ DM နဲ့
early game. They've
ဒီပွဲတိုက်ကြီးကတော့ game မကောင်းဘူးเนาะအဲ့တော့လည်းသိတော့မိုက်တော့မိုက်
last game they were ahead in the early game, and so for me I look at
အဲ့တော့တင်မအမှန်တော့တိုက်ကြီးတော့မကောင်းဒီပွဲက
good laning team. You can pick weaker lanes and abuse your skill to give you better matchups in the game, and I think that may be something they're trying to do.
DM နည်းနည်းလို့ hero အစမ်းများထွက်လာမလားလို့
they're accepting.
သူရဲ့ analog တိုက်ကြီးရော king cut
they think they're so good at early game that it doesn't matter.
Interesting. They banned
မတင်ထားတဲ့ hero တကောင်ထွက်လာမယ်တဲ့
and on the other side they banned Centaur and Axe.
အော်တိုက်ကြီးပဲကွာမရဘူးเนาะအဲ့တင်မစိုးနေတကယ်ရောကောင်းရင်လား
Is it one of those things that running it back in this situation does make sense?
ဒီကလိမ့်မနေရင်ပြီးရောကြီးတင်ပါတယ်ကွာအဲ့တိုက်ရတာပစ်ကြီးရတော့
I generally like fight against almost all the spirits because he's one of those heroes that just doesn't die.
ကဲတော့ညီလေးအနေနဲ့တော့နည်းနည်းတော့ခေါင်းကျိတ်မယ်ခုနဒီက personal တွေမြေလုံးဝစေတန်းနဲ့ပဲ raw ပဲပြ
anchor put on you, you're not moving around and all the spirits rely heavily on
စေတန်းနဲ့ only raw ပဲ
Yeah, it's very true. You're obviously against Timbersaw, which is not ideal. He cuts through you and it makes you not unkillable. Like
လုံးဝနည်းနည်းကြာနေတယ်ဆိုရင် Osprey ကြတော့အမားကန်ပါတယ်ပတ်ကြတော့အမားမကန်တဲ့ hero ဆိုတော့အဲ့ချိန်မကန်တဲ့
they want someone to help them around.
ကဲညီလေး hero စိတ်ဝင်စားပါပြီနားနဲ့လည်းနည်းနည်းအဆင်ပြေရမယ်နော်
Tanky heroes are going to tend to suffer versus
Luna ပြန်ဆော့မလားဒါမှမဟုတ် Luna ပြန်ဆော့လည်းဖြစ်သေးတယ်တိုင်းနာနဲ့အဆင်ပြေတယ်နော်
Some heroes, not all 5 heroes are going to
ပြင်
have.
ဟို nature prophet တွေပိုင်းနဲ့ရှင်ဖန်လို့ရ
range of strength heroes that play against Timber. Tide is like in some ways one of the better ones because the way Timber deals damage is he reduces your strength, but Tide purges the debuffs off of him. So for that reason, he's kind of tricky to kill.
ညီလေးရှင်းမှာဆော့ခဲ့တဲ့မြ hero တွေကတော့တော်တော်နည်းနေ draw ချိမယ်ကွာနောက်ဆုံးအော်ညီလေးတိုင်နေနော်ဟုတ်တယ်ဒါလည်းရှိတော့ရှိရမယ် TI မှာတော့သူမဆော့တော့ပဲအဲ့ hero ရှေ့ e-sport world cup မှာတော့တိုင်နေရ win rate 100%ညီလေးရဲ့တိုင်အဲ့တော့ဒီ tournament မှာတော့ကျွန်တော်တပွဲပဲဆော့ရသေးတယ်နော် TI မှာ
lose, but he was playing against the Doom, so he was essentially erased from every
အဲ့
fight.
ကိုလာပါကိုတော့အော်ရန်တန်လို့ရန်တက်ထည့်တာဒီကွယ်
I think that when he gets
Tia Junior
Vogue
Vogaလေးနဲ့
dying will be food. This Nature's Prophet, if the Earth Spirit rolls on him, will also be food. And Tidehander can just be ignored. I mean, Enchantress won't die easily, Dark Willow has Shadow Realm. And now that this Tiny's come out for Satanic, it feels like you're not really worried about that either. Like if you're a Tiny, you're not interacting with Tide much, he's not killing you. You're not killing him, you're killing the rest of his team. It doesn't inspire that much.
Tiny တွေရင်းနေနေတာအဲ့ဒါတော့ဟုတ်တယ်နော်ဒီနေ့ Tiny တွေအကုန်တိုင်ပတ်နေတာ Parivision ကဒိုးဝဆင်းကျင်ပြီလားညီလေး
I
တို့
would say I really wish Prospecx Invoker was viable because looking at this draft, I feel like old school
ဒိုးဝ
Prospecx
ဆင်းကျင်
Invoker
ပြီ
with
လား
Spirit
ကောင်းလေးတွေ
Vessel would absolutely demolish this game.
အမေဒီကောင် Tiny ကလည်းရှေ့ e-sport world cup မှာတော့ပွဲလိုက်နိုင်တာလို့ 100% ဝင်ရ9ပွဲလား10ပွဲလားဆို
Boss Exort 1, farming, Sunstrikes, and I think because of that, I like what Vision have. I think both these past games have been defined by who has the ease of jumping in and just bursting people, of taking the fight to the other team. And if I look at Vision, I think it's much easier for them to do that. They've got a bunch of big, tanky, beefy boys who can run in first, and it's not that easy for Yandex to jump them. Whereas the
easy for Yandex.
Prophet or an Invoker or
Nile
Mirage,
Yakuda
I jump them, they explode like that. And so if I'm Vision, I'm
ဟာလက်ဟန်နေပါပါတယ်
I agree with that. I mean, for the reasons that I mentioned at length. But I also just think no one Earth Spirit, probably the best in this tournament. He's 4-0.
ဒီကတော့ရန်တက်ကြိုက်တယ်ဒီပွဲ
They bled it through.
I feel like I would agree with you guys if this wasn't so similar to
Tia Junior Voga နော်ကိုမြင်နေပြောနေတော့ BDM ပြီးသွားတဲ့နောက်မှာသူ့ Voga လေးရတော့မစိုးဘူး
Tiny for Alk, and it kind
ကဲ
of
ဒီပွဲ
looks
ပြီး
like
တော့နားပြီတကယ်မျက်ရိုးတွေပါကိုက်ပြီဒီပွဲမြင်
They could beat
မင်းလေးစားအိတ်တော့
I hope that they can do it today.
To be fair, do you feel that the Tiny could join the fights a little
အဲ့
bit?
တော့မနေ့က
early?
final မှာ
Because
in-play အားပြင်းနေ
tempo
ကျွန်တော်တို့ပြန်တွေ့မယ်အားလုံး
being pushed back by Vision could be that break, despite it being, in your eyes, almost a similar run back.
I mean, to be honest, I think the drafts are really even, and maybe even would give a slight edge to Vision. But Yandex has proven that they can beat this kind of lineup before, and I think that matters a lot more than you think.
All right, it does matter a lot, right? Especially the fact that we get the joy of a game number 3 here to decide who goes to the grand finals. The fact that our draft
Wow,
is
gee,
split
you guys-
50, there's only one last thing.
အေးစားရန်တက်ပါ
Let's
ဒီ
look
နေ့
into it to see who
နောက်
comes
ဆုံး
out on top.
ပိတ်အိတ်နဲ့လွယ်နော်
It is OD Pixel and Pogged.
အင်းစားကတော့ရန်တက်
Thank you very much.
အပြင်ကိုလည်းနားပြီ
Free time here between
ကဲတော့ let's go guys ဘယ်တင်းနေနဲ့ကျွန်တော် grand final မှာစောင့်နေမလဲကတော့
finals at the
တော်တော်လေးတော့စိတ်ဝင်စားဖို့ကောင်းနေပြီ game 1 game 2နှစ်ပွဲလုံးကတော့အရန်မပြတ်ဘူးဒါပေမဲ့အဲ move တွေတော့ခွာတယ်နော်
breakdown and some of the
ဘုံမကြည့်ချင်တော့ရတော့ပွဲမဟုတ်လေကိုပေါ့အဲ့ရလေးမှာလဲပြီးတော့ရှေချောင်းတော့ခိုးကြည့်ရမှာပေါ့ TI ဆိုတော့
is this an opportunity for Yandex to maybe
ဘုံ dance break ကတော့ကျွန်တော်ဒီနေ့မပြဖြစ်တော့ဘူး bro ဒီနေ့တည်းအော်ရှေ့မှာတောင်းချအော်လို့17နာရီကျော်3ရက် run တာတော့လူကမရတော့
This Earth Spirit this time, right? We did mention a lot about no one in this last game. Even though he kept up in farm, he was able to actually be ahead in farm in pretty much the entirety of the game in comparison to the snap. The impact, it just wasn't there, right? The puck, we really did feel the problems for it. This
She
time,
won ready.
he's playing that Earth Spirit, a super strong, if not one of the strongest mids in this tournament. So we'll see how they do withstand that pressure.
ဟောဒီရန်ကတော့သူ hero တွေ့သွားရတာမျိုးတိုက်ရတာနောက်တော့ပဲဒီပွဲဆိုအမှန်တိုင်းမှာခင်းသိမ
That's what
အောင်
I'm really liking that they did go for.
ဟောတိုင်းနေလို့လည်းကျွန်တော် saver တွေပါသွားလို့ကောင်းတဲ့ carry နဲ့မင်းအလုံးကအဲ့ဒါကျုံးနေရမယ်တဲ့ team မစောတွေရော
early towers like they did last time, getting Watson off to that good start could be one of those cases where they can run over, but we'll see. Because I do like Vision's approach to this one. They might have less team fight in particular, but the Earth Spirit kinda can bring all the team fight just himself.
That's certainly true. And the last pick for Team Vision, deciding to go for the Tiny, for Satanic. I mean, I feel this is maybe sort of off the back of the vibes of Game 2, where, you know, it felt like during those last moments, Satanic felt like he needed to be the one to kind of go in and start the action,
Sure.
which, as a Nature's Prophet, doesn't feel great. He's like, well, if against Yandex, the carry, as the carry, I need to be more
Okay, darling,
the fight,
the boy I
starting
call
the action,
Yandex.
get me on something different. The Tiny.
အဲ့မှာတော့ကျုံးကလည်းတကိုးတယ်အာမန်ယူကဘာကြီးတော့ဦးစီးတီကိုရှုံးနေတာ
We'll have to see whose early game is better, because in both games, even
Sabi.
the first game, even though Yandex did lose that
Man,
game,
you are
they were the
Sabi.
ones setting tempo, right? So an
I mean,
important
we win
thing
on Man U.
in this game is how much tempo there will be, and I always have to say eyes on Saksa. How much can
ဦး
he
စီး
actually
တီ
do this
တော့
time?
ရေနှောင်းကတော့တစ်ခေါက်အရင်ကိုရီပရီးမီးယားလိအရင်ကြည့်တော့ဒီကောင်တွေအသင်းဆောင်ကျန်းတဲ့တစ်ခက်ရှိတယ်နံပါတ်5တွေ
But in this game with the
ဦးစီးတီ
Mirage,
1 စီတယ်မန်ယူကတော့ပုံမှန်ပဲလား
rotations and connections, it's
ဒါရီရဲ့
important
လက်အောက်မှာ
to
ထုခံလိုက်
But I know we saw it the other day. The Invoker plus that Mirana,
They were doing
you get
it
the
perfect.
combo.
Yeah.
Tornado plus the Cold Snap into the arrow. There's ways to shut down, go for these kills early on something like an Earth Spirit. So that's for what I'm looking at.
ကျွန်တော်မမလေးဟုတ်လား
Coming out from Yandex to
ဖတ်ချင်ကိုရထုလိုက်မယ်
For the off lane of Team Vision, noticed on the Timber Saw.
One of his
I mean,
best.
and one of those heroes that not everybody's playing, but when it is picked in the right situation, it pops off.
You know the
When
team
you look
so.
at Yandex against the Timber, like how good of a Timber game is this? How many answers do Yandex have if the Timber gets out of control?
It can be pretty problematic. Yes, they have the Invoker, the control, he's got some dispels, they have the damage amplification from the Undying, but overall, looking at the Timber, he's going to be off to a good start in this
ငါကမန်ယူကတခုချိတ်ဆက်မှုရှိရလားပြောပါတယ်ငါကမတူပါပါလေ2-1ဆိုတော့မန်ယူနဲ့နိုင်ရှုံးတော့ရှုံးမယ်2-1နဲ့ရှုံးသွားလိမ့်မယ်ဒီနေ့ဟုတ်ပွဲပြီးကာရက်စကို2-1ကာရက်စကိုကမှန်တာ
See if they could catch out Satanic.
ဒီတော့ဒီပွဲလဲ maybe over ပဲကောင်းမှထင်တယ် ဟုတ်တယ်နော်
Does end up being the 3.
Parivision ကတော်တော်လိုက်ချမယ်တင်တယ် Tiny Timber ဆို Arts ဒီဘက်ကလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ Global Hero တွေသိရမလား Sunstrike တွေနော် Nature Prophet တွေနဲ့
in the lane. They're actually making 9 class maybe just wanting to TP down here. This is the I guess this is the lane.
ဒါဒီအသစ်မှန်ယူဟာ
They're going to have
ကဲတော့အားလုံးပဲအောင်ဆုံးပွဲ King 3ပါ
with that Timber saw.
ကဲညီလေးတိုင်နေ
One of the treants probably and get that extra bit of control.
ညီလေးတိုင်နေ Separate 2 စီအဲ့ပွဲတော့မြောက်တော့မြောက်တယ်ဘဘုံကလည်းမစိုးဘူးကဲ GPK ဆောင်းကောင်းအောင်လည်းလက်ရှိမဲ့မှာ
Pretty strong to be honest.
ဦးကျန်တဲ့၄သင်းမှာမစ်အကောင်းဆုံးကဘဘုံပဲအဲ့လိုအားသာချက်တော့ရှိတယ်ဒီကောင်းလေးမှာ
Feeling like the Willow is going to have
GPK မစ်ကိုဒီ3កောင်မနိုင်လောက်ဘူး
Sunstrike.
အော်နိုးတက်နေတာဟုတ်တယ်နော်
Spirits do this against
Water Smash လေးနဲ့
So I think every game, no one has done this versus these Invokers. He boots it. I think the other game when he was
No one
playing
ပြန်လာပြီ
the same thing, right? You see that Sunstrike, you kick that range creep. You don't let him get that CS. And let's see how Chira Jr. does, right? Because last game, he did have a bit of a hiccup again, but ended up recovering nicely because he's playing a hero that...
ခရီးမရအောင်ဖြစ်နေတာကနိုးမပြန်လာပြီတကယ်ကြီးချီယာဂျူနီယာမဲ့မှာခရီးတွေလွယ်ကြပဲမယ်
Where if you do get caught, you're playing in the front line.
အင်ဗိုကာဆရာကြီးကိုမင်းနေပြီ
Watching Chira Jr.'s positioning a lot here, playing versus no one on the Earth Spirit. And yeah, talking about the Earth Spirit, right? No one. He went from probably one of the best hero. He went from probably one of the worst
I think
mids
to one, of the
best. So
I think maybe the worst to the best in terms of heroes that are being consistently picked this international. Yeah, I think no doubt about that.
And the matchup in particular, right? The Earth Spirit versus the Invoker, but also versus that Nature's Prophet. This gap close.
ဘုံကမစ်အားသာချက်တော့ရှိတယ်
No one.
အဲ့ဒီတော့ကိုသွင်းကလည်းဟုတ်ပါဘယ်လိုပြောဘူးသေးတွေကိုတိုင်ပတ်
First few waves looking very nice here for no one.
Doxa, he's in trouble. Blood grenade. He's gonna try for the TP out. Is it enough?
အော်ရှန်တယ်ကြီးကတော့ over ကောင်းမှတင်တာပဲအမေကိုကတော့အရန်အကြိုက်မတွေ့ဘူးကြီးကိုဒီပွဲရန်တက်ပဲထည့်တာ
Threw it for just like the smallest amount of damage. They grabbed the tree and threw it too. They tried everything to bring him down. Heads up TP. I thought he was dead for sure there.
This lane as well. How long does make a go here with the
Evelyn, di ba mati eh?
The gush, but the shadow rounds back up.
ဖိတ်တော့ဖိတ်ကန်နေရပြီဆိုတော့နောက်မှာ first blood ဟောနောက်မှာ Sunstrike ကလည်းလွယ်နေတယ်
Sticking around
Another one, baby.
အော် show လောက်တယ်ရောက်ပြီအော်တော်သေးလို့
enough to kill him, but still left so low on this bottom lane. That's going to mean that Satanic's going to have a lot of space to.
မဒီရင်ရဲ့တားရနာနဲ့ပါ show နေတာနော်
And absolutely seeing the reasoning for that swap, right? I'm watching Ducala's top. Every time Watson spawns his treants, he just takes one over. While bottom, this effective trading from the Willow is so good versus something like Mirana and even Tide. You have this high burst damage for him early, unlike an Enchantress would. Liking this approach actually, this little.
တိုင်းဟာနာကြီးနဲ့ပါကျုံးကန်နေရတာ
Even though it's, I rarely see Ducalis get put in this 4 position. Very cool answer here.
အဲ့ lane နေရတော့မိုက်တယ်ကွာပါရီ lane နေ3 lane လုံးစင်ပြီ
Have that final tango and a fairy fire.
Gotta be careful how far he steps up. Overall, not the easiest to get the Sunstrikes in this game on these side lanes either. Nobody's going to be really low for them. The Tiny shouldn't get pressured. Neither should the Timbersaw in particular. Maybe Notice can if they get a couple decays built up. But overall,
လောကရပြဲတယ်ပဲနာရနာရ
Chira gets set up on these Sunstrikes on these side lanes.
No one.
ကဲမြန်မာ
He did sort of, you know, you could tell he knows the limits. He was trying to bait
Yes.
no one in because he is ready to turn with these sort of like cold snap, Forge Spirit plays.
Yeah, if you can get the Cold Snap, Ice Wall, Forge Spirit, you know that this Earth Spirit doesn't have roll, so you can get him stuck inside of it, but a lot of damage coming in from no one.
အောက်မှာတိုက်ကြီးနဲ့ပါနေသွားပြီကွာနော်ဒီပွဲက game မကောင်းတဲ့ကောင်ပေးလိုက်တော့ပြီးတော့တိုက်နေနဲ့ကြတော့လေနည်းနည်းပြဲရတာခက်တော့ခက်
Any pressure playing versus this Tide under
Christian
pressure.
စားလို့
Mirana has the stick charge.
ပါရီကပွဲလဲအဲ့တိုင်းပဲနော်သူတို့က game 1 နိုင်တယ် game 2 ပြန်ရှုံးတယ် game 3 ပြန်2
Trade with this Willow. They're gonna pop the glyph mid lane.
ကဲမြန်မာချီယာဂျူနီယာရှော့ပြီ
Wrap around Chira Jr. and a
တဲတယ်မယ်နောက်မှာဘယ်သူမှဆင်းမလာဘူးရောင်းရဲ့ကဲဖို့အတွက်ကတော့
He's gonna get taken out by the Alpha Wolf.
Ooh, it actually crits. A lot of damage coming in from it there with the rabble rouser too.
Same time, bottom lane attacks, he walks back into the brambles.
9 class will survive.
Oh, jungle green is there.
They're able to get over to the neutrals in time.
Now at this point though, you can see the movements. Ducalis is like, all right, my Timbersaw is going to be chilling in the top lane. He can just go 2 points in reactive armor, and it's difficult for them to bully him. Ducalis is going to be pressuring. That they probably did this lane setup is that he has easier angles to sandwich onto the mid lane, as we see there. Malady, let's see what he wants to do with these movements as well, too, since the lane is broken top. He can leave the NP alone for now.
Decent information. We'll know when Ducalis is trying these
No one is about to be level 6 with the Magnetize. They're pushing him off of the tower here. See where 9 class wants to go. He's going to join bottom, help out Satanic, bring his items. Get him back up to full HP.
Can Yandex bring anyone in towards this mid to help out, or is that just not a move they want to do? They just want to sort of leave Chira Jr. to fend for himself.
They don't really have the best heroes to deal with this enchant.
Oh, and I
Tombstone, and in fact,
What's the line there, you know?
the high ground for him. So head up now.
I don't know what's on
top of it, so more money for Satanic.
Oh, this early pretty much perfect from the side of Vision. Shutting down some of the greed that's there from Yandex and the Invoker.
The switch up's looking pretty big, Brain.
Yep. And notice at some point soon, when he hits 6, Watson can't just sit in this top lane either. You're at risk of getting this Timbersaw. Well, they're gonna have to start making moves.
Enchantress မို့သူကြိုက်တဲ့ hero ပဲသူပစ်မှာเนาะအဲ့တော့ဒူကလစ်တော့ light ဆော့အောင်အဲ့ဒါ puppy hero Enchantress တို့ bite ဘူးတော့ကဲလောလေ outbreak ပေါင်းနေတော့ဟိုမှာဟဲ့အမိုကရတော့နည်းနည်း time ပတ်နေ
greedy Invoker. Seen it punished a couple times in this tournament. Notice? He's
stuck.
stuck.
Quite a nice
Hello,
little
Support.
trio block
No.
there from Watson. He does have the TP to respond to it though, notice.
And Watson's been an absolute beast, right? This guy, I don't know how he does it. Almost seems like AI sometimes, the way he's just playing to perfection in a lot of these games. Nice little trap there from him. Tips back and forth to the two of them. Bottom.
Okay, เอามาไต่ Hanner အဲ့တော့ no ရကြည့်ရင်တိုက်ကြဒိန်းတော့နေပြီအဲ့လောက်ကြီးမဟုတ်ဘူးကွာ Invoker ကြီးကပို့ဆိုးသွားတယ်မြင်မှာဟမ်
Getting very little pressure applied to him.
They're looking for Wisdom Steal. It's a little late though, so it doesn't look like they're
Invoker မစ်တယ်မောက်ချက်ပဲမနက်ကလည်းနီရှာမောက်
The other side, Malady trying to contest Notice, but Notice has hit 6.
I want Watson. Oh, this the setup.
ရိုးမရတော့ကဲဒီဘက်မှာလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့နော်အန်တိုင်းတကောင်ဆက်တော့ရှော့သွားတယ်မြင် game 3ကျမှပါရီက gate ပွင့်သွားတာလားမသိဘူး
For the Timbersaw.
He does instant respawn, but yeah, this early game, it feels like Vision. They have.
မင်းလိန်3လိန်ကနေတောက်လျှောက်ပြီးတာ
Yandex has tried to set up for it.
This is, I mean, where does that first move come from?
ပါဘီလာမနိုင်ကလာဟုတ်ပါဘီကတော့မရဘူး
Like
ပါဘီကသူပြောတဲ့ hero ဆော့ရမှာတယ် bite ဘူးလို့ Enchantress တို့
I guess so, right? That's probably the easiest one to see. Besides that, it is going to be the Chira Tornado Cold Snap play with an arrow, but damage is going to be lackluster from Yandex early on.
Yandex ကအရင်ငြိမ်သွားဒီပွဲ
I don't know how much he wants to get involved. Sure, you want to on a Nature's Prophet TP in, but this is a dangerous game for the NP to TP into. He'll TP in, a Tiny, an Earth Spirit, or a Timbersaw will be there.
ပုံမှန်တော့သူလည်း nature prophet တွေပါတယ်ကြာလာနော်အဲ့လို Invoker Sunstrike တွေနဲ့ကြာ
Very just innately tanky. All 3 cores, and just you've seen Falcons do, of course, in the past, but 3 strength cores essentially.
And honestly, it feels like any game where there's a Willow, it's always a nightmare to sort of TP in and make a play against, right? Because especially once the 6 is there, that whether it be the Fear or the Bramble, so many things that can get idly thrown out your way as the next Prophet and disrupt the attempt that you tried to make me TP in.
And there's definitely damage problems in the early game.
They should be able to get 9 class here. It will get found.
9 glass နည်းနည်းပြုံသွားတာကြီး
Watson at the back of the Malady. Getting themselves a kill on the board, Yandex.
And Chira not getting damage onto his tower, so just sticking in the mid lane, waiting to get.
ဒီဘက်ကျွန်တော် Parivision စပူတာကြီးတော့နောက်ချက်တယ်နော် Enchantress ကော
Every time the Earth Spirit makes a
ဒါဝဲလို့ကသူများကြံငယ်ဆုံးနေပါ
try to keep getting as much as he can out of the map, just playing the lane. Watson playing in a very careful position, but no one.
Accept fan နဲ့နေရာလေးတော့ sexy လေးဟောင်း Rain ထဲမှာ Ragnadai Oh ဒီဘက်မှာတောက်လျှောက်ပဲနော်
Offering to TP over, Watson will die under the tier 2.
သူမှအဖက်မလုပ်ဘူး boxer ကြီးကိုမင်း
These movements from Ducalis are beautiful.
တော်ဖိနေတာ Parivision နေနဲ့
Sandwiching on the Invoker, now sandwiching on Watson, allowing no one to dive without even losing HP because he's got the creep there to take.
နေရာတိုင်းမှာပြေးနေရတယ်ဒီပွဲကြတော့ ကဲတော့တကယ်ကောင်းတာပါ Parivision နဲ့လို့ game လို့ရှုံးသွားပြီးတဲ့နောက်မှာတို့နော်အဲ့ Asprit ရသွားတယ်အဲ့ Asprit နဲ့ပဲအားလေးပိုင်းကိုတောက်ချောက်ပြီး
come back in games always, right, with all this massive amount of team fight, but this early game, this is the first time in this series at least that Vision has the advantage out of these lanes. And with very strong heroes to pressure the map as well too.
အပြီးကလောပြောင်းရင်
Probably going to just go for that rush of the echo.
ကမာနဲ့မတွေးလိုက်ရဘူးဒီကောင်ဟုတ်ပါအဲ့ဒါ
playing into the tide. They have good ways to initiate the fights naturally already from the Earth Spirit, so he probably doesn't feel forced to go for a blink dagger this game.
So many ways to start plays and react to.
ကျွန်တော်တို့ပြီးနေရပြီဖြစ်နေလက်ရှိ Yandex ရဲ့အနေထား
of Team Vision.
The start is very dangerous here with the way that Notice is also coming into the game.
ကျွန်တော်တို့ပြီးနေရပါပြီခင်ဗျာ
It's just difficult for them to kill this Timbersaw in particular.
I mean, because
there's just not that much magical damage until the Invoker isn't online.
And it's just already a lane right where nobody can really go up and sit there to soak up the XP in the farm. Like, none of these heroes want to sit anywhere close to this Timber right now in the lane.
No, you'll have to bring just numbers in particular, just kill him. But you'll have to bring a lot of those numbers, and the Invoker in particular, who isn't a hero who likes to really rotate out of the mid lane too much.
အင်းသူရန်3 2 1မှာမန်ကီကင်းနေရမပွဲကောင်းရင်တော့ပြပါခုနောက်ပိုင်းမက်ကလိန်တိုင်းနဲ့တိတ်မစောကြဘူး
He does have the skill point ready to drop on it. He sees a chance.
ဒီကိုတိုတကောင်တော့ပဲရှိတယ်နောက်ပိုင်းမန်ကီမစ်စော
It's probably the slowest paced draft that we've seen from Yandex in this series so far. Well, for Vision, maybe the fastest paced one that we've seen. Playing around this Earth Spirit, playing around ways to be able to take towers early with the Enchantress. For a reason, by the way.
Reason?
Reason?
See, hopefully everything's all right there.
ချီယာဂျူနီယာဘောကတော့ကြိုက်တယ်ဒါပေမဲ့အချိန်ရပါမလားပေါ့လေနော်ပွဲနေတာနဲ့အဲ့ဒါကြည့်ရချိန်ရပါမလား
How much DM can do this game, right? Because DM, he also was quite a rock for the team. I think his Tide Hunter, I think I said this like 5 times now, but I think he's been one of his best heroes in him just coming out of the lane in a good position and then having clear entry into the game to be able to get these setup Ravagers, just occupying an area where he feels unkillable. This isn't one of those games where he's unkillable. He's playing into the Timber Saw every single time that the Timber comes to threat.
Certainly address some of the weaknesses.
Yeah, nigga,
We're getting punished last game.
I'm seeing already.
Come on, don't blow him on it, no?
Itemize in this game too. DM, he had the Raps queued up, but I don't like the Raps this game. It's not going to save you versus the Timber. This Mage Slayer could be an interesting one though, right? Playing versus triple.
It's pretty nice.
Playing versus the cores that are kind of spellcasty.
3 melee magical cores.
He's still debating, so we'll see which one he does end up going for, but
I
see the Mage Slayer, even though it's not the most traditional nowadays.
Gee.
We'll see which one he wants to try for.
Notice. Certainly going to try and chase Malady down.
Malady, this is out. This matchup is so sad for Undying. There's just not much you can do. You don't even touch a hero like Timbersaw.
Undying, not loud on that.
Erased from that strength damage.
Again, just a lane that nobody wants to go to right now if you're Yandex.
They're trying to push off the tower here a little bit here. Soxa will arrow the creep, but it's just a mud.
Come on, Lipabu. Man, you don't get man, you are one the the boy at the Rotana, you are Yandex with the lane line being here. Very up your Joe Mero team, you know. We're not being here.
Extra brambles, just some little bit of extra damage onto him here. No one will not get the luck of the rune. Chiro will be there in time for it.
Still though continue to be fully evasive. I mean, I say that he is looking.
He put go over Junior. Okay, the one Masaro load him arrow. Oh, there, look, piano low man, no. Yeah. Oh, there, the Phantom Planet.
Will reach and take him out. Though. I mean, so well needed kill.
That's the way they gotta do it.
Oh, some of them look like you know. Chia Junior.
See if they bring the numbers, they will be able to bring down Notice. A nice move there from Chira. Instantly with the haste rune. I love that, right? Just runs across the map. Usually not a hero you see do these type of rotations.
Satanic. They get involved quite early here with the Echo Saber alone. 9 class. Ready to move him over towards the mid. Looks like no one's eyeing up the chance to dive Chira Jr. and wants to have the backup with him.
They want to get
Chia Junior, you touch out die home lamb. Yeah, who want tiny yo? Oh, like man. They were not in the layout here. Oh, China soldier.
And they'll be able to look towards his tower.
Hindi ko Yandex support na ko mapaho kala no. Taktaro ba ulit pyaw.
Immediately when they have the glyph or when they have the glyph and they have the catapult wave hitting the tower,
they already sure that they can get this tower. I need
Really smart there from it. Panic making that move over. Saksa, even though he's not bounty hunter, will still be able to find some of these couriers, delay some of this timing to the vessel perhaps. At least taking out that stat item.
ဒီနောက်ဝင်တော့မလွယ်ဘူးကွာဟိုကနော်ဗရဲမှာဖြတ်ဖို့ကဲတော့မဆက်ချာငါတိုင်းစပင်းမချင်းနော်တပ်ပကေးပေးလိုက်
from these two. TP out from.
They notice turning up to these fights. DM.
အော်နေအောင်နားလဲမှုတွေလွယ် Bravi.
Out a ravage from DM. He'll live.
အဲ့တော့ဘာပြောရအောင်ရန်တကအခုကလမ်းနေရာဆုံးမှာပြေးနေတာမြေ3လိမ့်လုံးသူတို့ပဲပြေးရ
Any hope of Yandex trying to fight back? Gone for the next.
3လိမ့်လုံးနည်းနည်းပြန်တောင်ချရင်လည်းချတယ်အခုကကြီးကဘယ်လိုကြီးလဲမသိဘူးနော်3လိမ့်လုံးမှာပြေးနေတာ
Probably not going to be the case without that ravage. DM, he is going to commit for the wraps. So, okay.
ကဲ Ravi လည်းပေးလိုက်ရပြီ
This timber burst that will be coming out in the early game. Maybe feels like it's a little too hard for him to get in and apply the Mage Slayer at times. This does give him at least raw HP, which is nice too. Notice, power is claimed. His timing is going to be very fast on his Kaya. A lot of times I've seen this timber this tournament, and even before this tournament, it's when you shut down his lane. This is not one of those games where his lane has been shut down, so he has this great farm.
Chira Junior, another game where falling behind. I mean, I feel like we've seen a few teams do this. There's a lot of them that want to go for this approach where they just focus Chira Junior very heavily in the early game, knowing that he's going to struggle if they keep him behind at the start.
Especially if he's playing a greedy hero, right? Invoker can get punished.
Get him as well, you tamala. Oh, don't you know where you are? Yeah, I saw. What's the
right click to the deafening blast.
Damn, you are today. I mean, someone I didn't.
9 class finishes off Malady. Chira Junior, despite the tough start that he's had because of how much focus they put from in the mid, he's the one that's actually doing the most for the team right now. A couple of moves, he's managed to set up for them to actually take down Notice twice in a very difficult early game.
In a very good position.
Yeah, okay. Oh my God, 2 man small.
He's gonna go back for BKB.
Asprey rolling.
I mean, Vision, they really know that.
Okay, yeah, oh, easy for me.
Can potentially.
Oh, and 2 hero playing our Asprey.
Early game, and they are doing everything to make sure that he doesn't find the momentum to get out of control, despite getting these small windows to make moves against Notice.
Wisdom will be 1 for 1. Yeah, the own Invoker overall, right? That's why this matchup is so difficult versus the Earth Spirit. If he just gets on top of you, you're dead in most of these situations until the much later.
You imagine only Leah saver easy
things are accelerating also. He's got a Shadow Blade Malady.
I don't know, Mr. 10. Okay, and I'm saying I'm in nature profile, you live big and I have it. But then, oh, no, constant sense, right? No, big or big and I have it. Chia Junior, kill it or no, bye.
Quite a little.
And Malady with the bait too. Very nicely done. Gets the ulti off, which means he tanks long enough to allow Chira to get the time to get there. Now they can get a tower out of it too. Nice moves from Chira.
Nilia, sound that.
4K lead still for Vision, but punishing that first timing of the Tiny. As soon as he gets the Shadow Blade, that's his first death.
Nigga, man, to him now, I man over it. So what a change, I'm going to
Team Vision got across the lanes.
It takes them a lot of rotations to bring down these tanky strength cores, but at least able to get them and get Chira Jr. into an okay spot. 9 class also.
Here's my I do what I have.
Not connect onto at all.
Over my 9 class, the Chamichia Junior, okay, the top in and over my melody. For Marshall,
quite a bit. 6 deaths already here on the Undying.
He's back though. Ceaseless Dirge. He'll be able to come back and die again.
I mean, it does feel like this is the best way for Yandex to sort of get themselves back in the game, right? Chira Jr. is just going to be constantly running up and down the map, looking to make these plays.
Which usually isn't the case for a lot of these Invokers. It's a bit hard to do this before the boots travel. You're pretty immobile, so...
lose so no Parivision chalu yawa Asprey ne
time and time again for them to get these trade kills. For Vision though, time to back up, farm a little more here, especially for Notice.
Man 2 wa bi da chin ne so la la lo lo phit da point way ma
they'll have to get the chain stun before he gets the BKB off in particular.
point way ma chong kan ne ya la man yu
heading up to this top lane, but Chira Jr. he's got the backup of DM, and they've got the ramp.
ကဲဒီဘက်မှာ Douglas
Tornado set up here from Chira.
Arrow ဟုတ်တယ်ရောင်းတတ်တယ်လေရောဆိုရမဆိုအဲ့တော့မတင်ပစောဒီနေ့ချိုးနေတယ်စိုင်းမလား9ကလည်းမမြင်မစမ်းနဲ့တော့လိုက်လာတာရောင်း
The shadow realm off, but Yandex.
အတိုင်းတုံးနေရောဒီဘက်မှာ9ကလည်းရှော့တော့မတင်နေရာဘီဘာလို့ပေးလိုက်တာလဲစောပြဟိုးကမှလည်းစစ်တန်းနေတကောင်
Tip as well. Satanic will back away.
အော်ရာဘီကမတန်ဘူးငါမစပူလာတော့ရာဘီ
This does get hit by an arrow, but they will not be tempted. to
ဒီ
chase
ရဲ့
the
station ကြီးကလည်းလိုတော့လို
They get out, but still, I mean, again, Chira Jr.
He's being so clutch.
I don't think I've seen an invoker that's just been sat at the bottom of the core net worth do as much as he has. You know, they were.
အော်ချီယာဂျူနီကနောက်တော့တော်တော်နေဒါပေမဲ့သူ့ပုတ်က damage တွေရတော့နော်အခုချိန်ဒီမေးထားလို့မရကောင်းနေတော့မယ်
He's had the most impact in the last 5 minutes.
Satanic having a bit of
အဲ့တော့ beast နေနောက်မှာတော့ဒီကောင်ပဲရှိတယ်ချီယာဂျူနီယာ info အဲ့လို info ကတော့အဲ့လိုပြစ်နေရမှာစပယ်တွေကဆောင်းကွက်တီစပယ်ထွက်တိုင်းလည်းနာတာမို့အဲ့စပယ်ကမှန်အောင်ပါနော်ထွက်ရမယ့်အချိန်
Don't know if he's gonna go the blink anyway, right? He's still probably just gonna go BKB harpoon.
ထွက်ရမယ့်အချိန်စပယ်မှန်မှာကွက်တီလောက်ကြာ
Those BKB
ကဲတော့ဒီဘက်မှာနောက်ကနည်းနည်းပြန်တော့ဖဲလာပြီနော်ကဲရီနော်ကတော့တိတ်မကွာတော့
team fight magical damage that's coming in from Yandex. And the Silver Edge is now done. Watson also needs a BKB pretty early in this game. Standard kind of build for him on the NP. Mjolnir, Lance, BKB.
I was sorry,
Into this
Opa.
heavy magic damage. Vision looking to accelerate. Ravage is on cooldown for 70 seconds. They want to
ကဲတော့ဆိုင်မလားဒီဘက်က rabbit မရှိဘူး
In the Malady. Holding close to
ချီယာဂျူနီယာနဲ့တော့တွေ့တော့မယ်ရောင်းအေးအဲ့မှာသွားပြီ
set up with the fear.
ဟိုဘက်မှာလည်းတော့ outbreak ပြီးတော့အိမ်နေပြီးတော့ undying tombstone အဲ့တော့
Turn with the tornado, but 9
တော့ကန်တရားအရောင်း undying နဲ့မတွေ့ပဲနဲ့ချီယာဂျူနီယာနဲ့သွားတွေ့
They've got the tombstone drop down, but they don't have any control now without their invoker. So
ဇတ်တာပဲမင်းအဲ့ဒါတော့ဟိုမှာ undying ရဲ့အဲ့ကိုရင်လျှောက်သွားတာ
have to try to protect this invoker a little better. It's not easy to do though, of course, until they have the shard on the Undying to be able to protect him. But he, like you said, he feels like he is everything for the team at this moment in the early game. Watson still not able to get involved much on this Nature's Prophet. His farm is very good though. Watson, as always, making sure that
ကဲမှာ DM လာပိုင်းတမ်းမယ်နော်no one BKB time နဲ့ကြည့်တော့မလွယ်ဘူးအဲ့ mid game တခုလုံးကလေ
triple BKB timing though. When Vision does have that, I'm worried for Yandex if they are not in
mid game တခုလုံးကတော့မင်းတော်တော်ထိန်းရဟိုဘက်က BKB ကောင်းနေဖြစ်လာပြီတင်မဆောက်လဲ BKB နော် notice
5k lead now for Vision. They are getting that much more out of the map. Even though as we said, Chira, he's making the nice moves. It is only Chira making.
အဲ့ကိုရှုံးလို့ပြောတာဟိုကောင်ပဲဒီမှာပါ
It's much easier for other heroes to really look for this setup.
ချေဖာရလာ
When
လား
are we going to see sort of the team smoke come out from Yandex? Is it around the shard timing for DM? You know, what would you imagine they're waiting?
I think they can do it now. He has blink.
They're on a bit of a timer.
Yeah, I think they can do it right now. Whenever he has blink down.
ကဲစိတ်မကောင်းဘူးဒီဘက်ကစပုံးလာတဲ့အချိန်မှာဟုတ်လား BKB ကိုဒီနဲ့
Number 1 is done already though. So
The Khaled Jamara, yeah.
they don't get the chain stun. He will just survive. Oh, actually, 2 BKBs done. Uh-oh. So they have the
အဲ့မှာ
response.
BKB နဲ့ကောင်ပြောသွားပြီအဲ့တော့ဇာတာပဲရန်တဲ့ကျုံးငယ်မှာနော်
This could be a pretty dangerous moment.
ကဲတခါလဲကျွန်တော်တို့ဖြတ်နိုင်မလားတော့ကြည့်ရကြည့်ရမယ်ဒီဘက်မှာ Astra BKB နဲ့
DM got some pretty impressive ravages last game.
He did.
Gonna have to be a good one here. They're setting up with the moonlight, approaching in towards the mid, but 9 class.
နိုင်ကလေးကြီးဝင်လောက်တာအရောက်မတန်ဘူး DN နောက်မှာ Rabbit ဆိုမှ Undying Tombstone Rabbit ရတော်တော်ဆောင်းရတယ်နောက်မှာ No One BKB အားကိုးနေတဲ့သူပဲလိုက်ပြီးအောင်ရင်
Take out Malady.
ကဲအဲ့တော့ဟိုဘက်မှာ Nature Prophet လည်းပြန်ပတ်လိုက်ပြီနော်အချိန်တွေကတော့
Back under the tier 2. They get BKB charge out here and there, but just no one who ends up pressing his right. Yeah, notice still able to hold.
ဆိုင်မို့ဘလို့မမြောင် BKB တွေကိုစီနဲ့
Ravage play just a little too split up. They didn't really
Rabbit တော်တော်ဆောင်းတယ်ကွာ DN ခွဲတော့
to that ravage in the river.
And you could, I mean, as soon as they saw the BKBs, they're like, oh god, never mind, we gotta get the hell out of here. So they tried to go for this Ravage play, but Vision very ready for it.
ခင်းကြောင်းပဲပြောပါမခံစားနိုင်လို့
But well worth it. It's gonna be coming back up in 60 seconds. Good that they are able to disengage though. Very important for Chira that he's not getting caught in this fight. Has to be able to keep getting some of this momentum his way. He really needs this BKB timing himself.
ကဲတိုင်းနေ BKB တော့ရဟောအဲ့တော့ BKB 3ကောင်ပြောင်းသွားရင်တော့ကျုံးပြီ
Not not going to have it as fast as we do see from Vision.
No, and obviously with that Ravage being used, there's a nice, comfortable window for Satanic to be able to finish his BKB before there's any chance of another fight being brought to him by Yandex. So next time round, likely going to have BKBs on all of the
ဒီ
cores.
ကတော့လို့ချီယာဂျူနီယာနောက်ဝနည်းနည်းလေးပြန်တက်လာဖို့လို့အင်မိုကာကောင်ချီတဲ့နဲ့နောက်ဝမျိုးမရှိဘူးဗျ
Early game, they continue
ဘောတော့ဒီပွဲရန်တက်ကြိုက်တယ်ချီယာဂျူနီယာဘုတ်ကောင်ကိုကယုံနဲ့တယ်ပါတယ်ဗောလေအဲ့တော့ဒီပွဲလေးအင်မိုကာကနောက်ပိုင်းရဲ့လို့ item တွေများလာရင်တော့ defend ဘာညာနဲ့ပြနိုင်မယ်လို့ထင်တာပဲဒီဘုတ်ကသမရိုးဖိုင်နေက17ခွဲဟုတ်တယ်
On the bottom lane.
Noxa does go for the Vessel this game. Feels like he wants that extra damage versus the... I mean, it's a triple strength, of course, right? So it does have merits to buy it, but that does mean limited extra setup for the team. Because most of these Maranas, they get the Yules so they can play around and get that extra catch for the team. Now, it's, as we said, it's pretty much only reliant on Shira, and if they can get that Blink Ravage. Smoke up. Ravage still on cooldown. Magnetize is ready. Shira showing himself in the wave here with the Quas Ghost Walk.
Good turn towards him.
Very vulnerable right
ဒီ
now.
ပွဲလည်းစပုတ်နှစ်ကောင်နဲ့ရောင်းရင်
Dust will connect
ဒီ
on
ဘုတ်ကမိပြီ
They get the brambles into the fear.
Oh.
Melodies around, but he
အောက်ရှောက်ပဲ
cannot save it.
တော့ဘက်လန်အနေနဲ့တော့ပြတ်သွားပြီ
He has the shard.
He's saving me.
It's coming out on the courier.
အော်ဒီချိန်မှာဟိုကောင်ကမိရင်တက်လို့မရဘူးရန်တက်ကမိလဲဟိုကောင်က AC BKB တွေနဲ့
Oh, and they get a tombstone for free. Extra money. Wisdom Saksa trying to go for some type of snatch here, but it was already grabbed here from Satanic. Watson, he has BKB at the ready, so can start to get more involved, but his other two cores, they're really starting to fall behind. And there is the answer versus those two cores, the triple BKB timing from Vision. It's there. Much easier ways to take the team fights now on the side of Vision. A blink also finished up for Noticed. See how Yandex plays around this in these next few moments.
ကဲတော့နောက်ဝါ7ကယ်ရီချင်းမပြောက်ဒီကောင်တော့ညီလေးဘာဖြစ်လဲညီလေးနောက်ဝတွေအဲ့လို
Look for
ပုံမှန်
Watson.
ညီလေးနောက်ဝနေရာမှာတော့ရှိတော့ရှိမနေဘူး
Is keeping up in pace with the farm though, as he always does.
He is, but should say only him on Yandex's side.
ညီလေးရှိရမယ့်နောက်ဝမှာတော့ရှိမနေဘူးဒါပုံမှန်ကယ်ရီတကောင်နောက်ဝပဲဟုတ်လားညီလေးနောက်ဝမဟုတ်ဘူး
BKB. Until they have that BKB, I actually do not think the Yandex can take a team fight in any way. Sounds like suicide almost until they do have it finished. DM. Oh, nice little blink.
အိုင်ဟနာအော်ဘလင်းရအောင်ခုံသွားတယ်ပရိပတ်တင်ခိုင်းတာ
Jira, he has to just play in these kind of crazy spots, cut the creep waves with the Ghost Walk, get to that point where he has the BKB, because they just can't take a head-on fight right now on the side of Yandex.
ဝေးဟုတ်တော့ဟုတ်တယ်နော်ဘိုင်းမဟုတ်ရန်တက်ကထိန်းဆော့အောင်တယ်မဆိုဝေးပြန်ကြည့်ကောင်းတော့
Pressure to try and hunt for these.
ဝေးပြန်ကြည့်ကောင်းတော့မယ်အရင်ဟိုလိုကြီးဟာမနေတော့
Content to just sort of grow this lead.
They have great ways to just pick off. They don't need to have as much team fight in particular. And Jira, he's in a dangerous spot.
တန်းနေအော်ကြားချေမောက်ရလဲကြားချေမောက်ရလဲချီယာဂျူနီယာရှေ့မှာလဲ Enchantress နဲ့နော်မင်း
He's going to get surrounded.
ကြားချေမောက်ရလဲတာရောက်လက်ခွမ်းပဲ
He's desperately trying to find a place to farm to finish the BKB, but he doesn't want to mess with where Watson's farm
ကဲရုရှားမပေးရတော့မလားနော်ဒီဘက်မှာ
And now it's
ရုရှားမပေးရ
We'll just get away with this one. There's no way Yandex can contest this.
I mean, last game, Watson had to carry pretty hard. He's going to have to try and do that again here, Fogged.
Does feel like it. He does have the backup of the heavy team fight combos with him. But this one, yeah, it does feel like this one's a bit more difficult because it is that first pick, Nature's Prophet, that feels like it was
ပြီးနိုင်တယ်လို့ဖိတာညီလေးနော်ဒီဘက်
Or
Tiny
that
Ages
last
နဲ့
pick Luna, where he had that kind of beautiful entry into the game, beautiful ways to itemize as well too.
ဒီဘက်ကညီလေးနောက်ဝဟုတ်မနေဘူး
Feels quite a bit harder for sure. The itemization just not as natural. Sure, he's got BKB, he can go for this crit, but
ဒီနေ့ United ကနေကိုပြောတာ2-1လို့နိုင်ယူတကိုးပြန်သွင်းလိုက်မယ်ဟုတ်လားငကမားလည်း2-1နဲ့ရှုံးသွားတော့မန်ယူလည်း2-1ပဲ
Watson was able to do here under pressure.
တကိုးတော့ပြန်သွင်းလိုက်မယ်
I want to see same thing. Get him some solar crests, get him all these little things to be able to increase his damage. He's got the alacrity. He's always got that always built in for himself. That will be pretty massive in the mid game.
I guess the question is for how much time is he going to be looking to join the fights, or for a long time is he going to sort of look to play the split push game and just try and grow the net worth by out farming across the map and avoiding these team fights completely.
I think it's got to be the split push in this game. Until Chira has the BKB, like I said, there's just no way.
Come on,
for
what's
him to
that
do it.
number
And now
fine?
with Aegis too, it probably means another 4 minutes where he just has to avoid. So Vision now can look to really continue to set this tempo and maybe even start.
I mean, no, they were 80 don't worry about children. Parivision, they were leading in the two of my show. Only sign them sign.
Bottom lane, ready to use the moonlight.
Surrounding 9 class here, can they get the setup onto him?
It's not an amazing kill, but maybe not even one they're going to get the chance to go for. Yeah, backup's coming in now. It's getting a bit spooky.
They're all tiny. Yo, like 1, 2. Chim and Daniel.
They have to run.
And he is going for the blink dagger on Satanic, so he wants that extra gap close versus the Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, right. Call like the one.
Another catch. Ducalis ready to bring in the damage with the impetuses.
They're getting so much in this early game.
Chia Junior BKB ရပြီလားအော် BKB မပါပဲဘာသွားလို့တာဟာ BKB ကအခုမှရတာတယောက်တစ်ကောင်စီသေးပြီရယ်ကဲနေတာတော့ no 11ကဒါတော့နည်းနည်းစပြောင်းသွားပြီဟလားပွဲက
The shackles are well and truly off after being weighed down by the puck picking game 2. He's back here, no one ready to play a proper hero.
He's everywhere. And on top of them having now this 11k gold lead, the experience.
အဲ့ဘောကဒီကောင်မအိုင်ဒန်နေတော့အိုင်ဒန်နေတော့ BKB မရသေးတော့တွေ့ရကောင်နဲ့ရှော့ရှော့နေတော့တိုင်းနေတဲ့တိုင်းနဲ့ရှော့တယ် Aspen နဲ့ရှော့တယ်ကဲအဲ့တော့ high ground တွေမှာရိုက်ချင်ရိုက်မလားနော်အချိန်ကြီးကတော့ကျွန်တော်တိုင်းနေတဲ့ ages တော့ရှိတယ်2မိနစ်ကျော်
And quick items coming in. Satanic just bought the
Waxen တကောင်မဲ့တော့ရှိတယ်ဟိုက
So double ways to gap close. Well, triple in a way, right, with the Silver Edge as well versus that Nature's Prophet. This game is looking harder and harder as it progresses. Yeah, he just can't get the same amount of farm this game on the Tide because he can't go to those places where he's like, hey guys, I'm unkillable. He will be killable versus the Silver Edge, versus the Timber Saw. They're losing control of the map quickly here.
Waxen တကောင်မဲ့တော့ရှိတယ်
I mean, how easy is it for Watson to get away with some cheeky rap plays this game? Kind of, take a tower here and there whilst the team fight's going on. Is that they're going to be able to back up and find him?
Shira. Panic knows he's in the area here. The Silver Edge did get Ghost Walk affected. Fight around the wisdom. It is.
ကဲစစ်တန်းနဲ့စားတော့ကျုံတော့ကျုံပြီဆိုတော့ BKB စောကြီးကြီးလိုက်ပေးအောင်စစ်တန်းနဲ့အဲ့နေများသွားပြီနော် BKB မရှိတော့ဘူးအန်တိုင်းတုံးတုံးနဲ့တော့ Aspirit တစ်ဖက်တော့ပြန်တော့ဝင်လာခဲ့ပြီးတော့ BKB ဆိုရင်တော့ Waxen ပြစ်ဖို့တော့ကြိုးစားနေတော့တောက်လျှောက်ပဲဒါပေမဲ့တော်တော်ကြီးကိတ်တယ် no one ပြတ်သွားတော့မလားအိုးရောက်တော်တော်နာတယ်ရောက် Waxen ပြစ်တာကြီး
That's a jam as well. He just got it.
ကဲဟိုဘက်မှာတိုင်းနေပြန်ပတ်တော့ no one မရဘူး ဝင်လာတဲ့အချိန်မှာဟို Nature Prophet ပြစ်တာကြီးနာနေသေးတယ်
Get away with this BKB magnetized play. He could not.
He did not respect how much damage Watson has in that area around all these trees as
Waxen damage ဆိုတာလေးရတယ်နော် shot ထွက်လို့တော့မရဘူး deadless နဲ့
kill these targets with the physical damage.
I mean, that's huge.
That was the biggest play they've gotten so far, and it's around Watson. This guy, he said he has to be the rock. That's step 1.
Yeah, definitely be a bit more careful about where the Nature's Prophet is next time round he rolls in. I'd imagine no one.
And overall, the play too for Vision, it's a pretty greedy one. They're going just for like a wisdom steal, something that perhaps isn't the most necessary play to go for.
ကမ်းမပွားဟုတ်တယ်ဒါတော့မှနော်ဒီဘက်ကတိုင်းနေမရှော့ဘူးတိုင်းနေနေပါရှော့နေကြကမ်းပတ်နေတာဒီကချီယာဂျူနီယာပြကွာချီယာဂျူနီယာပြရင်ကမ်းပတ်လောက်နေတာ
Silver Edge tiny a bit more here.
ချီယာဂျူနီယာပြဘူးလို့
They probably feel that they're decently ahead, but maybe misreading how far ahead they are. It's an 8k advantage, still very much a lead that can slip away, especially if they go for these sort of risky plays that don't really seem to have that much of a reward, really, relative to the risk.
Watson's there. They can show that they can fight still, especially in this type of position.
ဟုတ်တယ် no way အရင်တော့မကောင်းညံ့နေဟိုလိုချေးထုတ်လောင်းလို့ပါလို့ဆွဲချတဲ့ကောင်တော့မဟုတ်ဘူးဒါပေမဲ့အဲ့လိုနည်းနည်းတော့အမားများနေအခုတော့မှ no way
They've got to keep their cool, especially when they're this close to being able to move forward to the grand finals.
Aegis.
Aegis of Komi.
Panic is able to put his quelling blade back into play. Can't be able to break away through that Nature's Prophet. They're looking for a gank here. Ravage is at the ready for DM.
Watson would be the big catch.
Oxa, gonna scout.
ကဲဆက်ဆောက်တော့တွေ့သွားပြီဟောနေသားကတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီဘက်ရန်တက်ကအဲ့လိုတဲပြီးဆိုင်တော့မလွယ်တော့သေးဘူးတင်နေအချိန်ကြီးကတော့
Double dust, not going to catch anyone.
Panic. We'll find the grab. Sox.
မရောနာလေးတော့မိ
9 class did.
တော့ကျွန်တော်ဂျန်လည်းပေးလိုက်ရပြီအဲ့ဂျန်ပေးရတဲ့ကိစ္စတော့နှမျောစရာ
Small little hiccup there. Well, small. Pretty decent hiccup there from the side of Vision. DM. Aghanim soon on the horizon for him too. So all about buffing up this Nature's Prophet, getting that extra minus armor from the Gush. They've got the Malady doesn't look like he can go for the Solar Crest just yet. He wants to be able to have that extra buff up, but he wants to.
Was close there, went for a risky blink TP, but he'll be fine, DM.
Parivision အရင်မကောင်းတော့ပွဲရသူတို့တစ်ဖက်သက်ကြီးဖိနေတယ်ပဲအဲ့လိုတိတိကျကျတက်လို့မရဘူး pressure ထပ်ပေးလို့မရဘူးပုံစံ
And if they can get the connection, if they can point blank ravage again, the damage is starting to be.
ဒီက overlay ကတော့ dip လာပါလေနော်တိုက်ရတာ sorry game မကောင်းအမေလိမ့်တာရင်ပြီးတော့ရွေးလေလိမ့်တာလည်းမကောင်းဘူးဆိုတော့အဲ့လိုဒီ game ကဝိုင်းတော့3ယောက်2ယောက်တော့ချတော့ချ
These heroes
ညနေနိုင်နိုင်ကြီးချီယာဂျူနီယာပြိုင်တော့နိုင်နိုင်လေးတဲ့ hero နေတာ
But yeah, no one rolling in's got to be careful.
ချီယာဂျူနီယာပြနိုင်မှာ
drops his combo. And the distance is still there between him and Watson. He could still run into issues.
နိုင်ရ2-1ပြစ်လိုက်မယ်တင်တယ်ဒီမှာငကမ2-1ဆိုတော့
My goodness.
ပြီးရင်တကိုးသွင်းလိုက်မယ်ဒီကောင်
Now picked up from him. He's going to be hard. And he's going to be able to give a lot of information too for the team because he can just play in that front line. Tough to bring down.
We have it outside of the base.
Okay, team result. Oh my, winသွားသေးတယ်ရအောင်ဟောစက်မီကောင်းလိုက်တာ1-2ပြတ်သွားမလားအော်အနိုင်တုံးစုံနေတယ်မှာကဲဒါကကြာသွားသေးတယ်တိုင်းနာကန်ကောင်းမယ်ဟုတ်ကဲ့အော်လေးပေါ်မတင်လိုက်အောင်ကဲတော့ချန်နေခဲ့တဲ့အန်တိုင်းဟောဝင်လိုက်ထွက်လိုက်ဝင်လိုက်ထွက်လိုက်နဲ့မတိုင်းနေ damage ရစိုးတယ်နော်ဘောစပူတာတန်းပြောက်ပါကဲအဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်ဒီဘက်မှာ like round try မှာစပူတာနှစ်ကောင်လုံးတော့ဘာမှမရှိဘူး
Am I crazy? He did have a DD, right?
တိုင်း damage ရရှုပ်လို့တော့မရဘူး
Oh, okay. I don't think he did for the damage.
That was just the damage alone.
Okay, whoops. Because I saw that one of the damage was
denied earlier. But yeah, there wasn't one since. No, that was just the combo alone.
Can I actually see that again if we don't mind for a second here? I swear he had the DD. Was it picked up and killed at the same time? I don't know. Maybe he just didn't blue. Whatever. The damage looked very high from it, but. I didn't think he'd have that burst to almost bring down the tide, but that was interesting. All right. Well,
DM did drop very low very quickly to that.
We're able to bail him out though.
ဒီရင်ကစပူလောက်ပဲရှိတယ်လောက်တော့
There we go. Coming in and
no, he's just blue. Okay, I'm sorry. But just the damage was so high. It looked like he did have it. Thank you, production.
I noticed does get the BKB forced out of him there in the mid. Pop it back off. And you see very close to being done for Satanic. So as we saw there, already how much burst damage was coming out. It's going to be even greater. So DM.
Yeah, don't just BKB don't you
know, there's only so many heroes that Malady can try and bail out the tombstone save.
ဒီကညီလေးဖမ်းမရတော့အရင်အားလောက်မကြမ်းဘူးဖြစ်နေတာပေါ့လေအဲ့တော့ပုံမှန်ကလေးတွေကိုနောက်တော့ပါညီလေးနောက်တော့ဟုတ်မနေဘူး
This AC is going to be massive versus Watson also because these triple cores they are getting to that point where the armor is going to be difficult for Watson to break through. The Shivas is done for no one as well. Double Shivas plus an AC versus the single physical core. That last game, Watson was able to do it. This one feels a bit more difficult in particular because DM, he's struggling a lot more than in comparison to that last game. Anyone can do it, it's Watson. DM.
Got set up. Nobody else here with 9+, but of course DM.
I'm like I had DP down on that.
It was cool though.
They should actually make the aggressive move themselves here. Also to point out, Ducalis, he has gone for the aggressive play. He's got the Distiller plus the Pike.
Yeah, Vision အောက်လေးမှာ
A lot of damage too.
ချီယာဂျူနီယာအော် BKB စောကြီးတော့ကြီးလိုက်ရတယ်တော့မတိုင်းနေဘယ်တော့လုံးတော့စစ်တန်းနေနည်းနည်းများလောသွားသလားအန်နေတော့များတယ်နောက်ဆုံးအန်တိုင်းရင်တော့ရှော့သွားပြီးတော့ပဲဒီဘက်မှာလည်းမိထားတယ် terrorize 2 man ဟုတ်တယ် info က BKB မချိဘူးဆိုတော့မ raw ပြီးတော့ပြီးကြီးလိုက်ရပြီးတော့ arrow ဆက်တယ်အောက်မှာဒူးကလစ်တစ်ကောင်နဲ့တော့အချိန်နဲ့ကုန်နေပြီ enchantment ကိုထိုင်ပြစ်နေတာကဲတော့မဒူးမတစ်ဖက်တော့ပြောင်းလာ WhatsApp ပြစ်ချက်ဒီအောက်မှာရှော့သွားခဲ့ရပြီရှေ့မှာလည်းဒူးကလစ်ကဲနည်းနည်းလေး WhatsApp တော့နားတယ်ဆိုရင်တော့ team မဆိုဝင်ချက်ဒီအောက်မှာပဲ finally တော့တေသွားပြီ WhatsApp enchantment ကြီးကိုအရင်အိမ်လိုက်ကြတာကွာတန်တော့မတန်ဘူးပဲတည်းကြီးကကဲရပါပြီ4 man down
Yandex.
9 class, holy crap.
အော် line လက်တယ်right ဒီနောက်မှာ fan တိုင်းလာပြီးတော့ရှေ့မှာလည်းအဲ့ enchantment ကိုထိုင်ပြစ်နေရ BKB နဲ့
on a silver platter onto the Nature's Prophet, but it forces the BKB, forces the Satanic.
It all works
It's
out.
not just one core in this game. They've got multiple different ones on Vision.
ကဲအဲ့တော့ Ravi တွေလည်းအကုန်လုံးပြီးတော့တကယ်ကောင်းသွားတာဒူးကလေး နောက် support နဲ့ကောင်လှုပ်ပေးသွားလို့
He's struggling in this game.
Yeah, we'll see it again here. Chiro was trying to find some sort of way to start the action off. Has to put this BKB.
အဲ့တော့ BKB နဲ့တော့ရတယ်ပါချီယာဂျူနီယာနေတဲ့ pressure တွေပြီးနေတယ်
They look to Satanic, but with that AC that's just been picked up, they don't have the damage to threaten the Tiny. And here's where it starts to get really awkward. The
Yeah, right. Comes in, I mean, position 1 to the
at
ball,
this
no?
point, through the duration of the BKB, Watson, he can try and turn and look towards the Enchantress, but
ဒီကလည်း enchanted တကောင်နဲ့ Ravi တွေပေးတယ်မင်းတော်တော်လိုနေတော့အဲ့ဒီကလည်း
But at this stage, there's nothing else to save Watson and Vision. They know it. They dive in, they kill off the carry, and make sure that this fight is well and truly in the bag for them.
ဒီကတော့ချီချီပါ
Also, Saksa 9 class going for the solo kill, almost does get it.
Chichi ba, kwe.
Can Saksa get out? He's trying.
Now leaps.
Chiro's connecting. They've got the TP coming in too, so 9 class could be in trouble himself. He is being annoying.
He really is.
အဲ့ဒီလက်ပြန်နောက်ချက်တယ်ရှိုး
He's got a Wind Waker.
All right.
အောင်ဆုံးရရသွားတယ်ဗျာ
Of course, same time, space being created. Satanic's able to finish off the Roche, get the Aegis picked up for the next
အဲ့တော့အများကြီးတွေ့နေတော့ကျွန်တော် invoker အနေနဲ့လည်းဒီပွဲမှာဘာမှတော့မလုပ်နိုင်ဘူးနော် invoker အများနဲ့မိမိနဲ့ဒီ spell မတော်ဘူးပြတယ်
That fear connection that came in, it ended up just catching like an Enchantress. Sure, it caught the backline of the Timbersaw, but they need that Ravage when Watson's just standing his ground and able to just wail on these targets. This was not the case for them this time around, so spellcasting has to be a bit better from the side of Yandex to be able to have a chance at this deficit.
Some pretty crazy levels now on Team Vision. We've got the 25 on Notice, the 25 as well on Satanic.
We said this is one of those games where Notice has the potential to be that carry. He is being
Oh,
that
yeah,
carry
oh,
as
no,
Timbersaw
yeah,
as
hope
well. There's just so much
ဟိုပါပြီးအတင်မိတာတယ်မှာလည်း Enchantress attention down လို့ရှိရတယ်
They were able to hit him with those rotations
ခု
early.
နကတော့နည်းနည်းကမ်းမလန်းစားဖြစ်နိုင်ပြီမဲ့ဒီတစ်ခေါက်ကတော့ down 20k ထိပြောင်းသွားဘယ်လိုလဲတော့
Yeah, it was the 2 deaths early on from the rotations. Then he got the heart, and it felt like from there, yeah, they can't really touch or threaten him. He is a
ကျွန်တော်
nuisance.
နေတာ prophet နဲ့ဒီပွဲမှာနော် saver လို့ item နဲ့လိုလိုတယ်ဒီကောင် break ပြီးပြတ်မှရအောင်အဲ့ Timbersaw နဲ့ Enchantress
Bloodstone, he is dying a couple times here. We do see the 2 deaths for him, but he's still doing his job, right? One of the heroes, one of the cores essentially has to be the sacrifice for the others at this point in the game to be able to have that success. Cheer up. He has to be in the back line. He cannot get caught at the start of these fights again.
Oh, they're going to see him. They've
He
got
gets
the
caught at
hex.
the
အေး
start.
ဗျာမင်း
Can
Chia
he
Junior
survive through this? He'll get the chance to put the
BKB
BKB
fair time, eh,
He's
yeah.
going to go for the BKB TP out. Nothing to stop it. He'll get out.
But a full defensive BKB, it's going to be 90 seconds. They don't have that for the fight. Cheer's positioning this game.
ဒီဘက် Chia Junior ဘုတ်ကသူပဲအင်္ဂန်ပြီးတော့နော် BKB ကတော်တော်အစိုးရသုံးနေတာ
Watson really has to do
ကဲတော့ကျွန်တော် Aegis နဲ့ဒီဘက်က Yandex နဲ့ high ground တွေပါ try လို့ရ
Nature's Prophet, not easy.
Is a butterfly going to be a
Triple A မှာရပြီတိုင်းနေရ
butterfly versus the tiny is fantastic, but it's not good versus the rest of the heroes so much. So, I mean, there's not much else he can go. I'm thinking
Triple A
that
မှာ
rapier
ရ
territory can start to be something he might be thinking about, but maybe he still feels like he doesn't need to rush it that much more still. But we'll see. The push is starting to come in. Satanic, 2.5 minutes on this Aegis.
Got the odds to red. Ravage is there. This is going to be back to be a part of the defense.
ကဲဒီဘက်မှာ Tiny
The anchor down, set up for the tornado.
EMB နော်ဘာညာပြရှောင်း
For Team Vision.
ဒီဘက်က high ground လေးတော့ကြည့်ရ
Trying to step up.
ကဲတော့ Marana တော့ Timbersaw spell တွေအောက်မှာ oh and dying tombstone ရှာသေးလားရှာသေးလားပြေးသေးတယ်ရောက်ရင်
So at least stopping the push for a moment here. The creeps are starting to beat on bottom. Also, looks like Vision doesn't want to stick in the area too much more here. They'll respond to that push.
I like this as well. I was going
နော်ဒီပွဲကနိုင်တဲ့ကောင် final ရောက်မှာဆိုတော့အရင်တော့နေတာမျိုးတွေပါတော့မတွေ့ရအောင်အေးစစ်စစ်ပဲပွဲက
The dream of the Axe combo to follow up a Ravage is it's worth going more into than the Hex, or what do you say at this point? Because he's considering either.
တော့မရှိဘူးဒီဘက်မှာ first time လို့
It's just it doesn't work as much as
အပြဿနာစပူရနှကောင်လုံးတက်ရတာမလွယ်ဘူးဘယ်ကောင်တွေ့တွေ့
a bit better. They need that extra control because it's all about Watson to do the damage. The magical, it just really isn't.
ဘယ်ကောင်လဲတွေ့တွေ့ရဒီဘက်မှာစတန်ရလည်းမရှိဘူးဆိုတော့နော်တက်လို့ကမရဘူး
They're pretty high HP heroes.
Like eventually, sure, he can go for it, but I think the Hex is something a bit more important because they can kill these heroes if they don't get the BKBs off.
Trying to step out the base here with a
Invo က half လောက်လို့ပြောတယ်
Vision already backed off. Maybe they catch Ducalis. As he has potentially stuck around a little too
Over
long.
Enchantress. Maybe.
They're going to get him. So Ducalis
That's a gem.
get punished and indeed hanging around like that with the gem. A little bit of a mistake there.
I'm surprised he's sticking around there with like nobody around him. It was satanic.
အဲ့တော့ဒီလိုတေကတော့ဟိုက Aegis နဲ့တက်ဖို့မလွယ်တော့ဘူးဈေးရောက်နေတယ်
They might be
looking
trying to
for
go for
some
Satanic.
Satanic.
Jump over towards him. He does of course have this
ကဲ
Aegis
ဒီလိုမှတ
still
ကောင်နဲ့
up
ပြတ်
in
တော့
it.
ဖြစ်နေတယ်ရောက်ရင်
Be alone.
I mean, no one's trying to get over to help him out.
那么
He's
တောက်
trying
လျှောက်
to
ပဲ
get away with the silver
နော်
edge.
မ
Does
သေး
get
ပါ
the
ဘူးတက်
ball,
တက်ကတော့
goes for
ဒီ
the
ဌာနမှာ
side.
ချီယာဂျူနီယာ
The wrap around from the side.
တက်ကတော့ဖြတ်လိုက်လို့တော့ရတ
They're
ယ်
trying to wait for the timing of it. They're going to wait 40 seconds.
Long time.
ရပြီဟိုကနောက်မှာလည်းတော့တောက်ကြောင်မရနာတဲ့ကောင်
We'll get the fear
ကဲ
down.
Asper တဖန်တော့ပြောင်းဝင်လာပြီးတော့ Aegis ကတော့ထလာပြီဆိုတော့နောက်မှာ Satan နဲ့ 1 2 all toss နှစ်ခါနဲ့ပဲ
They deal with the two supports.
ကဲ Aegis နဲ့ကောင်ရောမျောလာခြေနေကတော့
Junior.
Again, it has to be QB and TP out.
ဟောဒီတိုင်းလွတ်ပေးလိုက်ရင်တော့ကောင်းနေပြီအမှန်မှန်
Do we want to really chase this? It's kind of crazy.
But at the same time, it felt like they were going to be able to kill him,
Yeah.
at least take that Aegis out of his hands a little bit
ဒီ
quicker.
ဘက်က3ကောင်လုံးပတ်တယ်နိုးဝဖယ်လောင်အဲ့တင်းပတ်တော့နဲ့တိုင်နေတော့ကဒမ်းမမလောက်
Push now coming in again.
Nine class
Still has BKB.
knows that Watson was there in the trees, but
God, if he
will
gets
not get the catch onto it.
He gets the UOs to at least interrupt. Could be annoying for the push. It is coming in. Notice.
Butterfly's done. And they
Yeah, Butterfly
do
no,
some
yeah.
damage here for the defense.
အဲ့ပြဿနာတိုင်နေမဟုတ်အဲ့နောက်ကတင်းပတ်ဆောက်ကလည်းပြဿနာပဲเนาะအခြေအနေကတော့
Still, without the support for 10 or so seconds.
Buildings are dropping. Nice little save there from no one. Pulling Satanic out of some of the damage.
ဟိုကြည့်ပြီးပါကြည့်ရမရှုပ်လို့
Save.
Finish the job and get out. Nothing to stop the BKB TP.
Smart. Not risking anything there. Not trying to like back up and reset. Can get caught.
အဲ့ဒီပဲနောက်တစ်ခါ Russian နဲ့အဲ့เนาะတိုင်နေချိုးလိုက်တော့ရ
Any way they can get out and try and force a fight.
အဲ့ဒီလူမားတဲ့ငကမားတဲ့ဒီ ချိန်နေကတော့မလွယ်တော့ဒီပွဲရလဲเนาะပြီးတယ်ဟောလည်းတမင်သက်သက်ဟိုအရေးကြီးတဲ့ပွဲဆိုဖြည်းဖြည်းချင်းစော့နေလို့တော့ပွဲရကြာ
Watson, okay, this is smart. He's gonna go for the Hydra Breath afterwards. I like this, the percent damage. It's good versus these tanky heroes.
I mean, all three of them having over 4,000 HP. The Hydra.
အဲ့ဒီလိုပွဲမျိုးတွေကျတော့ offlane ရဲ့အဲ့လုံးနိုင်ဆုံးကွာတာကြီးတော်တော်တိတာ
He hits hard. Like I think once the Hydra's breath there, he can take down these.
အဲ့ကြောင့်လေဟိုကောင်နဲ့ notice နဲ့ဒီအောင်လဲတာเนาะ Parivision ရမယ်
Which, as you say, but they're trying to build towards Chira Junior, very close to having the money for the Hex. We'll see how much they want to spend up on these big items over saving for buyback, because buyback is probably going to be preferable in this sort of situation.
Toxa doing some missions here, getting the Lotuses, trying to get any little thing that he can to be able to have these buff-ups. These greater healing Lotuses can change the times of some of these fights. If you don't commit to kill a hero, can potentially get saved. So eyes on those for the upcoming one as well. 27,000 lead. It does continue to grow here for Vision. And it's multiple different heroes. That's the scary thing. Everyone is scaling on Vision. It is mostly Watson on the side of Yandex that's getting the scale. And Chira, he's been slowed down so much this game. 8 deaths.
Enough here for the Hex. Does he want to spend up?
Buys the one component.
ကဲတော့ nature proper item များတော့များတယ်အဲ့ဘိုင်ဘတ်တော့မရှိဘူးဟမ်ဒီကြောင်
They're looking to strike again.
Know that Yandex is likely outside of the base.
ချက်ပြောင်းတယ်
Be aware that Chira Junior pushing out that bottom lane.
Chira, be careful.
Titanic
Gets caught in one stun.
coming in from the side. The supports. Nine class and Ducalis.
CJK နဲ့ကောင်အဲ့ဒါတော့ရတော့ပါ invoker ပဲဆိုတော့ hero ပုံစံကတော့
Just
ကေး
in
မှာ
time. Yandex.
Here for neutrals. Chira. Okay, the Rattle Kit means he did not get the Conjurers, is what that tells me. A bit unlucky for him with the timing. Soxa will get it, so some extra burst damage that can come out from the Mirana. And yeah, okay, Watson's queuing it up, Owen. The Rapiers, they're starting to get queued. He's feeling like it's not going to be the answer with the Hydra.
All right.
And
အမပေးကြမလို့လို့လေဒီပွဲနိုင်တဲ့ကောင်နဲ့ဒီပွဲရှုံးတဲ့ကောင်နဲ့ဟိုဘက်က separate ဘက်ပုံနိုင်တဲ့ကောင်ဆိုတာပဲအဲ့တခုပဲရှိတော့ ပြီးရင် final ရောက်မယ်
He
does have the lance though, so it's not.
That's true. He spent up a little bit. But likely
ဟုတ်တယ် WhatsApp ပြနိုင်တဲ့ကောင်ပဲလက်ရှိကချီယာဂျူနီယာကျော်တော့ပြေးနေတာကျွန်တော်ပြေးနေရတယ်ဖြစ်နေတော့
to that final slot.
ပတ်တယ်မှာဘာမှတော့လုပ်လို့မရ
Still necessary. There is such high HP.
ဟိုဘက်ကတော့ outbreak ပယ်လိုက်တော့မှတင်မှာတင်မဆုံးနဲ့တိုင်နေနှစ်ကောင်အဲ့လိုမျိုးတင်မဆုံးရလဲတော်တော်ဆိုတော့လက်ရှိအစိုးဆုံးအောင်ပြောရမယ်တိုင်နေတတ်ဆိုတော့တင်မဆုံး
Chira does have that extra control now for him.
ရှင်းနာ
About enabling Watson. Level 25 starting to get hit as well on the Earth Spirit. No one now has the OP talents. they also are picking up a lot of these greater healing loads.
I'm finding out review 7 view 7 ကြောင့်များ E ဝါမှာ
Away to Saksa.
ဟိုမလေးကတပွဲကို15မိနစ်10မိနစ်ပဲ
Coming up in a minute.
ကြောင်းတဲ့တပွဲကို1နာရီခွဲ
As I said, it's only really
1နာရီခွဲဒီပွဲဆိုက draft နဲ့ဆို1နာရီကျော်နေ
more heroes on Vision are scaling even the support.
Satanic.
စစ်တန်းနဲ့အော်နှစ်ကောင်လုံးချောအောင်လားမသိဘူးရောက်တော့တီးနေမယ်နောက်တော့ BKB အော်နည်းနည်းလေးတွေရောက်ရင်
Get up the ghost wall.
ပြတ်တော့မပြတ်ဝါ has မရ
He's
ဘူး
gonna live. Very close.
Oh,
Not quite enough damage to fully.
အဲ့ဒီတော့ကိတ်နေပြီရောက်ရင်ကန်ကောင်းနှစ်ကောင်ချောတော့
That says a lot about how scary this Tiny really is at this point. I think the Lotus.
အမရနာရဲ့အနည်းနည်းလာဆူထားတဲ့အဲ့ greater load တက်ကြီးရတော့ပေးလိုက်
Yeah, and we'll see after that. It's got the crit queued up because if he's able to get the crit, those two heroes next time they'll be dead.
Oh yeah.
And he's got the money to start doing it.
At least can buy the small crit, which will be enough to pop them in that next occasion. Roche 20 seconds.
Yeah, so then the BKB machine man tilo no smoke ne ro chu da
This is risky, but it's a risk that's definitely worth a shot.
It's 50 seconds without his BKB on this time.
Down 28k as a team. Notice he's going to be able to
အဲ့မှာဆိုရဒီကတိုင်းဝင်လာတာကြောင့် AC ပဲအကောင်တက်လို့လည်းမရဘူး
Watson.
အဲ့ဒီမှာဆိုဘာလို့မလဲအဲ့တော့ Asprey တဖန်တော့တိုးလာပြီးတော့ပဲတိုင်ဟန်တော့ Ra ပဲကဲဒီဘက်မှာအိုးရတင်းမဆိုပြတ်သွားတော့မလားအချက်အဲ့တော့ပြတ်တော့ပြတ်နေသေးတယ်တောက်လျှောက်ဒမ်းမလာဘူးကဲနောက်မှာ has တွေကြားမှာပဲနော်ချောပြီမတင်းမဆိုပြတ်တာတက်နေတာတိုင်နေတော့ဘယ်မှာဝင်မရ
And he knew that he could get back
Off
in
link
there as
dip.
well on about 10% HP. Noticed having no fear.
He is the rock for this team this game. Even if there's a Tiny on his team, he
Off
is
link dip.
invulnerable. Blinks into 5 heroes and survives.
And here we go. You know, who needs Roshan when there's the carry dead? Time to hit the base.
They tried to take an opportunity there with the BKB on cooldown of the Tiny, but Notice says, nope, I will block your entry.
Tower beautiful
Fortification, and they do have the buyback available on Watson.
That's going to kill his growth toward that Rapier, though. His damage, we're seeing it's not there without it. Catalyst now finished up for the Tiny.
And look at the Notice. There's BKB
အဲ့တော့ပါရနဲ့အောင်တော့ nature proper တကယ်ဆင်းလာတာဟုတ်တယ်ပြတ်တော့ပြစ်ကြည့်နေသေးတော့မတိုင်းနေ1 2အတိုင်းအကောင်းဆုံးတော့ကဲထုတ်ပေးလိုက်သေးတယ်တုံးတုံးနေကြမှာအော်မရဘူးကဲတော့ live fan ဘောလည်းလွယ်တော့မလွယ်ဘူးဆိုတော့နောက်မှာစစ်တန်းနဲ့မိပြီစစ်တန်းနဲ့ကတော့မိသွားပြီအော်ဒါပေမဲ့ notice တစ်ဖက်ပြန်ဝင်လာသေးတယ်ဒီမှာလည်း work set ကောင်းလုံးပြပွဲဖို့တော့ကြိုးစားနေတော့မှ Asprey တော့ backline နဲ့ပြစ်တိုးလာပြီးစစ်တန်းနဲ့တော့ 2 click ကိုရမလားတစ်ချက်ဟုတ်တယ်ရောက်ရေးအမေနောက်မှာ has တွေကြမှာတင်းမစောစပယ်တွေနဲ့ပဲကဲ GG တော့ဖြစ်သွားပြီအော် Tiny
A TP
nearly.
just in time will save Chira Jr., but Yandex, they're going to have to try and hold with just the 4 of them for the next 2 minutes.
ကဲတော့ကဲရီမရှိတော့ GG ခေါ်လို့ရအောင်
No damage now at this point, Chira. He can't do it on his own. Watson tries to TP in, but they're just too tanky. Oh, and Notice, again, drops to quarter HP.
ဟောအဓိကတိုင်နီကအဲ့လောက်မချိုးတင်းမတော့ပူချိုးနေ
They're closing it up here.
Yep, looking for the mega creeps.
တက်လို့လည်းမရအောင်အဲ့ကောင်
Very likely looking for more here.
40k lead at this 48 minutes.
တက်လို့လည်းမရလုံးလို့လည်းမရဒမ်းမကလည်းစောင်းဝန်းကျန်းနေနော်
For the side of Vision.
Yandex, what have they got left here with just the 4 of them? Average is going to be up in about 10 seconds.
Notice just jumps into their face time.
ကဲဟိုဘမှာ arrow အဲ့တော့မတိုင်နီ1 2ပြတ်ပေးရောက်ရေး terrorize နေအောင်ချီချီပါ
Chira into the fair.
အဲ့အမတ်ရှော့ပါရမယ်ဒီ invoker ရဲ့သင်တော့ဟုတ်မနေဘူးဒီပွဲမှာတော့
Tornado should be enough to finish 9 class.
အော်ရာပြီသူလားတင်းမဆိုတက်လို့လည်းမရဘူးသေလည်းမသေဘူးဒမ်းမကလည်းစောင်းမများ
They've got the cold snap on him, but it
တော့
doesn't
မသေးတာအဲ့ဒီမှာဆို
They won't get him any lower. DM's gone. This game, this series is over. GG is gone.
ကဲ Parivision ကတော့ final ရောက်ပြီချင်းရ
Final.
These 3 tanky cores just too much for Watson to deal with. They covered their bases this time.
ကဲ no way PI Aegis ကိုမြောက်ခွင့်ရမလားတော့
And they really did punish Chira so much.
They did.
ကြည့်တော့ကြည့်ရမယ်လက်ရှိကတော့ဒီကလေး၄ယောက်ကြားထဲမှာဒီကောင်ကလည်းနဲ့လက်ကျနေတာပေါ့ဒါပေမဲ့ no way ထိုက်တယ်မှာတော်တော်10နှစ်လောက်ရှိပြီနော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးတော့တီယာကြီးမှာဆို10နှစ်တော့မကားတော့ပါဘူး13နှစ်14နှစ်လောက်ရှိလား
As well on the bottom lane.
13နှစ်လောက်ရှိလားပြီးတော့
They kind
အဲ့
of
တော့
went all
no
3
way ကျွန်တော်တို့မနေ့ပြန် Aegis မြောက်နိုင်မလားတော့
Watson was keeping
ကြည့်ရမယ်ကိုကတော့လက်ရှိအနေထားနဲ့ကတော့ဒီနေ့ sprint နဲ့ perform ပွဲကတော့မပြပြတော့ပါဘူးအဲ့တော့အားလုံးပဲ
Everything fell onto the shot.
ကျွန်တော်မနေ့7နာရီကအခုချိန်ကြီးရှေ့ပေးတိုင်းကိုယ့်ရဲ့ border အားလုံးကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်မနေ့ပြန်ကျွန်တော်တို့
With him on the Luna.
မနေ့ပြန်